Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dells. And this is now episode 456. In this episode, we're going to have a mix of NBA and NFL talk about Luka's debut and other NBA things that are happening around the sport, like the Mavericks protesting their fans, Jason Kidd skipping on a post-game press conference, and then for NFL talk, recapping the Super Bowl where Jalen Hurts ranks, if
Champion.
Mahomes can still be the GOAT,
MVP.
and Aaron Rodgers' next team, because he will not be back with the Jets. I know Dell's very sad about that. But fellas, how you guys doing?
Champion. You know, I know how Dells feels when he came up here. He kept saying, ring. It feels amazing.
Larry.
Champion.
Lombardi.
Yeah, don't talk to me if you don't have a Lombardi.
Respect the hell
I
out
don't
of
want
that.
to speak. I'm feeling good, though. Had a good day. Good long day. Chilling. Glad to be back in the studio. I really do hate recording on StreamYard. It really does not get the authenticity of what we do and the good vibes. So I'm glad to be back in the studio. Had a great weekend. You know, saw some amazing things. Saw somebody's GOAT choke. Saw another man's team, my team, rise to greatness. I feel great, man. This 2025 is my year.
2025 has been incredible so far. Loving life, watching a Mahomes disaster class, it always hits. I felt like I was reliving 2020 all over again, except this time there's no hiding that Mahomes, you know, in 2020 they kind of let him be. They were like, oh, you were okay. Like,
He was good.
Your receivers dropped so many passes. Your offensive line was so bad. You didn't have any you can't say nothing to defend him right now. Second worst EPA game of his career.
If you guys haven't heard about Factor Meals is a great product that they ship meals, pre-made meals, to your house. You pop them in the microwave for 2 minutes. They're ready to go. They're delicious, and most importantly, they're very convenient.
Oh, yeah. They're good for any busy, active lifestyle. And they have this keto plan where you can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks. And a guy like me, I wish I knew this when I was doing keto. It would have made my life a lot easier. But, of course, it does vary.
Yeah, and it's not just you get the same meal every time. They have 40 different options across different dietary stuff. You talk about keto, they have Calorie Smart. I really like the protein goals because I'm trying to get at least 200 grams of protein per day. So they have stuff that just hits those protein goals. Not only that, but they have smoothies, they have breakfast options. What I really like, Rib, they have these ready-to-go snacks because, listen, you can sit down and eat a meal, but it's really difficult sometimes when you want something a little lighter, but it's chips and crackers and cookies. They have these snacks that fit your dietary goals.
Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat.
Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/PAS50 off and use code PAS50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code PAS50 off at factormeals.com/PAS50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
This was a truly dog shit
Oh, before the
performance.
stat pad, the stats look funny.
And that's what gets me the most. And honestly, it makes me so happy. He was really out there trying to save face. He was really Dak Prescott
Play
in
to
the
the
hell
end,
up.
man. Play to the end.
And the only thing I'll say, that throw was beautiful. It was amazing. That
So,
throw was
so
great.
worthy?
It didn't matter.
He had
That was,
a couple.
that was the
two.
you know who was in that play? You saw the corners.
Who was
They had
it?
the backups in the Super
Yes,
Bowl?
that was the backups. That was the
They have Kenny
backups.
Pickett in, so
That was the backups.
All right, so it was amazing.
So of course the throw went through.
And then my GOAT Jalen Hurts beating him was just a cherry on top. It was incredible. I had an amazing Sunday. It was incredible.
doing good, man. Got my car back yesterday. First time in 2 months I've
thank
had a
God.
car.
They got it fixed.
Yeah, they got it fixed.
There you go,
Yeah, bro. At first, BMW dealership wanted like $10K to get this shit fixed. So went to a different place. It got done for like $1,400. Good, man. Feels good to have a car. I've
10K
been.
to 14 is
Yeah.
such a
Well, they
steep
want a
lead.
whole bunch of other shit done. Was like not doing. I've had my mom's car. I've had Chelsea's car, but I haven't had my own. So it feels good to have it back.
It's been good.
you're not-
This
Yo, what else did
Sunday,
we watch yesterday, though?
Luka's debut.
We watched Magic. We got a little sample
Did you
of
watch
it.
it?
We got
I watched
three
the first
players on the Lakers. LeBron, Reeves, and Rui scored 20 points in that game. The playmaking for Luka was on full display. Man, we'll talk about that. We'll salivate over that because it was a great debut.
Dog shit.
It
Watch
was.
the Cavs.
What was
cook up
dog
the
shit?
ass.
Nothing, bro.
Did you watch that game? Cavs, Minnesota.
I'll be honest. I saw the first quarter is 22-0. I'm not.
Brother, they didn't score until
Ant-Man
the
scored
3-minute
40
mark.
though.
Yeah, I know he
Seen
did.
that.
They stat padding like
He's
fuck.
the only player
Nah,
that can
it was
score.
the third quarter he got hot. It wasn't stat
They were down
padding.
20.
Dude, they were down 20.
No, they were getting waxed.
For the most
No,
part.
Anthony Edwards became the youngest player in Timberwolves history to have, I think, 4 consecutive 40-point games.
Last night?
Do you guys buy the report that Nico called up the Wolves
No.
and the Bucks?
I don't.
You think that's
Bucks,
just
maybe, but Minnesota doesn't make sense.
Bucks, I believe wholeheartedly. The Wolves, if you said, yeah, let me get who?
Yeah.
And we think
That's
that
a smack in the face to Luka, even more.
Minnesota
than,
says no.
than
Like
AD.
we think that. Like Minnesota don't say no. I don't think they call because he said he didn't call anybody.
I know. Just the article came out. It was interesting. I think it's just a way to try to save face if you're Nico, but I
So
don't
it's
buy it
3
either.
straight. He had 44 against the Cavs, 41 against the Rockets, and 49 against the Bulls.
You're manifesting. You're manifesting that 4th game in a row.
Yeah, no, I thought it was 4,
Okay.
but no, Anthony Edwards, I feel like people aren't talking enough about the leap that he's taken as a shooter.
He's
I
been an elite
really
shooter.
don't think people are talking about enough. Like,
He's been
okay,
arguably the best shooter in the game this year.
yeah, we're nitpicking the playmaking and stuff, and yes, I think that's an area he can improve in, but he's shooting 42% from 3 on almost 10
It's
attempts
nuts.
per night.
It's, whoa, easy.
I just don't. I hate that
Just
word.
give
He's a
credit.
bona fide
Can you just give
scorer.
credit here?
I did.
And what he's saying,
did.
saying right now, we acknowledge. That's elite.
So let me ask you
Being
something.
nice,
So let me
man.
ask you something.
you
You're-
haven't been nice to him.
Let me ask you something.
That brother
You're-
said we're nitpicking.
Now,
No, you are. You are.
That's
You're-
what you
no,
said. That's what you lost me.
I say
crazy.
nitpicking. I say nitpicking because the
We
first
nitpick all the stars.
because the first thing
true.
mhm,
He's right. He's right.
No, it depends what stars we're talking of. You
no.
don't
Yeah,
pick Luka.
Hey, easy. All
and
right.
this is where I'm going with
Calm
with
down.
this.
Jesus
You know,
Christ.
all year long,
You don't know where he's going.
whenever Riv
Nothing's in there.
whenever Riv has talked about Anthony Edwards, I haven't heard about the 3-point shooting leap. I haven't heard about the insane elite level pull up 3 numbers.
Yeah,
the
when
first thing
you're
you
the
talk about is
9th seed,
playmaking.
we don't really
You
care.
haven't said anything
Well,
about
what's-
it.
Oh shit.
Yes, I have. I'm talking about it.
No, we
Yes, I
haven't.
have.
Honest to God, we haven't talked much about Ant on the show.
There
There's
hasn't been
no
nothing to
reason
talk
to
about.
talk-
They've
we
been
haven't
mid
talked
as
about
fuck.
Minnesota. Yeah.
But all I'm saying is that
Ant just gets a strain when you bring him up.
what's something that you should focus on more, the playmaking or the 3-point shooting leap? The 3-point
think
shooting leap
both.
is obvious. No, I think one is obvious.
This
He's
what-
becoming an elite level 3-point
This
shooter.
is what kills me because
Playmaking is
He's
so
a good
average.
playmaker.
No.
Yes, he is.
and then you lie.
You couldn't just say average.
I said average.
couldn't
He's a
just say
good playmaker.
Average is strong for a guard. He's not average.
Easy.
For a guard, he's not
shooting
average.
guard.
If we
He's a
had big
shooting
men, yeah,
guard.
he's
a
average.
shooting guard.
We gotta
He's a
stop.
shooting
He's a combo
guard.
guard at this point.
Because he's
It's
forced.
positionless basketball.
He's
Yeah, bro.
forced into
You're
that.
gonna be-
All guards are.
Ant's gonna be the guy in the
Not
ball that stands in the fourth quarter. I don't care if you're
You
a
guys
guard, you're
act
center,
like-
you're
This
forward.
is
You gotta
what- no,
play
this is
make,
what-
man.
this is
Why do you
kills me.
act like he averaged like 2 assists a night?
See, and it's not the assist
I'm not
number.
trying to stat. I'm not stat watching.
It's not the
here.
assist. And that, if you want to do that, look up his assist in the 40-point game. See how many assists and turnovers he had. I didn't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Since January, he's averaged like 5 to 6 assists per game. I think it's been 6
Okay,
since January. He's
That's
averaged
dope.
33 and 6.
that's amazing.
Yes.
You know, SGA's been doing that all year.
Okay, SGA is an MVP candidate.
Just saying, like you want us to praise a month. Like, no, like that's like
What's the average for the year? Around 5?
For the year, I think I would go like 4.
So
yeah.
You round up 5.
he gets the 5. He gets the 5.
4.5. We're
gets the-
generously rounding up.
No,
to
5.5 in the math.
You're
he
right.
Gets the 5.
You're
he gets
right.
the 5. So you get the 5.
4.4. No,
4.4. He's so
He's
cooked.
going
If
down
I'm
the
not
floor.
mistaken, I seen a tweet on Riv's Twitter. You posted a video of Anthony Edwards making a skip pass, and he was like, "Yo, this is the type of read that he's making.
No,
he's improving."
I not see. This is the thing. This is why that word nitpicking kills
No,
me.
because you call him dog shit. He's not.
No, no,
At
no.
playmaking, he's
not.
average.
I
He's
don't.
not.
No, I don't call him dog shit as a player. I think Ant Edwards is a phenomenal player.
No, I mean as a playmaker, you call him
oh
dog shit.
yes,
I
because
don't think
there's
so.
there's moments where I watch him play and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
January, he averaged 30 and 6. In the month of February, he's averaging 39 points, but I'm being kind against 3.5, 4 assists.
We'll give him the 4.
4 assists.
give
But
him
he's
4
averaging damn near 40
Yeah.
in the 3 games.
Listen, I'll say this about Ant-Man. I'll say this. Now, you want me to be nice? I'll be nice. The pull-up shooting has been crazy. Like the
Nuts.
leap that he has taken as a shooter is incredible.
That's what's gonna take his game to the next level.
John Morant wishes.
No,
Part of it,
he'd
part
probably
of it.
never do it.
No.
But here's the thing that kills me with you Ant Edwards fans and / Minnesota fans. You guys like to compare him, right, to these other players. You like to compare him to all-time 2 guards, but then you get upset when we start nitpicking his game and we're like, oh, he's a 2 guard. Oh, he shouldn't have to do that. Oh, he shouldn't be focused on that. When you are becoming a top 10, top 5 player in the world, you have to refine your all-around game. That is a fact that's always been like that. There isn't a moment where you could just go in there and, oh yeah, he's a two guard, so he's not asked. No, you're probably gonna have the ball down the stretch most of the game. You are the best player. You're probably gonna have the ball all the time. So there's gonna be times where you need to be pretty good at both. So to say, oh, we're nitpicking, no.
I know this is your guy.
I don't agree.
But maybe it'll hit a little different coming from someone who's not a full-blown Ant Edwards stan. You can go that route, and I don't disagree. Can't we also step back and appreciate, yet you do have to improve at playmaking? I'll be the first to tell you that. We've been very vocal on that. He needs to improve at it. I call him average. Don't push it. I think he's an average playmaker. And I agree with that. That being said, he does work on his game.
Yes.
It's obvious.
Yes.
He's much better this year than he was last season. He has carried over this playoff type scoring into the regular season.
As a scorer, you'll never hear nothing from me about him.
But I understand where you're coming from with the playmaking. That being said, when Booker was asked to be the full-time point guard last season, he was kind of talked shit on a lot because he wasn't a great playmaker.
That's not his game.
And exactly, he's a two guard. We wanted the Suns to get a real point guard. He has great playmaking abilities for being a two guard. We acknowledge that. We know Booker's a better playmaker than Anthony Edwards. That's not a conversation. But we asked the Suns, get him a point guard so he can go back to his position. The Timberwolves simply have failed to do that. They got him Rob Dillingham, and they don't play him. Recently now, because players got injured, and I know Conley just went down to injury, didn't play last game.
Spacing around him.
There's no spacing, and they don't have a true point guard.
And that's why he's had to develop that three-point shot, because he can't drive to the basket like he was able to before. So now he's pulling up and he's hitting it at an efficient level.
Would you rather have him had this shot or improved in playmaking?
I think the shot,
Easy.
100%.
Not even a conversation.
So would I rather Steph shoot 40% for three or average 10 assists?
That's easy. He's right.
What?
Would you rather him shoot his normal stuff?
Who?
Steph Curry.
Or average 10 assists.
Be normal Steph Curry or be this godly playmaker. He's right.
That's a whole different thing. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Especially for this type of team, you need to shoot.
And Ant has been great off ball this year too. I mean, this year he's averaging 4.5 assists per game, but last year he averaged 5.1. He was averaging 26, 5, and 5.
I don't like to look at the stats for the assists because when I watch, it's not great.
Here's the thing. I don't think Anthony Edwards, he's never going to make elite level reads like these other guards. And I think a good comparison to him is kind of SGA. SGA is a good playmaker. I think he's a better playmaker than Anthony Edwards. But that's also one of the things about his game that is the biggest weakness in his offensive game.
He's such a dominant
Anthony
scorer.
Edwards in the playoffs, this past playoffs, averaged 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game. I mean, I don't listen. I think Anthony Edwards has to improve his playmaking, but I don't think it is to the level where it's just so unbelievably bad that you don't want him with the ball because you don't trust him.
No,
I think he's not able to think 2 to 3 steps ahead when he is operating as a playmaker, but all the other like normal things like driving and kicks and making skip passes, he is able to do. Like cross-court passes, being from one wing and swinging it to the corner, he's able to make those type of passes in a way that I still see Devin Booker in the playoffs struggle with those passes. Kevin Durant still struggles with those things.
I've been very vocal about those two as playmakers also, and as passers. He's probably the biggest Devin Booker fan when in terms of playmaking. I've never been the highest on him as a passer. So I just think when you, and of course the situation for Ant-Man, it's not the greatest. You know, we can honestly talk about it. Like, it's not the finest situation when in terms of spacing and stuff like that. But unfortunately, when you get compared to the other guards in the league, that's something you have to adapt your game to. Like that's all the two guards that we have, all the top two guards, D. Mitch, Devin Booker, and Edwards. You gotta put that in your game. They don't play with, well, D. Mitch does, but they don't play with these high level point guards. You need that in your game. You need that in your game in general. Just
D. Mitch does play with one.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. You need that in your game to kind of still, because you're gonna see double teams. You're gonna see multiple defenders. You're gonna see bigger defenders. There's gonna be times where you see zone defenses. It's just you have to be able to have that IQ and that awareness and that understanding of where the next man is gonna be. So in the spacing thing, like I get it, but like last year you had Cap.
Yeah, and that's why he had more drives per game last year.
I think also what has been poor for him this season is his ability to drive and kick out. That's something that I look at Anthony Edwards' game, and I think this is an area you need to be better at. That playmaking, making the easy lob pass too. Yeah, he can make these skip passes, that's fine, but when you're in action and you're driving and you're trying to make a move to the cup and you realize, all right, my lane's shut off. I have to pass out or this is going to just be a boneheaded attempt. he has been unable to consistently make those passes.
I just see a lot of Ant Edward games where he's having all around performances. I think
He's a dog.
It's very rare when you see a 30-point game from him and it's like coupled with 1 or 2 assists.
But Joel, we understand.
Just been this month.
His performance
this
is
month,
to
bro.
sleep. If he takes this one thing that we're asking him,
You said rare?
Yeah, I do think it's rare.
Okay.
Well, he's
Like,
averaging
you
3.5
go
assists
to
this month.
Basketball Reference,
I'm
go
here.
to game
Like,
logs, go to the top
What,
scoring games.
what would be a number for rare? Like let's have a ballpark in
Three
the
Well, I'm
3 or
talking about
less.
2 or 1. I think with every big game, he at least is having 4 or more assists
So
in that game.
big game. All right, I'm glad we kept it specific to that. I'm going to the game log.
Well, I was just looking at February. He's averaging 40 and he's averaging 3.5 assists. So that means
the lone thing missing from Anthony Edwards' game. Sorry, making me laugh.
I have 1 already.
The lone thing he's missing is this playmaking at a
2
consistent level. If he does this, now he's stamped
Can you look at the
top 6, top 7 in the world.
Riv.
So now you got to add
No, no.
context.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, see, you just have to keep opening your mouth. I'm trying
You
to
said,
make
you
it
said
up.
1 or 2 assists. I found 2 already.
I'm saying this.
This was in
though.
the first month.
This is what I want to say.
This is October.
this is October. Oh, you're
This is what I want to say. Look at the top 10 scoring games of his career.
Why does he do
Oh,
now?
his career.
That's what I asked initially.
No, you were saying this
I
year.
said
This
it
is
was
this
asked
I don't really care what he did
You said
3
his
years
big
ago. He got a
scoring games this
random
year,
7
and there's
assist
one
game.
or two-
What are you on? Are you on ESPN?
I'm on basketball reference. I'm here.
Okay.
Like we're here.
Okay.
Don't try to finesse what you're doing.
Okay, let's look at this year only then.
All right.
The highest scoring games, 53 was his highest. Let's look at
Didn't he have 2 assists that game?
1, 2,
Listen,
3,
sometimes you
4,
gotta get
5,
buckets.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I'm looking at his top 10 performances of the year.
Get 2 assists in that 50.
I did think so.
Okay,
I get it though.
He 53.
He got 53.
53 points, 2 assists. 49 points, 3 assists. 44 points, 1 assist. 41, 7 assists. 41, 6 assists. 37, 8 assists. 37, 5 assists. 37, 3 assists. 36, 11 assists.
So 4 games of 3 assists or less. And then
Which is this is
But you're not.
fine.
He had 11. He had 36 and 11. You're just ignoring that.
No, all I said was he had 4 games of 3 or less
He had,
assists.
he had
And
6.
He had 6.
So he had more
Wait,
games with
yes.
more. He
Yeah,
had
he's
more
on your
games.
side.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was just
Sorry,
counting.
Dales.
I was just counting the. It's hard to count both at the same time, you know?
Okay, and then just I'm gonna keep on going to 30-point games. He had 36 and 2, 34 and 9, 33 and 6, 33 and 5, 32 and 4, 32 and 3, 32 and 3, 30 and 9, and that's all of his 30-point games.
So he's probably around, 30, 40% of the time he's having 3 or less assists.
So that's
in
what
those
I'm saying.
games.
For the most part, when I watch his big games, it's coupled with a lot of assists.
More often than not, over
That's a
50%.
better. You said rare. Rare caught us off guard.
It's definitely not rare.
Yes.
If you're doing it 35% of the time, it's
Like-
not
not my
rare.
fault. Look at potential
the
assists. They
odds
miss
are
the
definitely
shots.
not like a plus 8,000.
Potential
Like,
assists
no,
is
it's,
valid.
you know,
So you gotta look at the
Potential
potential assist
Potential
numbers, Riv.
assists.
the odds be
Yes.
like plus 150. Plus,
For what? Four
like,
plus assists?
if he's it's like plus 150, plus 200. If he's having a big game, yeah. It's
Hey,
like,
listen, defending Ant's playmaking, defending Luka's defense, man. We're here.
I think one is objectively worse.
What?
Yeah.
Which
You
one?
The
watch-
Luka's defense.
Yeah.
Oh my God, casual.
I'm sorry. Defense against the Jazz. I don't care.
Dude, John Collins blew by him a couple times.
Nah, bro. Did you guys see LeBron James playing defense yesterday?
He was locked in.
I haven't seen him
was
play
Why was he
defense
locked
like-
in yesterday?
because Luka
Luka's
took
first
the
game.
floor for
Dude,
the
ever
you guys
since
see-
that Miami game, everything's been different.
He's been moving different.
Did you guys see that before the Cavaliers game? Jaden McDaniels was averaging 20 points in the last 5 games.
Damn.
And then what happened in the Cavaliers game?
Yeah, 12.
Apparently, he's getting a new offensive. Wilder told me he's getting a new offensive.
Coach.
Offensive role, and then
Yes.
that Wilder said this is what he told me. He told me that the Jaden McDaniels leap is coming, and I said, okay, if it happens the rest of the year, I'll apologize. He said, all right.
What's
So-
his new offensive role?
15 a night.
15 a night.
He's
16
getting
a
the
night.
ball more.
He says, he told me, this is verbatim what he said. Jaden McDaniels, 18 feet and under. He's special. He's a special player. That's what he said. He said he's a special player. He said with the ball in his hands, he's special. He said he's a solid ball handler. He can play make. This is what Wilder is telling me. I'm just listening. I'm not. He said what was messing him up is they made him into a spot up shooter. That's not his game, Drew.
no,
Apparently,
nope.
that's not. He needs the ball in his hands to be special, and apparently he is. So we'll see how this goes.
They've been playing a lot better since
then
Julius
the Cavs
Randle went
out.
out.
Yeah. It's a tough look.
But then it's a cap, so we'll give him
Every
we'll give him a pass.
every NBA player's not going to average 20 a night. It's not going to be like that.
We'll give the Cavs game a pass.
We
'cause
just
they've
you
been
just
the
can't
best
have
team in
Jaden be dog shit. That's really I think all the Timberwolves are asking for.
the league. He has paid
hasn't
27
paid.
million.
He hasn't, no.
Offensively,
He hasn't been dog
listen,
shit.
you're
He
asking for
hasn't been-
something.
No, but
Ideal.
Nas Reed has been really damn good. And
We all
Randle's
love
out.
Nas
Nas
Reed
is
at
a legend.
Jersey.
Yeah, Timberwolves are playing some good basketball. But no, my Sunday was good. I had my dad come here to watch Super Bowl with me.
Was he rooting for the Chiefs?
Yeah, Yeah, of course.
Did he coddle you when you saw your team getting his ass whipped?
My dad isn't a fan of a team. He just likes football.
I thought you said he was a Chiefs fan. No.
No, he's not a fan of a team.
He was rooting for the Chiefs. That's what it was.
He likes Patrick Mahomes. So that's it. He just likes good football.
You have any
But
good
he's not a
snacks?
fan.
Jess cook anything up?
Yeah, she
here we
cooked pigs in a blanket.
Nice.
She cooked some cheesy potatoes.
Nice.
Some sliders, but like chopped cheese style. So it's like
Nice.
chopped sliders.
She knows what goes on in that
Yeah.
kitchen, man. She's goated.
Yeah, get one.
And then she a queso dip.
You don't got leftovers?
No, I don't. I think there's some leftover
I
queso
wanted
dip.
the
there.
chopped cheese one.
Yeah, that's not
that's
bad.
what moved me.
Yeah.
No, but my dad's not a fan of any particular team. He just likes good football. Obviously, he was bummed out that the Chiefs lost because I was rooting for the Chiefs. But for the most part, he just likes watching good football. And he was a Chiefs fan, I would say, when they had Alex Smith. That was like the prime.
Yeah,
of,
fact. Because I remember you saying that was your in to being a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, no. He liked the Chiefs a lot because, they were always on primetime. And back when Alex Smith and the Reed era first started, they won a lot of regular season games. They
good.
just choked in the playoffs
Does he
all
remember
the time.
Dwayne Bowe?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know any of the players really. I can't get him on like
Dwayne
these
Bowes.
names and stuff.
All right, man.
He liked the Bengals with Dalton too, because like the uniforms and stuff. But one thing he's always done is he's always hated on the Jets because like back when we first started watching football, we'd watch the Saints on prime time, and you know how the Saints play. They are taking shots down the field. And then you go from that to watching the Jets play, and it's like run, 3 and out off the field. And he's just like, why can't the Jets play like the Saints? Like, why can't they play like this?
God forbid we had Sean Payton and Drew Brees, man.
Yeah, and I was just like,
One of us has
I
Sean
don't know.
Payton here. One of us has baby Drew Brees.
None of us have a ring.
Well, I have a ring. I have a ring. Respect me.
Sorry, bro.
No, but yeah, it was good. The Eagles won a Super Bowl. I feel like it was deserved. They were the best team all season long. We'll talk about that
Really?
later
You
in the
believe
show.
that?
Yeah,
Not
after
coming
week
into the year.
5. After week 5, they were the best team in the league. I spoke
some
on that.
doubts.
Were payouts handed out?
Oh, I have not got any payouts.
Oh, I owe some dudes. I owe some dudes.
Okay, you
some dudes,
you
man.
make some bad money.
I think
some dudes.
Santos told me I know exactly the amount I need to pay out. I think I'm cut even with Riv.
We're cut even?
What? That is
What was our bet?
shocking.
What was the bets?
Well, we had a lot of bets this year.
Did
The 49ers NFC Championship game.
You avoided that for me. You said half. You bumped at the half.
Okay, the Terry McLaurin
Lost that deeply. I lost that week 5.
Dior sucks.
And then I don't know how many
sorry.
more we
That's on
have.
me.
I think it's just that, and then the Eagles won. So it's 3 total bets.
You did do that dumb shit. You would have came out, man.
So what about me, bro?
Oh no, I owe you. I think like $25.
Okay.
No, I didn't have any other bets with Dells. But this football season was pretty cool. Just reflecting on it, just
It was
the
fun.
surprises of the season, and the Eagles post week 5, their defense was really special. I didn't know they were capable of doing this to Mahomes. I didn't know anybody was capable of doing this to the Chiefs offense just as a whole.
Nurkic is on the Hornets?
Yeah.
He got traded.
Yeah, it took him a minute. I just got that report too. It took a minute for it to like physical and shit to pass.
Yeah. No, especially after like the playoff game against the Commanders where Jaden, he played really well against them. Stafford, played well against them too. For the most part, he had a lot of turnover he plays in that one, but he had a chance to win the game.
Fourth quarter, Matthew Stafford was elite.
Yeah, no, it's just the Eagles really they played their best game of the season in the best moment of the season. They deserve a lot of credit for
Very
that.
on brand.
That Ravens
Love you,
game, that Bengals game, that Green Bay game, Super Bowl, NFC Championship, Commanders game first time. Damn, we did it to you.
It was really the championship game, the Super Bowl was like no stress. It was kind of just like a calm couple weeks.
When we went down the field and AJ got the flag, I was like, all right, like they gave him the flag, but this felt easy. I was like, we got it back.
That blew mine though.
Did you
It
watch
did.
the replay? It was definitely a flag.
No, it was
Especially
it
from
was
where the
weak.
ref was.
It was a weak call. It was a weak.
He got in his face
tapped him,
mask.
but it was
He
like
low-key got a finger in his
he
face
stiffed
mask.
on his entire helmet.
we've seen worse. Somebody tell me
for
about
sure,
that
for
Rams
sure, for sure.
Jamar Chase play. But
T. Higgins.
yeah,
It
T.
still
Higgins.
pisses me off.
But like I said, I was like, all right, I was cool after the first drive. Then I saw us the second drive, and I was like, we fake can move the ball. Like we were moving the ball pretty good.
Nah, for
So
real.
I'm like, all right, like this shit feels good. And then our defense was getting stops, and I was like, nah, we might fuck them up. And then when we got the interceptions, I'm like, yeah, it's over, bro. Like Mahomes throwing an interception this early. He looks like he's panicking. I was like, yeah.
Once Bond got the interception, I knew it was game. Even after the DeJean pick six, I was like, it was 17-0, I think, at the point. I was like, Mahomes could still do this. It wouldn't surprise
Cooper got
me.
that shit. I'm like, to the moon.
Yeah, when it was
Bond got the
17-0,
pick.
I was telling my dad, I was like, okay, listen, if the Chiefs score here, they get the ball at halftime. This could be 14-7 if they're perfect here. And then the ball and interception happened. I was like, yeah, this game's over.
Yeah, that was a tough look.
right in our territory. It's like,
Because Mahomes on the sideline like, we're good, I got it, we're
You're
good.
not good.
And the next play, he threw a pick.
Yeah,
I was cheering like a little kid when Bond.
When we
picked
got
it
the
off.
2 sacks back to back, I knew shit was up.
Yeah, I really just don't like Joe Tooney out of left tackle. I feel like on film he's looked like that, and then
He's a left guard, all pro left guard.
Back
You made
and
him.
forth for him this playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, he's had
because-
some good moments, but when you went up to Philly, he was just
when
overmatched.
you play up against some really good players. I think Theo Ash did a little bit of a breakdown on this game and about how the offensive linemen, the tackles were vertically setting against these edge rushers. And what that means is that instead of meeting up with the edge rusher with power and kind of going forward, you're leaning back. And that's a disadvantage because the Eagles' edge rushers are very fast. So they're able to get a head start with their speed. And Joe Tooney has smaller arms for a tackle. So it's harder for him to maintain leverage like that. Yeah. And, we saw them get dominated. Jawan Taylor wasn't that good. Joe Tooney, he was terrible. And then Mike Caliendo, the left guard, was absolutely awful. Like, that's why I thought maybe this was one of those matchups where you put Tooney back at left guard and then you have another tackle in there, you start to chip and stuff. And then Travis Kelce was awful. Like, I think he needs to retire.
Probably.
Like,
He's had
he
a great
has a
career.
huge cap hit, but he was legitimately awful. Like, when he was asked to chip, he completely got blown off. He was so slow getting off the line on snaps. It was just a terrible performance all around. Mahomes choked, of course, but the entire, when you get blown out like that, it's like an entire team effort. And then I thought Andy Reid made little to no adjustments to help the passing game going, and they had no rushing attack. When you could just sit back, rushing forward and playing quarters behind that, it's very hard to get
What
anything.
adjustment can you make? Like, there's nothing they could have
Play
done.
better, block better. That's the adjustment.
Like,
Fucking
please,
block these
I'm
guys.
begging you to block better.
I mean, you could put in, an extra tight end, an extra running back to help, but nothing was really working.
You know those memes where it's me experiencing a downfall and then it's somebody else. They prayed for that downfall and they're watching it. And It's just the time of their life. Yeah, that was me. It just couldn't have been better. Just watching them just play like absolute garbage, get dismantled. Mahomes play like trash. The defense get after him. Mahomes dancing in the pocket. He thinks that shit's sweet. He thinks that he could just dance around, move around. No, nothing was working. It was glorious. I really couldn't have asked for a better game. That being said, what's the first topic of the show?
Shout out to them guys, man.
The first topic is
Shout out to
Luka,
these men.
and I will say I wasn't even able to really rewatch this Super Bowl game because every time Mahomes got hit, it just felt like a gut punch to me. It just
What?
There was nothing to rewatch. Just an ass kick.
No. I was rewatching Jalen Hurts dime up.
Why are you hurt if he's getting hit?
because it hurts me. We're synced. Synced up. It hurt me.
Voodoo doll.
I wish I was out
You seen
there.
a person
I wish
had a
somebody
voodoo
else
doll
was
at the
out there.
game
Yeah.
with the Mahomes voodoo doll?
I'll
That
be
shit
honest,
was funny.
That was weird.
That was very weird.
That was weird.
They're in New
And I'm a
Orleans.
guy who hates Mahomes. That was weird as
have
hell.
So
Weird people
are we
this
getting into this first topic without talking about the Kendrick performance? We're rating it.
That shit was garbage. That shit was the
I'm not a
worst
Kendrick
Yo,
fan,
bro,
so-
that shit was dog shit. Like, I'm watching
Hey, the song with
shit.
SZA was tough. I liked.
I was waiting for her fine ass to get up there. And
so
once she
damn
got
sexy.
up there, all eyes were off of him. And I'm like,
OD.
let's lock in. Then she got off.
Nah,
I'm like,
and that all leather fit too. She got it.
The him smiling at the camera saying, "Hey, Drake was funny." I'll give him that. That
apparently there
was
was this otherworldly message that I really didn't care about that I have to go ahead and figure out with the Super
I
Bowl.
understand. I did listen to that video.
I'm not like,
Yeah.
I'm being honest. Joel, I get it. You're a Kendrick guy. I get he has these deeper meanings behind his music.
What are your top 3 Super Bowl performances you want to see?
Me? I need Dirk up there.
Dirk is top 3.
Now, all jokes aside, I would love to see Trav up there. I think Trav is a great performer. I like the Usher one. I don't want to see him again, but I like the Usher one a couple years ago. Beyonce's always dope to see up there. Chris Brown would be dope. He's a great performer.
Unfortunately, Chris Brown will never be invited to.
It would be
Super Bowl.
Chris Brown. It'd be Trav, and
Chris Brown would have the stage jumping. Oh my god!
I need to see Rod Wave up there.
rest in peace him.
I need to see Rod Wave singing 4
Rest in
songs.
peace
and then
him. But I would like DMX
Okay.
because DMX as a performer, I watched
What
this shit
about
on
Wayne?
YouTube. I don't think he's medically clear, like medically able to do it. That's the thing.
He sounded pretty terrible when he was singing Jay's entrance. Well, no, when he sung his song, trying to get Jay out. I don't know if you saw the WrestleMania video.
I know what you're talking
Lil Wayne came out and he was singing.
Yeah,
I forgot what song he was singing.
Got me. Prime
Or
Wayne.
rapping.
Just because it was in Louisiana, I mean, it made sense.
I just
for him
don't.
to
If
do
they
it.
had Prime Wayne, Prime Ye before the craziness, back to
Yeah,
back.
Kanye's not coming back for
Yeah,
this.
we can have
Kanye's never performed at Super Bowl.
We can have that for the Super Bowl every year if they had those two named Prime. Like, yo, throw them out. We're good.
Yeah, no, as a Kendrick fan, I thought the performance was all right. I think there probably is a deeper meaning within the performance, but I don't think you can expect people to just do this deep dive in the halftime show.
It's
I
15
mean, they
minutes.
did it immediately.
Yeah.
The video
I don't have
after,
time
you
for
had to
that.
know that they were going to break
I
it
think
down.
that the thing with Kendrick is, I do think that he's an amazing artist and he always does have sort of like deeper messages and stuff. I do think that a lot of his fans, there's points where they just reach on things, right? Maybe he didn't mean it in any of these ways,
No,
but
good
they
on
just,
you.
They just come out with these theories. But no, I'm pretty sure there was some symbolism with, Samuel Jackson being Uncle
Shout
Tom
out to
and
Big
stuff.
Sam.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, my bad.
But it's
Uncle
like,
Tom.
bro, we have 15 minutes. We are watching football. I don't want to sit there for 15 minutes trying to
Just give me your
articulate what the
hits.
fuck you're
Just
talking
give me
about.
your hits and keep it pushing.
And I'm seeing on Twitter, yo, guys, y'all didn't break down what Kendrick was doing. He really did
That
some
always
shit.
gets
it's
me
like,
mad.
bro, shut the fuck up. If you
didn't
ain't
like
give a
it-
fuck about what
if you didn't like it, it wasn't for you.
Yeah, no, real shit, and I did it. I'm sitting there for 15 minutes. My grandma, even my grandma, she keep it 100. Why? Like, I'm here for SZA. Kendrick up there, she's like, oh, that was kind of lame. Like, we're not here to sit here and break down what he's talking about.
I'm gonna be honest. I just feel like every time that we have a Super Bowl halftime performance, there's so much anticipation for it, but it never really lives up to the anticipation.
I disagree.
Usher shit was lit.
Usher was amazing. I thought The Weeknd was incredible. Rihanna only was underwhelming because she was pregnant and doing the most that she could in that moment.
I think was there some split
On who?
thoughts on the Weeknd's performance?
I thought
it was good.
I thought it was great.
But I know that there might have been like some split thoughts on like that performance and stuff. I just thought that I just think that it's very hard to.
You need performers.
I think it's really hard to rap in the halftime show. I think it's really hard to have like an elite level rap performance.
You need performers up there. No disrespect
Y'all
to
gonna
Kendrick.
hate who I'm gonna say who would go up on that
You're gonna say
halftime
Drake.
show and
But
he
Drake-
would
but
fucking
Drake-
get it turned
Drake
up.
can perform. Like, no offense
He's
to
done,
Kendrick.
bro.
Kendrick is
Who,
not a
Drake?
performer.
He got bodied, bro.
Well, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
Drake on tour right
On
now.
a halftime show,
I
on
would
a
much rather see
15-minute
Drake than
set
Kendrick up
list,
there.
I'd
I
rather see
promise
Dirk.
you,
I would
Drake
love
could play
to
the
see that.
hits.
Free him.
And that's the only thing I have against this halftime show.
Put Uzi up there
Why did you play more than half?
as a performer.
If he's only playing to like 2016 shit, we could
Uzi
do
as a
that.
performance.
The thing is though, is like, bro, like think about the people that are buying these
Hey,
tickets to
Drake.
the Super Bowl.
It's not Kendrick's.
It's not even Lil Uzi. Like Lil Uzi
Nah.
go up there, nobody would know his shit.
Unfortunately, but he's an amazing and elite performer. That's the Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick's an elite performer.
He's all right.
Honestly,
not in
though,
that setting.
for the people that are watching this game, beyond all of these people
what-
aren't really
Can I
the,
also
What is
just
the leader
agree.
behind his
crowd
performance?
they're
Him
looking
crip
for.
walking?
No, he's legitimately a great performer.
What does he do? Like, what's the
Like
leader?
I'm talking about just his concerts and stuff, the energy
okay,
that
okay.
he has, and then just like even the Super Bowl, you saw the dancers. They created they mimicked like an American flag with the
Yeah, that
dancers
was cool.
and
I
stuff.
seen Trav he had a roller coaster at his shit. I'm like, yo, what's that?
21 when they had Dr. Dre, Snoop, they had
That one was
Eminem, Mary J. Blige. That's rap. It was amazing.
50.
Was it Mary J. Blige's
Mary J-
performance?
I think so.
Well, regardless, Mary J. Blige was there. Eminem was there. Kendrick
I think she
performed
brought
all
them
right.
out. Yeah, I think she brought them out.
My whole point is that was rap, and it was great.
There's also
iconic.
older
They
school
played
rap.
their hits.
Yeah.
They're iconic.
But here's the thing, Kendrick, and I do firmly believe this. Kendrick is iconic.
He's not. They're like, they fit both
I don't
eras.
disagree, but my whole point here is Kendrick performed as if it was a concert of his.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not performing a concert for your fans. You're performing for the world.
Yep.
You should play the hits that the world knows.
Yeah, he played his newer music.
You played DNA. That was awesome. You played Humble.
played
the
the,
whole world
the-
knows that.
the Star song
But
with him and
all the
SZA.
stars,
Yes.
absolutely. But you played almost half the songs off GNX. That's a fold. You didn't play Swimming Pools. You didn't play Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. You didn't play Mad City. You didn't play Love. You didn't play All Right. You didn't play a King Kunta. You didn't play like you had so much to choose from. You're amazing. You're a legend. But you decided to really have your performance, whether he wants to admit it or not, centered around Drake. That was a fold.
Now he did. Low-key just off-rip, the teasing it, the little beat, and then be like, all right, I'm going to go back to it.
And I'm not going to lie, that was tough.
No, the symbolism behind just the beef with Drake was at an all-time high. I mean, there were sprinkles of it the entire time. And you're right, could even played his classics. I do think that he could have played more songs that,
Didn't
are
even play Money
classic
Trees.
songs.
Like, bro, he has hits.
Yes, he does. But I also feel like his new music, he felt like he needed to play it. And
Yeah, because it's ass and he's trying to sell it. Like, Peekaboo on a fucking world stage. I'm sorry.
He played Squabble
What
Up.
I got so angry.
Squabble Up
that
was
shit
lit.
was nice.
Squabble Up is a great song.
What?
And TV
we
Off
just
is a
give
great
out great
song.
off. We just TV Off's and crazy. That's an amazing song.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Luther,
We just
TV
give it
Off.
great to anything?
No, OD. No, but TV Off is great. Luther is great. I was happy hearing those. I'm sorry, we didn't need
What
Peekaboo.
other songs? He just played Peekaboo and then
Peekaboo and
and
Squabble Up. I'm pretty sure he played Reincarnated too.
He did play for Reincarnated. Yeah, all those shits blew mine.
I'm just like, come
Won't even
on.
cap, don't
Get
know
dirt,
half
But you
the
got to
songs.
Get
think about
Rod,
it, like
get
just
her.
from a
Rob
PR
might fall up the stage.
Rod's going to sing up there, say 3 words. and
from a
just bob his
PR
head.
perspective.
If Bryce Young
tough.
makes it, they're gonna have him special guest.
need
Like
that.
you look at at the end of the performance, the game over thing. Like no, Drake got kind of bodied on the world stage, bro. Like it's one thing to have the concert of him where he like repeated the song 17 times, but to perform Not Like Us at the Super Bowl and like
No, he owes his career now to Drake. Shout out.
no, I mean they got into a rap battle.
No, OD.
That's it.
Yo, but honestly, you know who took the
All
biggest
fair
L? You
and
know who
level
actually
war.
took the biggest L? And I mean this from the bottom
Cole?
of my heart. Serena Williams.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You are married
She didn't
with
move
a kid.
I had to do a double take at first because she was like, is that Serena? I'm like, why the fuck would
She didn't
Serena
move
be
me.
up there?
That didn't move
She's
me at all.
married with a kid.
Crippled.
And
Did
you
you-
are crip walking at the expense against your ex, even though you are married with a child.
Did
She's
you
also
know
got a chance
that?
to perform at the Super Bowl. I get it.
She's
You know?
Serena
Did
Williams,
you
she could
know?
always have a
Did you
chance
know
to
that
be
Serena Williams,
Her sister died by the hands of
by a
Crips. Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, she was crip walking. Now that was an L. She did take an L, but no, I mean, come on. Kendrick got into a beef with Drake, and Not Like Us is probably gonna go down as the best beef song since like Hit 'Em Up, Tupac.
No Vaseline is
Like,
better
it was-
than
I mean,
that.
Ether. Gotta respect Ether.
Yeah, but Ether wasn't as big as Not Like Us. He performed at a Super Bowl, bro.
No, but Ether was the song that went against Jay-Z, who is arguably the best rapper of all time.
Yeah,
No
but
Vaseline, man.
No Vaseline's strong.
I don't know. Like
It's a
shit-
crazy track.
That shit is
Kendrick
just
had
blatant
Not Like Us
disrespect.
busting the entire summer, and then
Facts. Oh
yeah.
no, it's a huge song.
We don't
But
like-
you're saying since Hit 'Em Up, now you have to
We'd
respect
have to go
Ether.
back and think what was the time like for Ether. That's the difference. for
Back to
us.
back was hard too.
I mean, bro, it's Prime J versus
well,
Prime Nas.
who's ever lost a rap beef as bad as Drake though? Like in this moment,
Meek Mill.
say Meek with
you
Drake
think
was
that
pretty
Drake
bad.
Meek Mill's not as
bodied
big
Meek
as
Mill
Drake
more
is.
than
He's
this?
not. He's not.
Yeah, that's the difference.
I was rooting my ass off for Meek too.
I
Towards
was rooting
Luka
for
L.
Meek until I heard him drop that bullshit, and I was like,
Well, do you want to know who's lost a rap battle as bad as Drake?
Drake
The answer is Drake.
to Pusha T.
Correct.
Bro, keep losing.
Yes.
No, one thing
Pusha T
What's
pulled
he,
some
1 and
bullshit. You are hiding a child.
That shit's
Damn.
nuts.
L, I lost. There's no coming back from this.
Pusha
Nah,
T
I will
probably-
say-
yeah, he beat him bad.
One thing about Drake is even if he be losing, he's always gonna battle with somebody. He's always gonna do it.
He's real.
He battle rapped. I think there's been a plethora
You're
of people
saying
that
Drake?
he's yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean Drake battle rapped. Meek Mill, Pusha T, Kendrick.
Fake beefed with Tiger for some time.
whenever
I was gonna say,
somebody
Joe
comes
Budden,
at him,
Tory
he's
Lanez.
beefing.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody comes at him, he's writing, he's rapping, he's
And the
he's
shit that
making a
sucks,
song.
Duppy Freestyle was great. That was a great track. It's just the story I added on is one of the ones. And I'll give it to Kendrick. I mean, you go from, you call me, abuser. Yeah, I'm going to go that extra
What do you think
mile.
Drake's reaction was to that when he
could
saw
you?
it? Oh my god!
How could you?
Imagine.
He's like,
Oh yeah, I remember he got into a rap beef with Common.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, back in the day.
That feels
yeah.
random.
Like
That
he
is
got into a
random.
rap and Common's one of the best lyricists
Common's
ever in
nice.
hip
I
hop.
like Common, man.
So
Like him as
he's
an actor.
definitely gonna battle. Like he respects the history of hip hop and the battle rap nature of it. Even if he lost, like he has some great songs in the beef.
Who, Drake? Mm-hmm. No, facts.
Yeah, no, he has some amazing songs. Like Family Matters was an amazing song.
It is an
You can
amazing
argue it's
song.
the best song of the beef.
Where the fuck was this in the summer, Joel?
The
Shit,
diff-
this whole tune is strange.
Yeah, I've never heard this
in the
one.
summer.
the difference.
Because you're spinning.
No, the difference though is that he dropped the song and then Kendrick dropped like 10 minutes
He
after.
did,
him.
and he lied on it. You're hiding a daughter.
He completely suppressed.
Come on.
He completely suppressed his best punch.
He did, but real ones. The
If I
real
hear that,
ones.
I'd be like, where?
That's like a boxing analogy. Ryan Garcia trying to get the left hook and then Tank hitting him in the gut. Like,
Tank put him out with that.
There's a reason Kendrick dropped Not Like Us. There's a reason. I'm just saying that. There's a reason he dropped Not Like Us. Because Meet the Grams, if it were true, would be the best beef song ever. I'm not even going to lie to you. If it was real, it was true. It's the best song ever because it's the most hateful, most spiteful. It's just dark. It's very, very dark. Yeah. But he lied. So I don't even think about that song anymore.
They both lied.
There's a reason.
You gotta lie a little bit.
You had to lie.
Yeah,
agree
you
with
gotta lie.
that.
Because Drake said Kendrick beat his wife.
So why?
And he said that his manager Dave Free wasn't. He was his actual the father of the kid.
And that's what kills me. People believe Drake is a you know what, but then just Drake flat out lied about him.
Drake has
talking
also
about
had
Kendrick.
history in the past of
That's where it's really
Has the
it's tough.
allegations.
Yeah.
There's
And
just
not
more
even
out there for people to grab onto and believe. You know
That shit on stage, it's just never. It never is
Also,
gonna be
not that
valid.
it's better or worse. They're both fucking terrible. The shit that Drake gets alleged for definitely get viewed as
it's
the
so
worst for
It's
light.
so worse.
For sure.
But my whole thing is, again, he had to drop Not Like Us. He had to. And he had to go that extra mile. And he won it.
So I'll just say this: if you guys are watching this for the audience out there, if you like Kendrick's performance, let us know why you liked it. Like if you want to go into all the symbolism of it, do you think Drew is being too tough on G and X? You know, whatever it is, just
He
drop
had
down
the
why
American
you liked it.
flag, and he was split right in
There's
the
a
middle.
deeper
It's
meaning,
it's
bro.
a country divided, and it's red and it's blue, and it's him and SZA at the same time, and they're uniting.
And he did this in front of Trump.
and he had Samuel L. Jackson's Uncle Sam, dude. Nah, I ain't trying to hear that shit, bro.
You listen to
Bitter
GNX?
Huh?
You listen
No,
to
no
GNX?
shot.
You know what kills me more than anything? All the white people in the
They were standing there.
no that too, but mostly the white people in the
That were
stadium
grooving to
singing the song. They not like us. They not like us. I'm just like, okay, this is your
Did you
demographic.
listen to GNX?
No. No way.
They like 2 songs.
I give it the once over because I like Kendrick. I am a fan of Kendrick.
I'll be honest. I saw everyone on
didn't love
Twitter
it.
talking about it. I looked it up. I was like, oh, he dropped, and put my phone away. Swear to God.
Hold on. 22 G's.
2 G's.
No,
Uzi
that
Vert,
shit
R2R
Put
Mo.
some dudes on there.
Busy Banks. I got some names, man. Got some names.
Yeah, I only know Luther because Joel. I would have never probably heard that song.
If Ezzy is on a track, bro, I'm immediately
Yeah,
listening.
no. I listened to her solo shit before his shit.
I love her.
She's one of the ones.
Yeah, she's great. So the Lakers are the 4th seed in the Western
we're out
Conference now.
Show.
Really,
What?
it's like
First 30
less
was
than
short
that.
for him.
I
Short
forgot
for
we
him.
got the pre-record
We
show.
did.
Well, so what? It's
And
40
shout out to
minutes.
pre-recorded. The TikTok's been
Doing
busting
numbers.
recently. The
It's a
Twitter,
fact.
the Instagram, they've been doing better. Just having that exclusive
Get
content
us
on
to
there.
100K. Stop playing.
We're almost there, sort of, kinda.
Y'all be
We're
playing
almost
too much.
halfway.
Tell your friends to tell a friend.
So the Lakers are the 4th seed in the West now. The 3 teams ahead of them, OKC, Memphis, Denver, and the Lakers are at 4. The Rockets dropped down to 5. We'll talk about them later in this show. But what do you think about the Lakers? Luka made his debut, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. They didn't shoot the best, but I think we got a glimpse of what this offense can be, the playmaking that Luka's going to bring to the team. Drew, how did you feel about it?
Oh, yesterday was awesome. I know it was the Jazz. I have to ease up on, just being overly excited, I should say.
Can you play them again?
We do.
Oh, it's the makeup games, right?
We do play them again. That being said, last 10 games, number 1 defense in the league. We've played some good teams in that span too. Over, I think the last month, we've lost 1 game, and that was to the 76ers when Anthony Davis got injured. But in the games that we haven't had AD, our defense still has been great. And in this one, again, it's the Jazz. We know that we're supposed to handle our food, and we did. But the offense came out and was electric. 72 points. You had LeBron and Reeves combined for 28 in the first half, with Luka Doncic really he struggled to find his shot in this game. Ironically, his first made basket for the Lakers was a 3. But even still, this offense was so high-powered. The fact that you have 3 legitimate playmakers on this team, 2 elite-level playmakers in LeBron and Luka. You saw Jackson Hayes' involvement in the offense as well, too, with those 2 lobs to start the game back-to-back. You know Luka and Jackson Hayes are going to have that connection because Luka just naturally makes any center he plays with a lob threat. And Jackson Hayes has been really good in that role this season, but on the defensive side, he's really impressed this season. Again, and you can't really judge too much off this game, but you can get excited for what is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers offense. Rui Hachimura is one of the most underrated, underappreciated players that only Laker fans talk about, and understandably so. There's a lot of great basketball to watch this season. But you need to respect Rui Hachimura and his game and how much he's developed in the time of being a Los Angeles Laker. He's been so incredible for them. Austin Reeves, his development every single year, somehow, some way getting better over these last, I believe it's in the month of February. He's averaging over 25. He's just been so great with the ball in his hand. And I love that LeBron is so willing to let Reeves do whatever he wants to do on the offensive side. And now that he has Luka, it's finally the time where LeBron can kind of coast. And you could start to see him maybe exert a little bit more energy on the defensive side, but really offense won't be as difficult for the Lakers to come by. You have 3 legitimate ball handlers. At every moment in the game, the Lakers will have at least one ball handler on the court. I'm talking about it, I'm getting chills. I'm fucking excited. This fucking offense is going to be so damn high-powered, so explosive. It does not matter at what point. When they were staggering LeBron and Luka's minutes yesterday, I was like a kid in a candy store. The fact that LeBron can leave the court and we still have an elite level playmaker, elite level scorer, it's really a dream. It's really nuts. I can't wait to see where we look against high level defense, high level competition. But again, for a trailer, this was nice. I know Luka still has to get his win beneath him. He still has to get into basketball shape. It was cool to see him suit up. Obviously, it was really fun. But again, I'm excited for the real competition, the real defenses. But if yesterday's any type of sense of what I'm going to get, Lakers are going to be scary.
Yeah, I think you have the Nuggets and after All-Star break,
yeah,
like Saturday,
Jazz,
right?
and then they get a break.
Yeah, but I think after like a few games you play the Nuggets, that's what I'll be excited for. I mean, not a ton of takeaways. Played the Jazz. It was his first game back. I thought he looked like it was his first game back. Shooting was inconsistent. He was like 5 of 14, 1 of 7. Defensively, John Collins was blowing by him and shit. But I think a couple things definitely stood out. One, they generated more threes than normal. They had 42 3-point attempts. They averaged around 34, bottom 5 in the league. I think that's going to be one of the bigger changes. The fact that Luka could put so much pressure on the rim, the fact that he's going to cause so many double teams when he's driving, they should see more 3-point attempts. I think that's going to be a big key in helping this Lakers offense because that's going to be how you win and lose games, right? Yep. I think it's just night in and night out. You're going to have 2 guys that are basically unguardable. When you have LeBron and when you have Luka, even when one is off the court, like you just mentioned, Drew, you're consistently going to be able to get high-quality shots when those guys are out there. And the way Austin Reeves has been playing, I mean, he's not unguardable, but he's been so efficient this year.
Damn near, baby.
And really since that Heat game where you guys got smoked the fuck out, one of the most embarrassing losses of the season, not the most embarrassing, completely flipped the switch. You've talked about,
he's right, though.
You know, you've talked about number 1 defense over these last 10 games. I know the Knicks are in that stretch. Boston's in that stretch. I've had a couple of easier opponents, but I mean, for the team to even have a stretch of 10 games, 15 games of being a high-level defense, that's encouraging. And we saw defensively what LeBron had last night. Some of the best defense he's played all year. The fact that he was so bought in and lively and just having the energy, it's obvious that I feel like it's happening with Steph, with Jimmy Butler, the same thing with LeBron and Luka. These older guys are having some stars come in, help them to be their true number 2, upgrades over their former number 2s, and giving them just some more life. Steph offensively, LeBron defensively. He's been amazing offensively, you know, even throughout this stretch, but really defensively, the energy he's been playing with has been super, super impressive. But yeah, I mean, they play the Jazz again tomorrow, and then it's the All-Star break. So I'm excited to see, especially against Denver, what that looks like. That Denver series is really going to move me.
No, for sure. We'll learn a lot very quickly. I know it's going to be Luka's 3rd game as a Laker, so maybe, you know.
He has the whole All-Star break, though, to get healthy.
Yeah. You rarely hear anyone praise LeBron James for getting better because LeBron has been so dominant for 22 years. I have to give credit to what he's become as a shooter.
He's elite.
He is a legitimate elite 3-point shooter at the age of 40 years old. Again, I talk about it. It's nuts. At the age of 40, how you can still improve your game. His drive to want to be on the court and still be the best version of himself. He's been a great mid-range shooter. He's been an elite 3-point shooter. You know he still can attack the basket and finish at a very high level. His playmaking's never going to fall off. I can't believe he is still this good. It's really ridiculous. I know that it's like beating a dead drum when you talk about LeBron, but it's truly remarkable how he's able to be this dominant, this great, this late.
I think Luka, he's still clearly, he's not 100% yet. I think that's pretty obvious with the way that he was just playing and moving on the court. He hasn't played since December. I like that they're easing him into this. And my phone dropped again because you don't want him to get hurt again and re-injure himself. And that's why I like the minutes restriction. You look at what happened to Anthony Davis, and unfortunately, we'll talk about that in a bit. But, you know, they're being cautious. But this offense is going to be one of the best in the league. I think you still have question marks about the center rotation, especially with the Mark Williams trade getting rescinded. And while that might hurt this year, I think that's better for the long term if he wasn't going to stay healthy. The Lakers gave up a lot to try to get him. And if they got him and he wasn't able to stay healthy, from what it sounds like to me, it was the Hornets trying to finesse the Lakers a bit in that trade, knowing there was something wrong with him, and then the Lakers figuring out, okay, this is why they were so
still
eager
trying
to
to
get
get
him.
him off the team.
It's killing me. The Hornets really thought they finessed so much so they're pleading with the NBA. We didn't lie.
That speaks on Mark Williams.
Get him off our team.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Williams, hopefully, you know, he could stay healthy because he's a really good player offensively when he does stay healthy. But, you know, we're watching the game. You know, we saw how many easy buckets Jackson Hayes was able to
I
get.
texted you last night.
Yeah.
I said, Joel, I'm sorry. I was wrong.
Mark Williams is going to average
Mark
20 on this
Williams
team.
could have averaged
Like,
20.
The easy buckets that now Len
Was
and
the
Jackson
Jazz.
Hayes are going to get, I mean, it's going to be
Stop
an abundance
mentioning
of
Len,
riches.
please. But I can't believe that's the move that I have to be gassed
It's a big
about.
body. Alex Len.
God.
It's a body. Yeah.
Former top 10 pick.
Somebody.
It is a body.
Did you text the chat talking about Clint Capella getting bought out? Was that you? Or maybe I just read it on Twitter or something.
I think so.
Because that's what I really was praying for.
I doubt it though. Atlanta still
Yeah,
needs a big.
that's crazy. I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think the Alex Len was a realistic option. Another realistic option, it's really best case scenario for the Lakers, is Andre Drummond somehow, if he gets bought out. You know, he's on a very bad team. That would have been a pretty good.
in a dogfight with the Raptors right now. So.
But jumping back to the Lakers, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, but you know, it was a pretty good debut. I'm interested to see how, you know, Luka just ingratiates himself. LeBron already is pretty eager to just give him the keys and let him be him, which is a good thing. I noticed something,
Don't fit in, fit out.
and it's kind of been bothering me when I look at Lakers jerseys. Is it just me, the only person that's noticed that the color of the yellow for Lakers jerseys has gotten
More yellow,
like
brighter.
I mean, bro,
Yes.
look
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
jersey.
it's not gold.
Does
Yeah,
it look
correct.
like this?
Correct.
This is yellow.
No, it's not gold anymore.
Facts.
It's
It's not gold and purple. It's yellow. And
I like the
purple. That's a
gold.
fact.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I like the gold so much
don't
more.
disagree.
I see. I noticed. That's like banana.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
D.
Yeah, it's like a banana. That's like
That's
cheese.
what like pineapple
That's
sort
like
of.
cheddar
Cheese.
cheese.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Would you say pineapple?
Yeah.
That's perfectly said.
That's a good one too. Yeah, I don't really give a fuck. It's against the Jazz. Like we'll know more when they play Denver coming back from the break, and I think that's important because you have the stretch where Luka can get more healthier. But notable things, you know, Gabe Vince has been playing really well.
Yep.
Jackson Hayes has been playing well.
Yo, thank you. Good on
Reeves
you.
has been doing his thing. LeBron's been doing his thing. Yeah, their defense has been at a high level. It's just really hard to really come up with anything for this debut because it's like it's really against the Jazz.
Let's just
you
ask
know?
you because
What's up?
you know I've been trying to instill some knowledge to my crew because you know when it comes to the
Talk to me,
Lakers,
talk
I'd
to
hope
me.
that we'd listen to me. Are we here that the Lakers have depth?
Got like 7 guys.
6, 7.
The fact that Gabe Vince is playing this well is huge.
Exactly.
Because
I
he
don't
could be
know.
a 6-man off the bench. He could be a good
Yeah,
shooter.
it's really dependent on if Gabe can hit shots and how good Jackson Hayes can be in a playoff setting.
And
that's really it.
I know we play the Jazz. It still shocked me that Rui started, but Rui's going to keep playing the way he's been playing. I understand wholeheartedly why he's starting, but DFS coming off the bench, Vando coming off the bench, Gabe with the way that he's been playing coming off the bench. This is a legitimate 3 guys off the bench that we can go to on a consistent basis, especially if Gabe's going to shoot the way that he's been shooting over these last 15, 20 games.
Yeah, that's
So the
the key.
Lakers,
Like,
they're gonna have a small ball lineup out there. Like, did you see the lineup? I think my favorite lineup of the night was Reeves, Luka, LeBron, DFS, and Rui.
Yeah.
That's the lineup that they're gonna
I
run
do
out
think
there a
that's
lot.
going to be their best lineup, but I just worry about certain matchups. Like if you play the Thunder, who have 2 bigs.
And you saw where Luka
play
was
the
playing
Jokic, of
defensively.
course.
Luka was playing down low. It makes so much sense.
He's a great post defender.
Keep him
really-
away from the perimeter.
it's Gabe.
He's getting into
Hayes,
action, brother. They're bringing him into action.
Gabe Hayes and Jared. Those are the things. Those are my concerns. Vando, yeah, those are my concerns in terms of the depth part. But everybody else seems fine. It really like Dell's mentioned. It's matchup dependent. Like
Should we get into the
But just
Jackson
those
Hayes
top
defense?
2 matchups, like those are gonna be their 2. Because in some ways, I do think they match up decent with the Thunders because they have a lot of like big wings. Of course,
it
Luka,
depends
LeBron.
though, because if they go big, like the 2 bigs.
Exactly, but then if you want it, because I do think the small ball lineup when you have Vando out there, that's gonna be their most explosive, their best offense potentially. But yeah, you got to go Hartenstein and Chet double big lineup. You got to go Joker out there. I mean, those top 2 teams in the West. I don't know how great small ball is gonna work.
Shout out to B-Ball Index. My boy
When I
Jackson
showed you
Hayes.
these for Mark Williams, you ignored them. I just want to let you know that.
No doubt I did.
I just want to point that out.
But I'm talking about a player that's on my team.
Okay.
He's been playing great basketball.
I'm just.
And I've been vocal.
I'm acknowledging the inconsistency here.
I've been vocal about how Jackson Hayes is good.
You said he's a good. You called him a good backup.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
He starts.
That being said, shout out to B-Ball Index. 90th percentile in rim protection, 95th percentile in help defense, 93rd percentile in post defense, and 95th percentile in screen rim defense. Nah. Whoa, Jackson Hayes. Who's calling him an elite player?
He's fake gonna have to play. Like
those
30
numbers
minutes.
say he's an elite
the whole
player.
thing you're saying is you're concerned about him.
In the playoffs.
I'm saying,
Yeah, for sure.
chill. I'm just saying, relax.
I think the Lakers are going to finish with the top 3 seed. I think it's going to be OKC, Denver, Lakers. I think that's the top.
It's not a bad take.
like in a matchup versus Yoke, it didn't matter who was going to be playing defense on him. He was going to kill.
That's a fact.
So you can't judge Jackson Hayes in the playoffs off that. I think against OKC, can he just do whatever we need him to do in terms of being a lob threat and being a rim protector? I think he can do that.
Based off what?
Off of what he's done this season.
What's up,
Have
B-Ball
you played
Index?
OKC yet? With
Yeah, we
Hayes?
have.
I'm sure you have.
No, as the starter.
With Chet and
No,
Hartenstein?
No, we haven't.
right. I'll
Well,
wait on
Chet has to be healthy, and Hartenstein also has
That's what I
to
was
be
about to say.
healthy.
With the, okay, I'll wait on that. I'll see.
I understand that.
Yeah, I'll see that, and then we'll talk.
Because Chet offensively,
He's gonna kill Jackson Hayes.
in theory, he
off
should.
the dribble.
He should.
Yeah.
He should.
I mean, he probably won't. Hayes probably won't guard him. You'll probably put like Vando
Is
on.
Chet this offensive guy?
I mean, before
He's
he
a
went
good
down to
offensive
injury,
player.
he was playing really well.
I agree with
He's
that.
a good offensive
I
player.
agree with that.
I mean, he can exploit mismatches, exploit much slower bigs. He
He
has
can
the
tackle
jump
off the
shot. He's gonna
dribble.
take you
I don't
out.
think Jackson Hayes is slow though.
I think he's slower than Chet. I think he's athletic, so he makes up for it with his size and verticality and stuff like that. But I don't think you'll put Hayes on him. I think you'll put like Rui on him.
Were you guys disappointed that OKC made no move?
Yes.
Yes.
I know their move was kind of we're getting Chet back
Get a knockdown shooter.
because he
man.
wasn't healthy all year long, but I kind of was disappointed in the fact that they didn't make a move at the
Just get a
deadline.
knockdown. Like
I
Cam
just don't
Johnson
know.
was right there.
Yeah, but who knows what the Nets are fucking asked for at this point, bro?
They have it, and they can give it up.
If
Like
they were-
OKC has all these
calm
picks.
down now.
No, I'm OKC has all these picks. You won't be able to draft those guys.
But to be fair, they have drafted and they've been pretty good.
I'm not saying they can't draft well,
Yeah.
but what are you stock holding 40 picks for?
Like, bro, this year they kept their first round pick and got Topic. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about.
It was a weak draft. I don't care.
I agree with that. But Topic, before he got injured, was going to be a top 2, top 3 pick.
Congrats.
I say that where they kept their first round pick, they still were able to finesse one of the best talents in the draft.
In a weak draft.
I agree with that, but even
Is he,
still,
on a
doesn't-
normal year, he doesn't go lottery.
I don't know. Topic was pretty great. He just can't shoot.
He's all right. I mean, like, it
He's
was
pretty great going downhill, great playmaker.
They have a lot of assets. I think
He
maybe
probably gets traded.
the only
That's exactly why you still need to use the picks.
Yeah, but you can still use them to get Cam. Like, if
But
they're
like,
asking
I'm
for
not
two
using
firsts,
2 firsts for Cam Johnson with
I
all due
would.
respect.
Teams over-
first
overpay.
is fine.
teams, you would
For Cam Johnson,
teams
it's
over.
If all they wanted was 2 firsts, because I don't know, I feel like the Nets, they asked for an arm and a leg for everybody.
You're
Teams
talking
overpay.
about 2 Quentin Grimes for Cam Johnson. I would do that.
How do you know it's 2 Quinn?
That's a
Grimes.
late first. A late
But it's
first.
not.
Well,
oh,
they have
wait.
so many
They
picks.
have-
It's not just their
That's
picks.
exactly
if
what I'm
it was
saying.
just the Thunder's pick, I'm sure they'd be like, "Oh, we'll give you 2 of ours."
OD. That's
But they have those. I'm sure.
They
I don't
do.
even think they win the
But I'm sure
conversation.
the Nets want some more high valued Clippers picks or
That's what,
whoever
would
else.
you do that for Cam Johnson? I don't know if I'm
I
doing
think
that.
Give a 2027
the
up.
2 ideas I came up with OKC maybe not
What'd you say,
making a
27?
trade is maybe OKC is just preparing for the contracts they're going to have to give up with this new CBA, and they're preparing for the world that we have to trade one of Chet and J-Dub because we cannot pay all 3 of these guys. So they need the draft capital
for a mega move.
to
Yes, they
have,
can.
or not the mega move, but they need the draft
They just be
capital
second apron team.
to.
Yeah, it's all
they
dependent
need
on
the
that.
draft capital to draft players that can fill in those roles potentially, so they can keep kind of resetting their salary cap and not going over the luxury tax.
Listen, if you OKC, you got those 3 dudes, you pay them. And you go over the second apron. If they're getting you far and they consistently
It's
getting you
easy to
deep-
say, but they're not a
No, that's what I'm
big
saying.
market.
If
ownership is cool with it, I would do
If
it.
ownership is looking at the team like we're making consistent
know,
WCFs finals
Sam Presti is the same GM that had to trade James Harden away because the ownership didn't want to dish out
with
$5
all
extra
due
million
respect.
dollars.
With all due respect.
Oh my god, I feel like it's gonna be disrespectful.
James Harden at that point,
Here we go.
He just wants $6 million a year, bro.
I would argue J-Dub and Chet are better.
No.
I'd argue.
That's what I think of that.
Yeah, I'd argue that
James Harden had.
Yes, I get he won 6 Man a year.
No, in the playoffs he was exceptional.
He was amazing
Against the Spurs. He was one of the biggest reasons why they won that series.
I'd argue they didn't know he was going to be an MVP caliber player at that rate.
Did
on
anyone?
top of that, nobody did.
I think we all
and
probably.
I think you can argue that J-Dub was better.
I mean, All-Star was definitely in the realm of possibility.
J-Dub just made it.
James,
now, whether we think he deserves it or not, different conversation.
No, James Harden, but I don't think the reason why they didn't keep James Harden was because they didn't want to keep him.
They picked a Bach over him.
Yeah, because they had to pay one of them because their ownership was cheap.
And they chose to pay Bach.
Or maybe this time they just make the right move.
But that's what I'm saying is that this time around,
or they learn from their mistake.
I don't think they made the same mistake.
Because Sam Presti he knows the ownership is cheap, he has to manage the salary better this time around, and that's why he's hoarding all these picks. The other reason is maybe the Nets just don't want to move Cam Johnson. Even if the asking price is too much.
They just gave Isaiah Hartenstein $28 million. I don't think they care
Yes,
too big
because
about...
they're not paying nobody right now.
Can I ask you, do you think that their plan, it could be, go into the second apron. We know it's going to cost us our first round pick years down the road. We have all these first round picks. Our plan is to stockpile our picks because we have so many other teams' first round picks that if it's going to cost us ours, we're going to be an amazing team regardless. It's going to be late draft pick either which way we shake it.
That's a possibility. I think it just all goes back to the ownership and what they're willing to spend.
I don't think they'll make the same mistake
If
twice.
they're willing to just spend on the team and keep on spending, then that's fine. But we just saw the Dallas Mavericks, and we're going to talk about it in a bit. They just traded away Luka Doncic, and there's heavy speculation that it's because the ownership, they don't want to pay him money.
Yeah, it's also a brain-dead organization.
But also, I mean, I don't know what their luxury bill is going to look like because you're going to have...
I don't think the Mavericks are a brain-dead organization. I think the new ownership is just cheap.
Brain dead.
No, the ownership doesn't care about basketball.
Because I feel like
is
Nico
cheap,
made
too.
too many good moves to make this stupid of a move right after, but that's a different discussion.
Yeah,
we'll
talk about it in a bit.
I think OKC, I don't know what their luxury bill will look like, but SGA is going to be like the super max. Are J-Dub or Chet going to get the super max? Like that's an all NBA team or all defensive or MVP. Chet hasn't been able to stay healthy to make those teams. Is J-Dub ever going to reach that level? Like they'll get a super max like the normal one, but not like the $300 million one Jaylen Brown got. And then on top of that, what role player, like comparing to the Celtics who have like a $500 million bill due, is getting like the $40 mil that Derek White got or the $35 mil that Drew got? I don't know if they have those role players that can get that top level of money. So maybe the bill's not as crazy as it is compared to some of the other teams around the league. Like the Suns, for example, who have to pay supermax with their big three.
I think probably was more likely just the Nets is like they kept Cam Johnson because even if you're tanking, you can't Cade Cunningham it and like you're just okay. You're coming to a situation where we have no NBA talent at all. So maybe they're also preparing for the fact that if they draft a player that's very high in the draft, let's say they draft Dylan Harper. He's always the example I use.
I think they're
now Dylan Harper goes into a situation where he has Cam Johnson and Claxton as teammates, and you're not starting off from complete zero.
I think they're just waiting. They're just doing what they did with Mikal. They're just trying to milk a team and get a team to bite, and then they get whatever they wanted because they waited with Mikal, and then they got a dumbass franchise to give them 4 first-round picks.
There will be a team that gets desperate
a team
at some
is
point.
eventually. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot you're a Knicks fan. There's a team that's eventually gonna overpay for Cam.
Well, I think the Mikal is different because it was the Knicks. It was New York. If this was the fucking Spurs or whatever, I don't think it's taking 6 first. But the fact that it's cross town rival is different.
They have Mikal already, man.
A lot of picks to give to a kid from Macau, but
it was nuts. It was nuts.
He's an exceptional player.
Exceptional. Just don't
We use that word a lot. He's a good player. He's a good player.
He's a really good
He's
player.
a fine player.
6 versus KD.
You know what I hate is when people are like,
1 first is Luka.
Yeah.
You got 5
and AD
firsts for Mikal and 1 first for Luka. It's like, all right, we don't have an Anthony
Mikal?
Davis
No, the AD
piece.
shit's funny.
AD Mikal straight up? I fucking shoot myself.
Yeah, we don't have one of those players. We just had to give up picks. The Dallas Mavericks are an absolute disaster. And I feel like we're seeing the first NBA franchise just crumble right before our eyes. They traded Luka Doncic, and maybe you could talk yourself into it being a worthwhile gamble, even though I think it's pretty hard to talk yourself into. It was one of the worst trades in NBA history. But now Anthony Davis is hurt, and he's going to be out at least a month. There's no timetable for his return. After the loss to the Kings, Jason Kidd did not give a post-game press conference, and according to a lot of the Mavericks beat reporters, it's the first time that they've seen a coach do that. It just feels like in Dallas, everybody's not on the same page, and we saw fans that are actively protesting in the arena get escorted out by security. It just feels like right now the Mavericks are complete chaos, And I mean, this is the reaction that the front office had to know was going to happen after trading Luka Doncic, and just the whirlwind of things kind of just feels like karma coming back to the franchise for being disloyal to one of the most loyal superstars in the league right now.
Yeah, it's tough. You just see a bunch of bad luck happening to a team that kind of, you already saw it this year, dealing with Luka's injury. Kyrie, PJ Washington, Daniel, Lively was in a boot.
Yep.
They've been dealing with constant nagging injuries. It kind of feels like this team never really has, we've seen them at full strength yet. And then you get AD, you make, your GM, whatever he is, should be on the street fired. He made the stupidest decision in sports history by trading his phenom for Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis is a great player. Now, it's unfortunate that Anthony Davis has to be a part of the worst trade in NBA history. But now Anthony Davis comes and you get a little glimpse of, oh, wait a minute.
It was dominant.
We look,
special.
and that was without Lively. It looks like a movie. Non-contact injury to the groin. Now he's up for a month. It's tough. Granted, you have the All-Star break, so it gives you maybe a week and some change to help that month. But this is a team that's kind of already stuck in the mud. They're in the playoff race. You don't know what you can. Maybe you can get healthy, win the play-in, play Houston in the first round. That could be something that you can maybe steal away. We've seen, over the last couple years, you could be a 7th seed, 8th seed, potentially upset a first seed, a 2 seed. It's tough, but it can be done. And Dallas is one of those teams where if they're healthy, they're a really good team in the West.
Oh, yeah.
It's just about getting healthy. I think this is, like you mentioned, this had to be what they expected. You see the protesting. You've seen people burning their jerseys. You've seen people, they're giving their tickets back, their season tickets. This has just been a travesty for Dallas fans. And I don't have any beef with Dallas fans. So there's, I don't really I feel bad for them because it's like, organizations can't be this stupid. Chicago Bulls has been one of the stupidest organizations the past 10, 15 years. I don't think they would do some shit like this.
They low-key let Michael Jordan walk.
That was different. He retired.
But because...
Well, I said last 15 years, but yes, they did let Michael Jordan walk after winning 6. That's a difference.
They didn't trade Michael Jordan at 25.
Yeah, they didn't trade Michael in 1988 after he won MVP,
You're
BPOY.
You're right.
That would have been like, what?
I'm with you.
So it's trading Luka, man, it's really a stupid-ass deal. And Dallas is just getting a bunch of bad luck after bad luck after bad luck, and I don't know when it's going to get better.
Now, I pray for Dallas fans. It really doesn't get as bad as this. You trade your superstar away. Anthony Davis comes in game 1, and he's playing like a superstar. We've seen Anthony Davis play like this all season, and right when you're starting to convince yourself, you're starting to, all right, maybe I can work with this. Max Christie's been playing awesome. Anthony Davis in his first game against Houston, who's been one of the best teams in the league this season, he looks dominant. He looks like he can't be stopped. And then in a blink of an eye, it's all over. I think you can't write a worse script than this for Dallas fans. And truly, Joel, your statement is 100% correct. How you can go from the cream of the crop, contenders, representing the Western Conference in the finals, to let's hope we make the play-in. Let's hope that we're good enough just to give ourselves a fighting chance at the end. Because if Anthony Davis needs surgery and he's out for the season's done. I'm not even thinking about the Dallas Mavericks rest of the season at all. Dallas fans have it worse than any other franchise because there is no team that has gone from we're legitimate threats to make the title, to win the title maybe, to are we even making the playoffs? Are we even going to be in an elimination type of situation in the play-in? To go from that to maybe we're a lottery team is ridiculous. And it's been unfortunate luck mixed with brain dead, painfully bad trades with what Nico Harrison did with trading away Luka Doncic. It sucks. It's horrible. Again, I say this with a Laker jersey on. I understand that I probably look like a hypocrite, but regardless, it's true. You don't need to not be a fan of the Lakers to understand that this was a pretty terrible, horrendous move.
Yeah, and last night's game, too. That was a game against the Kings that they were up in the fourth quarter. They were up, I think, as much as 10 points, halfway through. The Kings went to, this double big lineup with Valanciunas, and Sabonis was giving them some fits because Gafford got hurt in that game, too. So you're out Gafford.
He's out 2 or 3
Lively
weeks.
is, of course, out a couple of months. AD, Dwight Powell, when he comes back, if he comes back after the All-Star break, and they played some guy named Kylor Kelly, He played 1 minute last night. I don't know exactly when it was, but they don't have any bigs. Like that's the issue. They have no bigs right now. So when you look at the Western Conference, they're really stuck at like that 9-10 seed, and they have a decent chance of falling out and becoming the 11th seed or even the 12th seed with the way the Spurs have been playing with De'Aaron Fox. If you're playing 500 basketball the rest of the way, I don't know if the Mavericks can match that. Realistically, if you're going to be having all of these injuries to your bigs, it's going to be hard to play competent basketball. And I think Jason Kidd missing the press conference means something. I wouldn't be surprised if he resigned at the end of the season, because all of the shit that you have gone through over these last couple of weeks, from you trade Luka Doncic, you have these protests outside the stadium, people are holding coffins.
He did not agree with
this
that
is not what you
decision,
signed up for. This is not what you signed up for, even though he's had some ups and downs in Dallas. After last season, you're thinking it's year in and year out. Minimum, we're making the WCF. We got Luka, Kyrie. You bring in Najee Marshall this year, who's been fantastic. You got these bigs that have been working out so damn good. You're expecting year in and year out to be competing and making deep playoff runs. So I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the season we see a big shakeup in the coaching staff, because it's a really feels like it's only going downhill from here on out. And even since they traded Luka, the first game after that, they played Cleveland. Tough matchup. They got blown the fuck out. The game after, they played the Sixers. Lost to the Sixers. Then they had back-to-back huge wins. They beat the Celtics in Boston. Then they beat Houston. That was the game with AD. And it's like, okay, like maybe we're building something here. And then you lost last night to the Kings. So, I mean, I know, of course... Yeah, game winner too, which was just brutal, because DeMar did some stupid shit, try to take a layup instead of getting fouled, and then he hit the game winner stepping through a double team.
That move was fire.
Yeah, I mean, just a brutal way to lose, really brutal way. So I mean, obviously Dallas, a lot of Dallas fans don't even care about the wins and losses after the Luka trade, but now it just feels like it's only getting worse. And for an organization to be as good as they were a month ago, like if we would have done a GM ranking, Nico Harrison would have been in our top 10 comfortably. Maybe he would have been in our top 5 with the moves he's made these last couple of years. The more I think about it, the more it makes me think there's something behind the scenes that we don't know, because like Nico's been a successful guy. Like he's an executive at Nike. You know what I mean? Like he's the top 1% businessman.
He botched the Steph Curry interview.
He did do that. We all have our moments. He was part of that. He was part of that. I don't know if he was like the final decision maker, but he was part of it nonetheless.
Literally, the reason why he didn't get Steph, they said they spelled his name wrong.
Yeah, I remember reading those.
Called him Wardell. Yeah, and they gave him it was a dog shit like PowerPoint. It's a really bad.
Yeah, I mean, lost Nike probably billions of dollars. But then you go to the Mavericks, made some really good moves. So to make this move, I know we've talked about this fucking for 2 weeks straight now, but it's tough because the products on the court with AD, I think, could have been good.
Hell yeah.
I think you could have been a top 6 seed. You could have made the playoffs. You could have won a playoff series, because how big and physical and how great that defense could have been. You would have caused some real trouble in the Western Conference with the size you'd be able to put out there. But now with AD out for a month, Lively out for multiple months, Gabbard out for 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be really, really hard to stay within the top even 10 spots in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I think even if there was some animosity between Nico and Luka, you don't trade a player like Luka, and it does make you think about maybe things going on behind the scenes, because the governor of the Mavericks came out and he basically said, Shaq had conditioning issues, and he kind of threw a little bit of a jab at Luka. So maybe it's they didn't want to pay him, maybe it's they want to relocate. I don't know. It could be a lot of different reasons. But I feel like at this point where the Mavericks are, Jason Kidd, who knows what his long-term future is going to be. Kyrie Irving has a player option after this year. So if things are really a mess, he could leave as well. He has, free will to go wherever he wants. It kind of feels like the Mavericks, who own their 2025 first-round pick, the best option for them might be to just try to tank and get another franchise superstar. Like, honestly, like, that's the only thing you could do to save your franchise. Like, okay, maybe if we have all these injuries and we're going to be bad, let's try to not get the 13th, 14th, or 15th, 16th pick. Let's try to get within the top 10.
Let me throw a monkey wrench in. Let's say they do start losing, right? Let's say they get the number 1 pick.
Oh, Christ.
Let's say they get Cooper Flag. Now we're talking about AD, Kyrie, and Cooper Flag.
If Kyrie stays, but yes.
Let's say he stays. Let's say they win a ring.
Is Nico a genius?
He got Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag looks like a demon. Is he the genius again?
Now, I'm not going to lie. If the Mavericks, if they're in the lottery, and let's say they have like the 7th best odds, and they get the first pick,
it's rigged.
We know it's fixed, 100%.
We knew it was when
Victor got him.
Wemby went to Spurs.
People get on me in the comments for saying that shit, but bro, I'm sorry. How?
It's okay. Like, we get it.
The Nobody's Pistons, mad. Charlotte missing out on Wemby is ridiculous.
So if let's say Kyrie leaves, you got the first pick. You're going Cooper or Dillon?
I'd still go Cooper. Nah, I'll probably go Dillon.
You got to take Cooper because you could still.
You have AD, Lively, Gafford. I'll go Dillon.
You could play Cooper at the 3.
I don't think he's a 3. I think he's a
I don't
tweener.
think he's a 3 either, but you could play him at the 3.
I'm good with Dill.
I mean, I love Dillon.
Yeah, I think Dill could go 1. I'm cool with Dill. I think Dill right there. Now he got bigs he can run the pick and roll with.
Do you think they trade back one spot?
Fuck no.
Okay.
Fuck no. I mean, unless somebody really like.
That's what I'm saying.
Like Utah's 2.
If the Mavs straight up be like, yo, we're taking Cooper unless you want to trade up. Like, if you want him.
Who's 2?
That's
Like, I think Utah would trade up.
okay. Would the Blazers trade up? Yes.
I don't think the
But
Blazers
also,
would be
you
2.
don't really have.
I don't
like,
think so either. But
Just
I'm
gotta
just
give me a realistic.
would the
trade.
Hornets
ask you-
trade up? I think yes.
Yes.
So if let's say this season for the
shit to
Mavericks
trade,
is a wash,
Hornets.
and you need a player to build around for
Hornets.
the future,
Raptors.
how many players in this draft do you feel like is worth building around? 2? Just Dillon and Cooper?
Based off, because you have to think, this is like the Luka backlash. So it's just 2. Like, I ain't about to sit here and build around
VJ?
fucking Jeremiah Fears because.
Or Ace Bailey?
Yeah, respect to them, but like, you have to give me.
Fears is Arkansas?
Fears is Oklahoma.
Who am I thinking of Arkansas?
Arkansas is Boogie Flant.
Flan.
Yeah, but like, I just traded Luka. I need a dude. Like, respect to those guys. I think they can be dudes. I need a dude. So it's like them 2. It's Cooper or Dell.
And even if you get one of those 2,
still-
Mavs
Ace
fans
fell
really
off
don't
like
give a fuck.
that?
You know what I
Ace
mean?
needs the perfect
No, they
situation,
don't.
i.e. San Antonio.
What about VJ?
I love VJ.
His
Charlotte.
offense. Okay.
I love VJ.
Okay.
Charlotte.
What's his comp?
Victor
NBA
Oladipo.
comp. Okay, that's tough.
Victor Oladipo.
Okay.
I think that's a great comp. I think Victor Oladipo was an ascension to be an all-star. High
He
level.
was.
Yeah, injuries.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Injuries unfortunate. Victor Oladipo. I think VJ has a little bit more swag to him, like a little bit more ball handling than
Is it Brandon Miller-esque?
who?
VJ or no?
No. Brandon Miller, his comp in the draft, I don't think there is one. Maybe Ace. Like Ace has a little bit of Brandon in him.
Okay.
But VJ not. VJ is Victor Oladipo for sure.
Just straight athleticism.
Yeah, 6'4", really strong. Can
Mm-hmm.
jump out the gym, athletic. Jumper's starting to find its way. But yeah, he's good. There's a lot of guys that are really good. There's a lot of depth in this draft. But 2 solidified guys. I could see other guys
change
in
your
right,
team?
Yeah, I can see other guys in right situation can be some all-stars. But Flag and Dale, man, they just they make me nut, dude. They're so good, bro.
So the Rockets are now the 5th seed, and it's kind of been a tale of like 3 to 4 weeks where they had some major wins over the Celtics, over the Grizzlies, over the Cavaliers. They beat the top teams in the NBA. And then as of recently, they're losing to some bottom dogs. They lost to the Nets twice, and you're kind of wondering, okay, how serious is this team? But now falling to the 5th seed, and you have the Lakers with Luka. You have Memphis. You have Denver. They're playing really well. You have OKC. It's going to be very hard to climb up there. How much belief or how concerned are you for the Rockets being in this situation now, dropping a few games, having some injuries, and now having these other veteran, older teams established above them?
I think it's all right. I think it's fine. Understanding that this was a team that was early-ish, early to the sense where they were the number 2 seed. We never anticipated them to be one of the best teams in basketball, be one of the best teams going up against teams above 500. And this spell of games where they lost, they did beat Toronto the last time they played, but you lost to the Nets in a pretty terrible way.
It was their fault.
You lost because of yourselves. You shot yourselves in the foot, and D'Lo capitalized and hit the game-winning shot over you. You should have never lost that game. You lost by 1 point to the Grizzlies. You kind of got smoked out by the Wolves. You got to give the Wolves the respect. They definitely handled business there. But you still are early. We all talked about it at the trade deadline. Don't make a move. This is not a team that needs to rush their process. You still have nothing but young talent, young depth on this team. Let's see what they can do. If they fall out and they are, oh my God.
71. Is that with Atlanta?
29.
What
No,
does that
the
say?
Bulls in Detroit.
No, on the left, Detroit.
Jesus.
They have 30 points.
God. All right, maybe holding on to Vooch wasn't the worst thing. The
tank job is here.
You're cooking. So when you look at it from that lens, I think that this is all right. When you understand this is a young team, let's see what we can do in the regular season. If we're not a top 4 seed, I mean, let's be real. They're not better than the Nuggets. They're not better than the Lakers. They've gotten fortunate that they're playing great basketball, but on top of it, you have some teams that should be better than you that aren't playing good ball. The Suns coming in were supposed to be better. They're not. The Wolves, they're starting to trend in the right direction. You know, there's still some optimism there, but they didn't come out the way that we expected them to play. And then, of course, you have to give respect to the Grizzlies for coming back and just being healthy, but just being a different team offensively. This is, okay, It sucks. If you're a Rockets fan, you start to get hype. 2 seed, we can make things happen. We can be a legitimate threat.
ended quickly.
It fizzled out very fast. But this spell of games, you were going to go through a slide eventually, but it wasn't. The one loss that really hurt you is the Nets loss to both of them. But the one specifically where you should have
got
won.
blown out.
So how many teams below the Rockets in the standings are better than them?
I think the Wolves. I think that's the one.
The Clippers are better. Than
Okay,
Warriors
and
with
I
Jimmy?
respect the Clippers. Are they better though? With Kawhi, you're saying?
The Clippers are better than the Wolves.
I agree with that.
So if you said the Wolves are better than Houston,
What about the Warriors with Jimmy now?
I gotta say
gotta
they
see-
play against comp.
I gotta see some more. Yeah.
But Steph's back.
If
what's
Kawhi's
the-
healthy, the Clippers are better than the Wolves.
Like, what's the chances the Rockets fall to the play-in?
That's egregious.
They have a
So
3.5
far.
game lead. That's not that crazy.
No, I think it's that crazy. That's just assuming that this slump is gonna last for the rest of the season.
Well, it's just 2 seeds back.
Yeah, I listen.
And Sengun got
5-7.
hurt
I
with
get
a
it.
lumbar injury.
I get it. They've been on a little losing streak. I get it's good. I get we can overreact. They're a young team. They don't really have an identity on offense. They've been struggling. I think they have the All-Star break to bounce back. I think they've shown us for most of the year that they're a consistently good defensive team that prides themselves on that end, that they go into their identity. They've also been dealing with some injuries. I don't think they'll fall all the way to the play-in. I think they'll still hover around that 2 to 4 seed. They can still get the 2 seed. They can still drop to the 5. I think just because you're better than a team doesn't mean you're a better regular season team than that. I think Houston has shown that the way they win in the regular season works more.
It's like Boston and the Cavs.
They're 43 wins, brother. But I think Houston has shown they have a formula to win in the regular season. It's worked for the majority of the year. Now, have they cooled off a little bit? Absolutely. You lost some stinkers to Brooklyn. You did beat Toronto, and that was a struggle win.
Yeah, it really was
struggle
ugly.
Win. But also, you walked out there with Amon and Jalen Green as your best offensive players, and you needed some godly Cam Whitmore threes at the end of the fourth to really
For real, Jalen
win
Green
that game.
too, hitting some bullshit.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna overreact to Houston. I think they'll get right after the All-Star break. I do think they'll still be in that 2 to 4 race. I don't think it's a big drop off. I do think there's a lot of teams that you can say are better than them come playoff time, but in the regular season they've shown me consistently they've been a great team all year.
So you're telling me it's more likely that they finish within the top 5 than drop to the 7th seed?
I think they'll still finish in the top 5.
I think they'll finish within the top 6. Guaranteed top 6.
I think as long as they make the playoffs, you got to be cool with it. The fact that you were the 2 seed, like I know
Who's 6? Minnesota?
The Clippers?
Yeah.
Just had it up. I forgot
See,
what it
I
was.
don't like. Let me look at it real
I
quick.
think 7 is Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't like
6 is the Clippers.
Yeah, but they're like right there. Like the Clippers in Minnesota haven't shown me that they're super more consistent than the Rockets. Like the Minnesota had a streak where they've won 3, then lost 3, then won 3, then lost 3.
The issue
Like, that
with
was-
Minnesota though is that they their offense isn't good. At least we know night in night out they have one guy that can score consistently. The Rockets don't
that
have
has led
that.
them to 30 wins and
But they're starting to play
The
great
difference with the
basketball now.
Wolves is Rando's been out, but also Jalen Clark getting rotational minutes. He has been locking up
They
offensive
just lost
players.
by 30 yesterday.
Well, it's the
The
Cavs.
Cavs.
They play the Cavs.
I'm just saying,
That's fair.
Jalen
I
Clark.
agree with
Cavs are the Cavs.
Jalen Clark has been a lockdown defender for them. And he's
I
given
don't
them
even know how
such
many
a
games
boost.
he's played. I'll be honest.
He's
with you.
played maybe about 6, 7 now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's been recent, but once they've inserted him to the lineup, he's been the energy boost that they desperately needed.
I just think the 2 losses that stick out to me were the Nets game where fucking Amen throws it to D'Lo and he hits the 3. The other game was the Knicks game because they were up double digits in the fourth quarter,
Yeah, they got
early
2
in the
tough
fourth.
losses.
But that was a game they let up like 47
shouldn't have
points in the
lost
fourth
that.
quarter.
Yeah.
They let up like damn near the same amount of points in the fourth and did the entire first half. I remember after the game, Ime was pissed the fuck off. The next day, they were saying like, "Oh, Amen Thompson, he won Defensive Player of the Month for January," and he's like, "Oh, did you see him last night against Jalen Brunson? He wasn't Defensive Player of the Month."
Oh, shit.
That shit was funny, but. I mean, they have 7 guys in the rotation who are 23 and younger. And this is like such a young team that coming into the year, I remember I was like, I think they could make the playoffs. They could be the 6th seed. Like, I think they have a really good chance. So when they came out and they were the 2 seed, you're like, all right, let's slow it
is
down.
crazy.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think at some point they were bound to regress, but it was just the fact that they've lost like 6 in a row before they won.
Well, they come
That's
out
just a
when they
ugly
come
look.
out from the well, they got Phoenix on Wednesday. Then they come out from the All-Star break. So to finish off February, they have Golden State, Minnesota, Utah, Milwaukee, San Antonio. So that
I'd
end of
argue Phoenix
February.
low-key.
I think they have the 10th or 11th easiest schedule remaining left.
But that end of February is going to tell us a lot about this team.
But in the last 10 games, they're 4-6, and they're 19th in offensive rating. Never been a great offensive team, but they're 19th in defensive rating. Yep. And that's really the thing. Their defense hasn't been the best in these last 10 games. And their effective field goal percentage ranks 28th in the league. Yeah. You know, this isn't a team that's taken a lot of great shots. So I think with that type of offense, really not being able to consistently score, it just makes it very difficult.
No slight to Dylan Brooks because I think that he's played, considering his role, excellent basketball. The fact that Dylan Brooks is your best three-point shooter, it tells you where you need to go. And again, Dylan Brooks has been really good.
It's a process.
I think it's just make the playoffs, be competitive in the first round, and then go from there. I think
if they drop out the top 6, I look at it with the way they started, I'd be disappointed. If I'm on their
I agree with that.
Like, dude, we started really hot. We lost ourselves. No, make the top 6. Nobody's asking you to go out there and be world beaters. Just
it's
make
like the anti-Celtics in 2020.
It really is.
What you mean?
Celtics started off like shit. Got hot. Now they start off.
Because they remind me of those Toronto teams that offense was kind of in the mud, but defensively they were really, really elite. So
and then Toronto got Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
And that changed everything. Now, we had a major matchup in the East this past weekend. The Knicks and the Celtics played.
That was major?
And yeah, it was. It was supposed to be major.
I was locked in.
The Celtics beat the Knicks pretty handily. And I think, you know, that now poses the question if the Knicks have what it takes to dethrone the Celtics this year.
But why did you ask this question when you have vocally said you don't stand a chance against them?
I think the better question is, do they have enough to even beat the Cavs or Milwaukee? That's where we need to start having conversations.
They could be Milwaukee.
They can. But
they could be Milwaukee.
Let's start having real conversations, Dels. Walk with me real quick. Let's walk. Let's go down this path.
Should we hold hands?
Through. Walk with me down this path.
I'm ready. Last time I didn't, so I'm here.
Walk with me down this path. You have the Knicks, the New York Knicks. You get a new shiny toy in the block this offseason. You get Mikal Bridges. You bring in Karl-Anthony Towns. Your starting 5 is beautiful offensively. It's fucking perfect.
It sucks.
Defensively, you have some issues with cat and drop, cat and switches, cat at the rim, just cat. Right. So being as if you have some issues with cat, there's going to be some trouble. Now, I pose this question because we all are basketball guys. We all know basketball. I would say we are high intellect guys of the game. Other people may disagree. I don't. Now, playoff time is a different atmosphere than the regular season. We like to laugh at those teams like Indiana and Detroit come playoff time. And to a degree, Orlando, they look a little funny right now. But we really want to lock in on those 4 teams. Boston, Cavs, Bucks, Knicks. Right. Knicks, Bucks. The Bucks are shooting a high percentage from the three-point line. The Bucks have Damian Lillard, who loves, what does he love? The pick and roll. And who is god-awful in the pick and roll? That would be bingo number 1.
They can't guard us.
They can't guard you. But I don't think.
Can't guard each other.
I do not think you can guard them.
I think we have better defensive personnel.
You have better defensive personnel against Dame. But then when he gets a switch, it gets dark. When Cat gets in foul trouble, it gets dark. When Cat gets in his head, it gets dark. The Knicks don't play 8 guys. The Knicks will go with their 6 or 7 guys. Milwaukee doesn't have to worry about a bench. So I pose this question for you two guys, because you're a Knicks guy, you might be a little biased. So I pose it for you two guys. Playoff matchup in a series, is it really crazy to think Milwaukee could beat New York? I don't think so, considering what we've seen from Cat and the matchups. That's just me, though.
Before we go, is Mitchell Robinson going to play this year?
I don't know. They keep
not that we can't really rely on him at this point. But
say 50-50.
There's varying information on him, but really, I feel like this season is becoming a nightmarish season just because of the injuries. Because OG Anunoby's hurt right now. Josh Hart, there was reported that he's gonna have a surgery on his knee, that he's gonna play through it this year, but in the offseason he's gonna think about having a surgery on his knee just to clean some stuff up. And then the Mitchell Robinson news, of course. I think the Knicks are the 3rd best team in the East. I mean, do you guys think differently? I think they're better than Milwaukee. I think the only 2 teams in the East that are better than the Knicks are the Cavaliers and the Celtics.
Yeah, I think it's close because Milwaukee, I think just matchup based, I don't think either team can really stop each other. That's the case where I trust Tibbs over Doc Rivers a bit more just in that matchup to be able to make a couple adjustments.
That's 100% fair.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough because the Knicks are third seed in the East right now. There was a time, if they would have beat Boston, they would have been a half game between the 2 seed, right? They would have been right there. But when they have played the top competition in the East, when they have played Cleveland, when they have played Boston, they really haven't stood a chance. Those 2 games against Boston have been just brutal. I know some of it is just like some shooting variance, right? Like the Boston has been shooting the lights out against them. But when, at least in this past game, Boston was just constantly getting Jalen Brunson and Cat and pick and rolls and constantly get them into actions, and they were able to destroy them. The first play or the second possession of the game, Jason Tatum just straight up crossed Cat, dunked the ball, and that was basically what they were doing all game long. And once Tatum's pull-up 3 starts to fall, it's damn near impossible to guard him. And in the playoff series, 7 games, that's going to constantly be the thing. I just don't know if there's really any sort of counter that the Knicks have to that. Even if Mitchell Robinson comes back, it's hard to rely on a guy who hasn't played basically all season to come in biggest moment of your life against Boston or Cleveland and expect him to be able to just all of a sudden shut down and be able to really change a playoff series. So I think what you said in the beginning of the season was right. Like, you made an all-in move to get Mikal Bridges, and you made another all-in move to a lesser extent because there wasn't 6 first-round picks to go and get Karl-Anthony Towns. It's like, this is our 5. This is who we're going with, right? Like, this is the team we will have for the foreseeable future. Is this going to be enough to get past Boston? And now the way Cleveland's playing to get past Cleveland. And right now, I think we're seeing the defensive deficiencies really show up. Because offensively, you guys could be up there with everybody in the NBA. You guys could have the number 1 offense in the NBA in my mind. And you've had stretches where you've been that damn potent. But having Cat out there with Jalen Brunson, even if you have OG, Mikal, and Josh Hart, if you have 2 guys who are defensive liabilities and you're just constantly be able to switch them on, and now you have Jalen Brunson and Cat in all of these actions, it's going to be easy to get some good looks constantly if you're the opposing offense. So it's tough because I think the Knicks have a really good roster. You just have 2 teams, in my opinion, that are clearly above them.
You look at the Celtics. To me, when I talk about the Knicks, I don't put the 2 together. I think the Celtics are just a better team, more well-rounded, more complete, both sides of the ball. I just trust the Celtics starting 5 with their depth that they have more than the Knicks. That's just what it comes down to. When it comes to talking about the other teams, this is where we can have legitimate conversation. The Knicks and the Cavaliers, it's funny because, again, when the Knicks have met up with the Cavaliers, we've seen them play good basketball in years past. But this is a different Cavaliers team. It's different offensively, way different offensively. We're talking about one of the best offenses in basketball. And then defensively, you know what they give you on a night in, night out basis. We're seeing the best Evan Mobley we've seen so far. Darius Garland's back to form. You just brought in DeAndre Hunter. This is all while Donovan Mitchell has now taken a new role of understanding I could take a little bit of a backseat to these guys because these guys are great basketball players. They're playing elite level basketball. And so when you look at it from that lens, I don't think that the Knicks would hang with the Cavaliers this season. I don't think that. Now, when it comes to being the 3rd or the 4th best team, it's tough because I think Giannis absolutely destroys the Knicks. I think he could average 35, 38 points in that series. I think he genuinely can have that level of impact if Mitchell Robinson's not healthy, and 2, if Karl-Anthony Towns is a defender on him. Because then now you legitimately have to hope and pray that any type of combination of Cat, OG, Mikal, of trying to build some type of wall or throw Josh Hart down there because, of course, you know that he's hanging around the rim as well. You have to hope and pray that you can stop Giannis. And then now I think you can match up well against Dame because you do have the perimeter defenders to limit him. But the way that he's been playing basketball this season, what makes me think that he won't show up? So that's where it's tough because I think that star power right there, just with those 2 alone, and getting Cat into these tough situations where you are going to have to guard Giannis. You're going to have to try your best to limit him to any type of extent. And I don't see that being the case. What is the silver lining?
OG probably has to guard Giannis.
That too. But even still, I love OG and what he can do on the defensive side. You're not stopping Giannis.
I think the Knicks have built on defense a breadless sandwich to where, the ham and the lettuce and the tomato are the wing defenders with OG, Mikal, and Josh Hart.
You got no bread.
And then the bread is the foundation. That's your guard. That's your point of attack defender, and that's your rim protector. The Knicks don't have that. No, I don't.
They have the point of attack. Wouldn't you call that OG?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that the head of it.
OG's more of a wing defender.
I think
he can do point
you
of attack.
You can get away with Brunson's defensive deficiencies if you have an elite rim protector behind him.
For sure.
But you look at the Knicks this year. This is what's the most concerning part about them.
If you had a guy like Hartenstein, it'd be awesome. I do think offensively, this team can hang with anyone.
It just sucks because Hartenstein, the Knicks were going to pay him, but they could only offer him so much. Like they were restricted with how much they were able to offer.
Fuck him.
CJ McCollum.
So bottom 10 teams, the Knicks have the 8th best defensive rating. against the middle 10 teams, they have the 25th ranked defensive rating. Against the top 10 teams, they have the 27th ranked defensive rating. So this is a pretty awful defensive team against any good offensive team. And Karl Anthony Towns, in the 3 games that he's played against the Celtics and the Cavs, 11 points, 9 rebounds, 60% true shooting. He's efficient, but he's only taken 8 field goal attempts per game. And people will make some excuses. Knicks fans have written to me, and they've had some excuses for Cat where, the first 2 matchups, he wasn't really integrated into the offense. And then this past matchup against the Celtics, he's playing while he's hurt. He has 30 right now against, I forgot who we're playing
Pacers.
right now, but against the Pacers.
Yes.
He has 30 right now. He's 31-7 last time I checked. So you're not about to tell me about the injury stuff when a couple days later he's dropping 30. I think the difference is the defense that he's going up against. And this is my biggest concern with Cat, is that I know he's an excellent offensive player, but he, in big-time games, tends to disappear. And that's why I felt like Anthony Edwards and him were the perfect pairing, and why he needed a guy like Anthony Edwards is because Anthony Edwards is, for the most part, not going to disappear in those moments like that. He's going to take over. He's going to bring that energy. And for the Knicks, that player is Jalen Brunson. But in order to make a finals run, we need Cat to be able to be the second best player on a championship team. And right now, he just hasn't been able to show that against the top teams. And then defense is a concern. Like, people are going to say that the Knicks window is open 3 to 4 years from now. And we do have these guys locked up. But if it's the same 5, then the chances aren't getting any better. If this is the same 5 the Knicks roll out for the next 3 to 4 years, this is about where the Knicks are going to be. The 3rd, maybe 2nd best team in the East.
If this is the 5 you run out, but you actually have depth and they don't have to play damn near 40 minutes a game, I become a lot more optimistic. If you could tell me Mitchell Robinson's going to be healthy, which you can't, I would feel optimistic. If you tell me we have a backup wing, I could feel optimistic. If you tell me we have a backup point guard not named Deuce McBride, I could feel optimistic. I think Deuce is a great player.
But even with the depth,
you feel better.
In the playoffs, it's
condensed.
our 5 against your 5. Who has the better 5 for the most
You really
part?
need a rim protector.
To be honest, though,
That's what I really think you need.
I don't this is a fact. You need a rim protector. And if you have
get a
Mitchell,
rim protector, though, it takes out something in that starting 5.
I agree.
Take out
But
Josh
I think
Hart.
the offense would still be fine regardless.
that's tough. But I don't.
But
That's
Josh
not
Hart,
wrong.
Josh Hart does feel like the player that needs to be sacrificed in order for this team
You
to
lose his
realize
defense,
its window.
his rebounding,
energy.
his
The energy.
And that's the thing, and that's why last year's Knicks I felt like was the perfect combination. Maybe they wasn't the most talented, but
they
you
fought.
had Josh Hart, you had Hartenstein, you had Dante, who they all brought so much energy to the team that you felt like maybe they had a chance.
If you just brought Mikal and OG to that roster,
For real.
And you had Hartenstein? Oh, yeah, it
that's
changes.
a team
It changes.
right there. Like, yeah, you may not have that number 2 guy. Yeah, you may struggle sometimes, but Lord knows defensively, you're in every game.
Yeah, it's
and
either,
there was just a lot of picks to give up from Mikal. You know, it's
There's a
5
ton.
first-round picks. I know they might
Even
be
if
late
you don't
first
get
rounders.
Mikal, you keep Hardenstein. You can even bring in Cat. That's still
Hell
fire.
yeah.
You know, like I told
Because
you,
you could play Cat and Hartenstein together on the court.
it just sucks. You know, the NBA, CBA fucked us with not being able to bring back Hartenstein. Because it's so stupid because the Knicks signed Hartenstein to a great deal and found a diamond in the rough. They did such a good job scouting that when his contract came up and he's playing so well, they could only offer him a certain amount of money, but any other team could offer him more money than the Knicks, the team that found him originally. It's dumb as hell because we would have kept Hartenstein if it wasn't for that rule, like 100%.
Yeah.
And I felt like he would have completed the team.
Yeah, I think the only way the Knicks make a run these next few years is if you have some injury to Cleveland or Boston. Like if you have, you go on a run where, God forbid, something happens to one of those stars and you get an easy run and all of a sudden you're in the NBA Finals. Because if not, it's hard to see the way Boston's 5 is, the way Cleveland's 5 is right now, the coaching they have, the depth that they have, that there's going to be a world in these next couple of seasons to be able to beat them.
Cleveland just runs the simplest stuff. It's pick and roll action. Find your shooters. Run the high low. Cat's gonna struggle. Cat ain't gonna be able to do what he could do in that series. So listen, man, it's tough, man. I'm sorry.
Now we have 2 news in the NBA that are pretty notable. All-star replacements. Kyrie is replacing
Shout out to
Anthony
him.
Davis. Giannis is not going to be in the All-Star game. He's getting replaced by Trae Young. Domantas Sabonis got snubbed from being snubbed. He got double snubbed in this. You needed a big man, and it's Kyrie. Sabonis having an excellent season, so is Kyrie. So, it makes sense. And the other news is that The Raptors have signed Brandon Ingram to an extension, 3 years, $120 million. So through the next 2 seasons, they're paying Scotty $40+ million. They're paying Ingram $40 million. They're paying Quickly $32.5 million, and they're paying RJ Barrett around $27 million.
That was cheaper than the 4,200.
Yeah.
So they are allocating $140 million to Ingram, Scotty, RJ, and Quickly. And as reported by Shams, the reason why they wanted Brandon Ingram was to bring a playmaker into the roster, and that's why they wanted him on the team.
I don't hate that. Understanding Brandon Ingram is an amazing playmaker for his position. It's just the lack of spacing for me that is the real issue when it comes to looking at this team. But if you have Scotty playing the way he played tonight, calm 36 on Philadelphia's head top, calm, so calm. You can still have a great offensive output, but we still need spacing on this team. I don't know. The roster still is an interesting one for me. I obviously understand that this team is pieces away before we really talk about them in a serious light. But I don't hate this contract. You got Brandon Ingram for a low price at the trade deadline, but it is $40 million. But in the grand scheme of things, $40 million is the same amount of money that Fred VanVleet's getting paid. And you've heard me talk about Fred VanVleet. I don't like him. I don't think he's a good basketball player. He provides a nice amount on the defensive side, whatever. Offensively, he's a negative.
He got that 42 years ago at this point.
Exactly. So you're looking at that in that lens, that's a win. So that's something that you can be excited about. Maybe Scotty can now focus a little bit more on the defensive side too, on top of obviously giving you his offensive output. But the ball will primarily be in Brandon Ingram's hands. And also with how you've been unable to rely on Emmanuel quickly staying on the court, at least recently. I know he's back, but now you have another guy that can handle the ball. And I think that every team realizes you need more than one playmaker, more than one ball handler. And that's what Toronto did. So for that, I'll give them their acknowledgement. I'll give them their praise. I'll say this. I do like the contract for Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, he's making around like the 42nd in terms of AAV, like 42nd. He's around guys like Gobert and Franz and like Desmond Bain. So I feel like contractually, like you said, Drew, it feels fine, right? Like we saw when we did the last show that he was eligible with the Pelicans for like 5 years, $200 million. But that's because he was there for a couple of years and bird rights, so you could go up and whatever it is. So I feel like just numbers wise, it's fine. It does feel like the Raptors have to make a move. I don't know how you can just be like, okay, this is going to be basically this is going to be our core four, and this is what we're going to run into for these next couple of seasons. I don't know if it's a move they make at the deadline next season or in the off season, but to have Brandon Ingram, RJ, IQ, Scotty, Jakob, it's just a collection of like good players.
Strong mid.
Strong mid. And in the Eastern Conference, strong mid can really get you the 6 or 7 seed. So
you got a guy.
If that's what Scotty.
What?
Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying if you got a guy like Detroit, you can get to that.
That's what. But exactly, Detroit was the worst team in NBA history last year. Now they're a 6 seed.
Bro,
so Eastern Conference.
I'm saying Toronto
I don't
has
like
a
your
guy.
energy.
And honestly, the way that Toronto's been these last couple of years, if the goal is like, let's just be competitive again, let's get into the play-in again, let's make the playoffs again, and we'll kind of go from there. I mean, is it something that I would be looking forward to? If like I was a GM, this is my game plan. I don't know. But again, these are GMs and ownership groups that got to sell season tickets and concessions and ticket sales to be the bottom 5 seed 4 years in a row. It's not something you really want to do. So you get Brandon Ingram for, a nickel on the dollar.
Type shit. They got 2 top 5 guys in their team, top 5 draft picks. They got
kind of
guys.
been a
Scotty
team
Barnes
that
outperformed Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey tonight.
Whoa. What's going on?
You are attacking him.
I feel like the Raptors are just one of those teams that they just buy low on people. And
buy low on guys
before Kawhi Leonard got traded to the Raptors,
top 5 pick.
you look at who their team was.
Be grateful that Kate Cunningham finally figured out how to play basketball. Be grateful.
That's all I'm gonna say.
The duo the Raptors built their team around for a decade was DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry was signed from another team and he blossomed in Toronto.
Houston, baby.
Yeah. So what if Ingram has a similar resurgence to where he's always been a great player, but maybe a team is really building around him? Because with the Lakers,
I don't know, man.
He was always used as trade bait, and he finally figured it out because he was underwhelming to begin with. And then with the Pelicans, it was kind of the Zion show. This is his show. He's going to be the guy.
Now it's the B.I. show.
And now it's, Brandon Ingram's going to have his own team to. Really, it depends on how you feel about Scotty Barnes. I think Brandon Ingram is a better player than Scotty Barnes. I think he's more talented.
Pick a side right now, Riv. What is it? What's the side you're picking? Is Scotty Barnes good or not? I'm
Is
tired
he
of this.
good or not?
Yes.
Is he
That's
good enough
fucked
to
up.
build around?
Oh, fuck no. No shot.
How many
in hell.
players are good enough to build around?
Nah,
in
he's good. He's
actuality?
Andre Iguodala.
Okay.
That's him. Solid. Nothing wrong with that.
I just think the Raptors looked at their
Scotty or
team.
Franz?
Franz. I don't like either one.
Franz is really good.
Because I'm a Cade guy. I got to be on the opposite side.
But the
would you
Raptors kind of
stop?
just they said to themselves that, okay, we don't think a top 5 pick is enough of an injection of talent to this team for us to make a major leap next year. But if you add a top 5 pick to this roster with an all-star in Brandon Ingram,
gotta move
you
RJ.
could sell yourself on
Because
it.
if you get an ace, where does he, you know what I'm saying? Where does he fit?
Or if you Dylan Harper, Edgecombe,
Well, you could easily move IQ to the bench. I think IQ is the easiest guy. If you get a guard, hey IQ,
That's
you've done it before.
$32.5 million off
It
the
is,
bench.
but you've done it before, so it's like, yo, bro, like slide to the bench.
Yeah, I think RJ is probably the toughest sell because of his spot-up shooting ability. It's too sporadic, but the Raptors, I'm curious to see how they're going to build this team around. Who is it going to be? Is it going to
$32
be?
million off the bench crazy?
Yeah, it is. Really
But
good.
probably the
Hardenstein's
highest
going
paid
to make
6 man.
$30 million off the bench when
He'll probably
holding
start.
out.
I think
But he's a
gonna start.
starting
He's at
caliber
28.
player.
Is he that?
Regardless, 28, around 30 million.
He's so much more valuable than IQ.
I agree,
Yeah.
but I'm saying he's coming off the bench when it's the regular starting 5.
Yeah, I get.
That's all I'm saying. Doesn't really like 30 mil in today's NBA. It's not insane.
It's pretty bad off the bench. Yes,
It's probably your most expensive 6 man.
yeah,
I mean,
easily.
You're fucked.
Bradley
Bradley
Beal's
Beal.
making 60 M's off the bench.
Well,
Him and
Bradley,
Scotty conversation.
it's that's
Yeah,
not a
I
team
mean, I don't
stress kind
think
of like
That's
that.
good.
IQ's a negative player. By
if
any
you're
means.
telling me that Scotty is on the level of a guy making $60 million, that's
Yes,
a win.
he
But this
Bradley
is under
Beal's
the
level.
assumption that they get a guard in the draft, and they might not. They might get a forward in the draft, another one they might add to
Jeremiah
it.
Fears, welcome.
It's
to
just
Toronto.
really who are they building this team around offensively, really? Because I know Scotty, you could argue he's the most talented player all around, but Ingram is the best offensive player on this team. And I think if you want to have maximum success, you have to build around Ingram's skill set. And it's good to have one non-shooter in Scotty. You need some more non-shoot. You need some more shooters. Yeah, and
Respectfully, I don't want Ingram's the better player now, better offensive player now,
Probably ever.
but I don't want to build around him.
I don't think
I don't
Scotty
want to build
could-
around Scotty either.
I don't know if Scotty
I'd rather
could
try
be,
to build around Scotty.
I don't
than
think
Ingram.
Scotty could be the offensive player Ingram could be from a shot creation standpoint.
Yeah, but I
not
think
his
I just potential wise, I'd rather see what I
No,
have.
the guy you're gonna build around is the guy you're gonna pick in his draft next year.
That's fair.
This year, this offseason. Scotty's the guy you bring in to complement that guy. No offense to Scotty. Scotty's a great player. Never doubted that. However, would you rather? A fun one, actually.
Scotty?
No, that one's boring.
That would have been hilarious.
However, would you rather than the guy that's been playing really well? lately?
Austin Reeves?
No. Here we go. Scoot motherfucking Henderson.
Okay.
I have one now. We have we're a reactionary podcast. Everybody tells us that, So Scoot's playing well, so we gotta have a reactionary would you rather on Scoot.
Here we go.
So here we go. Would you rather Scoot Henderson edition, new edition, because he is playing really well.
So random.
First thing I was thinking about it, and I was just like,
It's not random. We don't have a Trailblazers
I know, but just we were talking
topic.
about the
And they've
Raptors.
been
No,
playing great.
as I was on my phone, I was like writing down
Okay,
names,
okay.
So would you rather Scoot Henderson
You're
edition?
spitting. This was mad
First
random.
name up, Anthony Simons.
Simons.
Anthony Simons.
Simons,
You can think of potential here. You can
Yeah.
think of whatever you want.
Simons
to
has been hooping.
yeah, Simon's a better player.
Okay. Number 2, Brandon Miller.
Miller.
Give me Scoot.
Oh,
Give me Scoot.
Is he back?
He's
Oh,
back.
man.
Come
And
on.
he's thinking. Dels is the thinker here.
I don't know because Brandon he's just missed basically the whole season.
You know.
He's been inefficient.
He
Bro. That's a nice polo hoodie too, by the way.
Thank you, bro.
OD.
I like Brandon
swag.
Miller. I like Brandon Miller.
Does he remind you of the Jays?
I just always gravitate towards bigger, you know what I
That
mean,
reminds you
wings
of the
more
Jays.
for sure.
Huh?
Yeah. Who do you pick, brother?
I said Brandon.
Oh, you didn't
Yeah.
actually.
I said
Oh,
I like Brandon more.
He
Anthony
did say
Black.
that. Wait, who would you pick?
What? What's who?
Brandon and Scoot.
Ooh, baby.
My dog.
Anthony Black.
Scoot.
I'll take Scoot.
You fell off?
Well,
Scoot's
no, he
always been a
never. I was
better
going to
prospect.
say he never said OD. It was always Eamon.
I just thought you were gonna go.
But Anthony Black's not. He's not been playing well.
Eamon Thompson.
I mean,
Oh,
Amen. I'm sorry.
Amen.
Asar Thompson.
Asar.
What's the conversation? He's been playing really well.
No, defensively, yeah, he's great.
No, offensively.
Nah, he's figured it out
he's
recently.
figured it
low
out.
Key.
All right, I'll
I'm
take
going
your
with
word for it.
Ooh. I like that. We get some parity here.
I like that. I don't mind it.
Now, Dels, create more parity.
Shows me where you're at.
I think I go Scoot.
I like that.
Go Scoop.
I go
all right,
Scoot.
all right, cool. Asar's,
The fact that I'm the one that took Asar is kind of nuts.
Asar's better
Yeah.
than Brandon, but we'll have that conversation later down the road.
Oh my God, he's kind of cooking.
Jalen Green.
Scoot. I don't think Jalen Green's that good, bro.
How the mighty have fallen.
I think I'll take Scoot too.
Jalen's a funny guy. Think of Scoot with
He's
Jalen's.
not better than Jalen Green.
he's just
He's
too
not better than
inefficient.
him
Think
yet.
of Scoot with Jalen's green light. What does he look like?
Oh my
Probably,
god.
I mean, is he taking the same shots as him? Like the exact same shots? He's
Nobody
gonna be
takes
inefficient.
Jalen Green shots other than Kyle Kuzma.
I don't know. I'd rather bet on the lead guard who has high
Kuzma's
upside
crazy.
playmaking abilities than just a shot chucker, honestly.
Damn.
Is he just a shot chucker, Drew? You know, me,
Jalen
we be
Green's
locked in.
playmaking is what y'all think Anthony Edwards' playmaking actually
No,
is.
we actually.
I mean,
no,
what-
Jalen Green's playmaking is actually bottom 10 in the league.
Yes.
Like, I will never even disrespect anything like that. That's fake crazy. He doesn't even pass it.
Sorry, does have 6 straight games, 10+.
Yeah, I know. You ain't been locked in. You supposed to be a. Yo, you said you was a cave guy.
Come on, he's done. He's done.
I'm not locked in. I'm sore.
Hey.
Hey,
sorry.
Jesus.
Because when it's the sore, I'm just thinking defense. I'm locked in. I'm not really
See,
like puts
stop
up a little,
guessing.
puts up like 12.
Watch
I'm like,
some
oh
fucking
shit.
film, Dels. Now answer the question.
I got locked in.
on
Watch.
the
I'm gonna
ball.
watch next game. Put up
Drew,
4.
you know we've been tapped in on Houston. Tell me, is
dude.
Jalen Green just a shot chucker?
Yes.
Oh, he does.
what he
Has
does.
he been playing defense?
Yeah, no, he has.
The effort's there.
No, it did, but Scoot also has been showing a ton of effort. on
Scoot, you saw what
defense.
Chauncey said, and Scoot's
Nah,
like, I
it
took that
moved
personal.
Moved me.
It moved me too. Tremendously.
Where are you going?
I'm going Scoot. I didn't think. Actually, I
didn't think?
No, it was very easy for me.
I love Jalen. I
know you
love
do.
Scoot. Can I pass on this?
Can I pass on
Okay,
this?
you can pick Scoot, bro.
I'm gonna. I'll take Scoot.
Jaden Ivey, somebody who was playing really well this year, unfortunately got hurt.
Yeah.
I'll go with Jaden Ivey.
I'll take Jaden Ivey as well.
So you're taking Jaden Ivey over Jalen Green?
I would take
Unfortunately.
Next name, Dyson Daniels, somebody who offensive potential we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Scoot.
I think I would take Scoot just upside.
A defensive machine.
I don't know,
defensive
man.
dog,
Dyson
for
is
sure.
fucking first team all defense.
I agree.
Damn.
You said Scoot?
Yes.
Doug,
took
you also
Scoot,
said Scoot?
yeah.
Scoot's getting some love here. 4 months ago, we probably would have took everybody over Scoot.
Wow, this one's hard. I respect his defense. Dyson's defense is OD.
It's all about his potential is all offense.
It
What
is
do you
about
think
the
he could be?
potential. The potential, you know me with Scoot. I think
He
go to
screams
Scoot.
to me.
Wait, if we're going off potential, I'm taking Scoot over Jaden.
You do whatever you
But
want.
Jaden this year, before the injury, was playing excellent.
It's would you rather. You do whatever you want.
I would rather Scoot Henderson.
There we go. Jordan Poole.
Scoot Henderson. Don't come on.
Hey, he's been playing better than Jalen Green.
Yeah, I was saying Jordan
By
Poole's been
far.
playing really well this
I
year.
don't care.
I know you don't, but you got to admit
If the
it.
Rockets had Jordan Poole,
Don't fucking dab that. Ugh.
He's a.
they might still be the second seed right now.
Yo, talk your shit, Baba.
When maybe if Alperen Şengün had any type of resemblance of consistency on
He's
the
been
offensive
hurt.
side, he got hurt yesterday.
No, he didn't play. Part of the,
No, he missed,
some of
he
their
missed the
losses,
Raptors
he
game.
missed some games.
He missed the Nets game too. One of the Nets.
he
games.
One of
got
the Nets
hurt
games-
in the Raptors game. He played in the Wolves game. I can tell you that.
One of the Nets games, he
Played
had
the Knicks
24
game
and
too, right?
20.
Yeah.
Eamon had a triple double in the garden.
What was the question here?
Jordan Poole.
Hell yeah.
Hey, Dels, walk with me.
I could walk with you. I could walk with you. I could.
Hold on. This is a monumental moment. Dels, look at the picture. Dels, walk with me.
You've
right.
been glazing him these last couple.
has
You
to.
have been glazing him too.
I'm taking Jordan Poole. Don't ask me on March 1st what the answer is.
Oh my god.
He's a sicko.
No,
you
bro,
taking?
it's disgusting.
I'm gonna go with Jordan Poole. I'm a fan of Jordan Poole.
What? It's you, bro. You're the hater, bro. Walk with us. How do you like Jalen Green and not Jordan Poole? Genuine question.
It's a great
Like,
question.
genuine.
You and I have beef.
Yeah, but the
And I
swag,
won.
The swag.
What?
Reeves versus Poole,
Hey,
and I won.
Poole
is back this year.
I think Jordan
Reeves
Poole.
never left.
Jordan Poole
That's
is
the difference.
closer
Reeves has gotten better, yeah.
to.
What
He's
has a
closer
rank?
to Simons than he is to Scoot.
Huh?
Jordan Poole's closer to Simons than he is to Scoot.
as of today, I can see that.
You know what?
I could see that.
I've been moved. Give me Scoot Henderson. I'm just joking. Jordan Poole.
Okay, I respect that. Stephon Castle.
Oh, give me Castle. I love Castle. I love Castle.
Castle's been playing
Do you,
amazing.
do you believe in the offensive leap?
I don't know.
I'm here. He had a good game.
When he
last
starts,
night, the game
he
before.
plays well.
Yeah.
Shooting is boo-boo.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna work on it.
I'm gonna
like he's
take.
gotten
I'm
better.
gonna take Castle.
Let me see what
He
his,
works hard.
I'm gonna take. He is a hard worker. He's got.
I'm gonna go with
subs.
Castle.
Sometimes hard workers just win, man.
Spitting.
Castle. Reed Shepard.
Scoot.
I would take Scoot.
What the fuck is Reed?
No clue. He looks awful, by the way.
I know.
G League though. Dog.
Yo, bro, I watched Emmanuel quickly fry him.
Yeah, no, he can't keep him stay in front of him. They had to
Oh
get him
my
out.
god, it was bad.
2 more names.
Dillingham's playing well though.
I love that you said that because the next name is
Castle in February. 18 a game, 63% true shooting.
We're February merchants.
All right, what's 3-point shooting?
It doesn't matter. You
Fucking
heard the true
asshole
shooting?
said true shooting.
45%.
You're lying.
How many attempts? How many attempts? We need 3. We need 3.
20 attempts through 6 games.
Divide
that. Like 3 a game.
I love it. We're here.
Bring some change.
I can live with that.
Okay.
Next name up. Your boy, Rob Dillingham.
Rob.
That was pretty fast. That was pretty fast.
Give me Scoot.
I would take Scoot. I could be moved more, but I think I need to see more from Rob.
Well, why did you say Rob?
He's doing
he's
a
just
lot
the
of
ultimate
limited
bucket
minutes.
getter.
I'm not going.
He is the
His
ultimate.
playmaking is all right too.
It's
all right.
He has a little Darius in him. You know, he's
all right.
a little
I mean, he
Darius.
is.
He plays like Aaron Brooks. You remember Aaron Brooks?
And when he has Anthony Edwards' mentorship, it's gonna boost him up too.
no
when
comment.
he has Mike Conley's mentorship.
Yes.
Oh, and man.
I don't think anybody can be Ant-Man. You could be Mike
I
Conley.
don't think Ant-Man's really. He's the hype. He's a hyper. I don't think he's a.
That's what I'm
mentor.
saying.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what
a
I'm saying.
hyper.
Like, he's gonna be by his side, giving him
Definitely,
confidence.
he's a guy that's
telling him to be
nigga,
himself.
like, he's one of those. He's not really a.
Tell him to be
let me
himself,
take
you know?
what I'm
That's
saying?
why I say Mike Conley. Like, yo, that's
Mike
bro.
Conley's
That's
more.
big
Let me
bro.
sit next to you on the bench.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me. Feel me. Let me.
It's like your pops.
Iguodala.
Yeah, he not pool or like where he.
Udonis Haslam.
Yeah, oh yo, you.
Yeah, but sometimes you just need one of those Ant-Mans that's gonna tell you, yo, go kill.
Fact.
kill.
That's a fact.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
hype
need a
man.
balance.
You need a
Go
hype
kill.
man. You need
That's
that.
it.
Yo, go kill that nigga, man. Like Kevin Garnett, go kill that nigga, man. Like you need that vibe. Last name up, Jalen motherfucking Suggs, man.
I'll go with Scoot.
You give me like
Actually,
you give
no.
me Suggs
I don't know.
vibes.
I
You
like
love
Suggs. It's just
Jalen
the
Suggs is an
3 point
all-around.
He just
shooting in this
reminds
game.
you of your team.
His
like,
offense.
I love
fell
him.
off.
He reminds you of Drew Holiday, doesn't he?
Okay, I mean, Drew Holiday's that's a Hall of Famer.
That's a fact.
It's all
He
favorite,
is.
relax.
Hey, listen, man.
I think I would go with Scoot's upside.
I don't hate that comp. Jalen Suggs' defense is amazing.
Yeah.
He reminds me like Drew Holiday archetype, like in Boston.
Listen, man, if Jalen Suggs gave me the 3-point shooting he did last year,
If it's
we could have a different conversation.
if it's last year's Jalen Suggs, not a question.
Yeah.
It's Jalen Suggs.
It's just now you're looking at like one good year of shooting.
I think Scoot can act. I feel like the difference is Scoot can actually be the playmaker of an offense.
Yeah, his
Like
upside's
Jalen
higher.
Suggs is not a point guard to me. He's a 2 guard.
I agree.
That really you don't want him to have full responsibilities playmaking, and I think Scoot can do that.
The answer right now, right now, is Jalen Suggs. That could change so quick though.
For sure. And that was all the names I had. I thought it was funny.
The Eagles are Super Bowl champions, and now
Lombardi.
I feel like this is the question we pose after any team wins the championship: can they go back to back? Is it realistic they could make this point again and reach the mountaintop again? What do you think, Riv?
I think that's an easy yes. I think at minimum we'll make the NFC Championship game. I think what we've seen from this team, here's the thing, and I'm gonna sound real dangerous. I don't give a fuck. I'll be honest. We went to the championship in 2022. 2023 we started the season 10-0, 11-0, something like that, or
10-1.
Yeah, it was something like that where we were winning some close games. We were
Jalen.
winning. Yeah, we were like offensively. You know, we had some moments. Our coordinators were pretty bad. We get new coordinators. I think Vic Fangio stays. I think our defense is going to stay intact for the most part. I think we'll lose Slay. We'll lose either Milton or Sweat. So I would like to keep Sweat.
You think Bond stays?
Is Slay gonna retire or no?
I think he made a post saying this like the NFC Championship game was like his last game. I just don't think we'll pay him the money. I think Bond stays. That's their number one priority.
Because right now I know there's the major loss right now is Kellen Moore. He's gonna be the Saints head coach.
It's a major loss.
I think
You're cooking.
based on what you had last
Saw the year
year.
prior.
Yeah,
how bad
Brian
it could
Johnson
get.
and Kellen Moore. This is another year where Nick Sirianni has to get the OC hire, right?
Fucking Jalen Hurts and getting his coaches a job is fucked.
It'll be
think
fourth
they-
new OC.
I think Zach Bond, they talked about it. He's the number one priority this offseason. I think
Milton.
he should.
I
Be.
won't be
Sweat.
surprised if a team overpays for Bond,
I think we'll overpay for Bond.
i.e., the Broncos. We're desperate at linebacker.
I think
I won't be surprised if we give him the most money a linebacker's making in the league.
I think it's going to be hard to keep all 3 of those guys. I think one of them is doable. You got to think about it. Milton Williams, I mean, for as good as Jalen Carter was,
Milton was elite.
Williams was just as
He was
good.
elite, bro.
And he took over games. Like, there were so many moments where he was just dominating. He
He was the
dominated the
highest
Super Bowl.
graded player in the Super Bowl.
No, he's
Yeah,
a dog.
and then Josh Sweat also dominated. I think Milton can get upwards of 20 to 25 million per
That's
year.
the thing. Like, I think our team is we think our players are great, but they're great within each other. Like, Sweat's great, Milton's great, Jalen Carter's great. They're on the same
So much
defensive
depth. Yeah,
line.
it's stupid.
We have so much depth. We have guys that play well. What does Milton look like if a team like
The Chargers.
Oakland or the Raiders throw him a bag or the Chargers throw him a bag? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we'll be able to fill those needs. So I think that's why Zach Ball, and that's why I think we'll keep him, because you can't just replace that. Like, you cannot just replace what he did. That I think we can replace defensive linemen. We've been a pretty good defensive lineman team for the past 3, 4, 5 years. And then I think we'll ace the draft, which has always been a thing with Howie for the most part. And then offensively, everybody's getting back and everybody's in their prime. Saquon's in his prime. Smitty is walking to his prime. A.J. Brown's in his prime. Jalen Hurts is 26. Dallas is in his prime. The offensive line, probably Lane Johnson might take a step because he's the guy of age. But Jordan's young. Cam Jurgensen's young. Landon Dickerson is young. This team, and then we have the best offensive lineman coach in football.
It's stupid.
So it's like, we're keeping Vic Fangio. We're keeping Nick. If we get the offensive coordinator right, even if we get an average guy, we've shown we can still be great. Yeah, we can still be great. This team has all the tools and the makings of being a repeat team. It's really just about what these other teams do. I think defensively we'll be one of the best defenses in the world. It's just not many teams have that GM that can, ace a off season. You got to look at Detroit. I do look at Detroit as a dangerous team. Aiden comes back. Their defense will be a lot more healthier coming up to this year. Offensively, we didn't see an offense like that, so we don't know how we'll match up with them. But I'm looking at a team like Green Bay, unless they make a splash at getting a guy like Myles Garrett or getting a high-end wide receiver, I'm good off them. Like, I think we can still beat them. I'm looking at a team at Washington. I think they're still a year away from being that legit team, depending on what they do in the offseason. They break out and get a guy like that. And I think we're in play for guys like Miles. We're in play for guys like Michael Parsons. We're in play for guys like Abdul Carter in the draft.
They're not trading Michael Parsons.
Abdul Carter.
Listen, we have so much, like,
Abdul Carter's been yapping. That's why it's in his ear.
Don't listen. Don't
I understand.
Listen,
I think
Myles Garrett,
top 3 lock.
Myles Garrett is the guy.
Myles Garrett's possible.
It's reasonable.
That's
it's
attainable.
possible. We can get.
Abdul Carter,
him.
shut it down.
Micah's not happy.
I don't think Myles Garrett will happen just because the Eagles' strategy is drafting and develop and having an abundance of draft picks, so you have more darts to throw it on the board. And I feel like with the Eagles, this was the most talented roster all year long. They're stacked from top to bottom. They have, it's an amazing team. It's one of the, I think, like, after winning the Super Bowl, we can get into the conversation of where this roster ranks in terms of just pure construction. It's one of the best rosters in the last decade. Like, it's really that talented from top to bottom. And Milton Williams, I do think that, it helps playing next to Jalen Carter. I think he's a fantastic player on his own, and he's going to go to another team and probably make a big impact. Josh Sweat was really good this year. He took a big leap as well. But the defensive line has some replacements, right? Ajomo is a serviceable replacement. Jalix Hunt had a lot of plays where he made impact plays.
Say his name.
And you look at the
Puff, no?
Bryce Huff, no.
He can go.
Maybe next year. N'Kobe Dean had a down year.
Scratch? Yeah.
Him and Bradbury was on the sideline eating chips and just enjoying the Super Bowl.
Man.
Sounds awesome.
No, it sounds amazing.
But you look at the Eagles, they have 2 second-round picks. They have the first rounder and they have a third rounder. You already know the Eagles, their first pick in the draft, if they lose Milton Williams or Josh Sweat, is going to be defensive lineman or edge. And this is one of those draft classes that it is on a position where there's going to be a ton of talented players at that position. And this isn't one of those drafts where there's blue chip prospects at the top. This is one of those drafts where it's better to have more picks towards the back half, because the depth of this draft is really where it shines. So they'll be able to draft an edge, an interior defensive lineman. They'll be able to draft maybe another guard to, shore up their offensive line even better. Howard Roseman is great at drafting. So this is really just one of the most talented teams in football right now. And you have Quinyon and Cooper getting another year of improvement.
Yeah, rookie deals.
Yeah, and they're all pro level
Jalen
players.
Carter getting better.
Still on
Nolan
a rookie
Smith,
deal.
N'Kobe
Still
Dean.
rookie
Yeah,
deals.
and that's why I think you have
Howie Roseman.
Yeah,
Goodness.
You have Jalen Carter. You have Nolan Smith. Those are the 2 guys that you build around on the defensive line for the foreseeable future. You add some depth pieces. I think the smartest thing to do is pay Zach Bond, not just because he's the best defensive player amongst the people I named, but because a linebacker is a position that it costs less to pay than defensive line. Fred Warner is the highest paid linebacker. He's making $19 million per year. And as good of a season as Zach Bond had this year,
he's not.
I don't think he's instantly going to command $19 million. Nope. They could reasonably get him maybe at $12 to $15 million per year.
No, all pro, won a Super Bowl.
15.
He might
get 14.
He
15.
might be close to Fred. I don't think he'll get Fred money, but he'll get close.
Yeah, that's why I could see $15 million, but that's
if he's making 19.
Yeah.
Right.
15. I can see 15.
I mean, 1 year of production at that
All
position.
pro.
First
Yeah,
two
but it's
seasons-
1
first two-
year.
First team all pro.
First 2 years.
Yeah, but I don't
front-loaded.
think any other team is going to be like, okay, off of 1 year of production, we're going to pay you $19
The Broncos,
million.
I'm telling you, would overpay.
I
We
don't
would
think- I
overpay.
don't
I don't think he'd go there.
We're building something cute.
We have.
You got me serious real quick.
We
I
built
don't-
the
yeah.
championship.
Of course, but if
But if it takes 20 mil
you-
to pay Zach
that's what I'm
Bond, I'm
saying.
like,
It's-
do you want to pay Zach Bond? He's great. 20 mil, like.
The
tough
Eagles
team
have about
construction
24,
wise.
25
kind of like
million
our
cap
only
space.
need on defense.
Yeah.
But I
I
think,
would-
how do we get
I
off
don't
Bryce
think
Huff's
it'd be 20.
contract?
It's gonna
Probably
be
have
hard.
to. I mean, I don't think he got
They're
a
gonna
ton
eat
of
some
guaranteed money, if I remember correctly, because he only got like 50 mil, so probably like half
Yeah,
of his
the
guaranteed.
Eagles have 2 second-round picks. One of the second-round picks is from the Chris Olave trade they made with the Saints. And the Saints being a bad team this year, that's going to be a pretty high second-round pick. So they're going to be able to get a player in the back half of the first round and a player closer to the top of the second round. They have a lot of avenues to keep on improving this football team. And really, to me, it's not about the Eagles. It's more so about the teams around them. What are they going to do to get better, to compete with them?
Wait, so the Eagles traded back in that draft?
You're not getting off of Bryce Huff.
Yeah, Chris
He has to get
Olave,
better.
the Saints traded up for Chris
need him to
Olave.
lock
And
With
then
the
the Eagles traded away that first round pick for AJ Brown.
Probably. He needs to lock in.
I believe so, yeah.
Interesting.
He needs the space.
Interesting.
We could look. I could look at the. You guys could go,
Yeah,
but
I
I could
think.
look
I mean,
at
the Eagles
trade.
roster is just so loaded with not just talent but young talent. Like when you look at the guys on this team that are over 30 who like actually were contributing to this team, like the one that really sticks out is
Swain.
Lane Johnson, who's 34 years old, and we've seen tackles be able to play into their 30s, into their late 30s at times.
Okay, so this trade is pretty crazy. The Saints from this Eagles Saints trade got Chris Olave, Trevor Penning, and Jordan Jackson. The Eagles got AJ Brown, Jalen Carter, and a 2024 second round pick.
Christ.
He won.
What's crazy is, I'm not trying to take anything away from Howard because I think he's the best GM in the sport, but so many of his picks are just like top consensus. Like the number 1 or 2 guy on the board that all of these other GMs think that they know so much more than everybody else, and they reach like 30 picks that consensus think it's otherwise. And just like, no, like take Jalen Carter, take Nolan Smith, take all the fucking Georgia Bulldogs you can.
The Jalen Carter one,
It fell into their lap.
It
It
did.
did.
'Cause he,
But Nolan Smith, that was an amazing pick.
it was the
that
end of the
shot
first
30.
round.
That took
30th.
a while though, because last year he was getting shitted on.
You're right.
Yeah, Jalen Carter in that draft
Same with Nakobe.
was the best defensive player of the draft. He was a top 30 talent.
All the
and
Georgia
he
guys last
fell.
year were getting shitted.
And
They
when he
were.
got
Play well.
drafted at 9 or wherever it was, we're like, oh, the Eagles just won the draft again. But the talent is crazy. The young talent is crazy. We were just listing off all of these guys on rookie contracts, right? Like Quinyon Cooper,
bro.
Carter. I mean, it's crazy the roster that Howard's been able to build. And of course, like he brings in some pieces in free agency and in through trade like AJ Brown. But I mean, so many of these guys just, if you look at the year-over-year turnover, adding Vic Fangio was huge. But I mean, you're talking about 2 rookies in the secondary that typically secondary players, especially cornerback, it's a hard position to year 1 come in and be able to produce right away. Zach Bond had been a special teams guy for the majority of his career. He signs like a league minimum contract. And then Milt Williams, who's a 3rd round pick in 2021, who's on a contract year, is betting on himself and has this breakout year. And now he's probably going to get $20 million annually on the open market. So all of the pieces that they've had, the only thing that's stopping them, in my opinion, are 2 things. One is just injuries, right? Like we saw this past year with the 49ers. 2 years ago, one of the best defenses in football. A year later, they just have a plethora of injuries, and now all of a sudden they can't stop anybody. And then just really nailing the offensive coordinator. I think what we have seen over these last 3 years is if you get a top upper echelon offensive coordinator, Jalen Hurts could be the MVP. If you get a bottom tier offensive coordinator, you'll make the playoffs. You won't make a Super Bowl, but you'll make the playoffs. If you get an average offensive
whole damn
coordinator,
thing.
you can win the Super Bowl. Of course, the defense this year was so much better than last year in the last couple of seasons, but just having league average at coordinator is going to be good enough. And I mean, the one step behind the Eagles are just that so many coordinators got hired already, right? All the head coaches got hired, so they brought in their staff. So, the well of offensive coordinators isn't as large as it would be if this happened, right after the regular season. But you got to imagine anybody out there that's looking for an offensive coordinator job, why wouldn't you want to go to Philly? You got everything you could ask for from an offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver, running back. There's no piece there that you should not succeed with, which is crazy to think why Brian Johnson failed, which is just ridiculous. But this team is crazy, man. I mean, like the big free agents you mentioned, Milton, and then Zach Bond, Mekhi Becton is I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to get a payday, because coming off his Super Bowl, this might be, with all his injury history too, this might be his one chance to like really get paid. So maybe you lose him, but all the rest of the offensive line is still pretty much figured out. They're all young outside of Lane. And you guys, like you mentioned, you have the best offensive line coach in the NFL, been one of the best at drafting offensive linemen, and everybody for that, every position group for that matter. So out of all the teams that have repeated or have won Super Bowls, they have as good of a chance, if not better than anybody that's come before them.
And I think Vic Fangio was the biggest move, because last year, we talked about it, the Georgia boys was getting shit on. Jalen Carter started the year hot, finished the year kind of slowed down. N'Kobe Dean, Nolan Smith, they were getting shit on. The secondary was getting obliterated all last year. And granted, Cooper and Quinion wasn't there, but Reed Blankenship was there. Darius Slay was there. And then bringing Chauncey back, kind of after having, a bit of this offseason, kind of getting that knock for, can he be your safety? Is he still really good? Believe coming off an injury. Yeah, coming off an injury. So it's like you had all these doubts, and then the defensive linemen kind of, after like week 10, just died down. Like they couldn't get pressure. They couldn't get sacks anymore. Vic Fangio comes in. He completely flips the whole situation. Now you're able to get pressure every damn play. Now you're able to get turnovers. You're able to force turnovers. You turn Zach Bond into one of the best linebackers in football. And he didn't even play this position his whole life. So it's like a completely different position. So it's like, it's Vic Fangio. Like if you could hit on coordinator, which I think you should try to get somebody who can consistently be here, because this is Hurts' like fourth coordinator in like 4 or 5 years. He hasn't had a consistent guy. His best chemistry was with Shane Steichen. So if you can get somebody that can have this passing offense booming with the guys you have.
The thing is, if you do that, they're gonna leave.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shit, that's killing me,
They
man.
can leave, but at least have a year where you can have Smitty and AJ and Dallas do what they do, and then you have Saquon running.
Learned how to call an offense.
Fuck. I'm talking about if that offense is booming, and then the defense, it gets dark.
It's like with the Eagles,
like Detroit on crack.
It's just so many layers to them that you have to game plan
Taylor
for.
Rooks.
Yeah, she's so dumb.
You have to game plan for the defensive line. Then their linebackers can really cover in space. The Eagles played a majority cover 4 quarters in the Super Bowl, and they just kept everything in front of them and leaving their corners one-on-one on the outside. They didn't fear any of those receivers on the Chiefs. And you have a secondary that is really good, who they get after it. They tackle well. One of the best tackling secondaries in the league. There's so many things you have to worry about. Then with the Eagles offense, it's, Saquon Barkley, 2,000-yard rusher. Okay, if you try to take that away, now you have to worry about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith one-on-one, and that's where I feel like the Eagles just thrive. Those sideline shots down the field, those one-on-one shots. A.J. Brown won all of his matchups against McDuffie, and Jalen Watson, it didn't matter if he was guarding Devontae Smith or Jahan Dotson. He wasn't playing well against them either. So when you have a running back that commands that much attention, and then you have these receivers on the outside that are getting these matchups and favorable looks, it's really just hard to game plan around them. You have to have an equally as talented roster to match up with them schematically.
And imagine they hit on just like an average wide receiver 3 one of these years.
We need one.
Just someone that's okay.
It was almost so poetic for Jahan Dotson to score the first touchdown.
Yeah.
So Johnny Wilson dropped that easy.
Did he score the
pass.
first? Didn't he get stopped short?
That's
He
what I'm
got stopped
saying.
at the
He
one,
almost did,
and
and then
then
Jalen
push.
touched
It was
it.
like a plus 8,000 on FanDuel.
Bro,
He
must have been
it
crazy.
just would have been
Oh my goodness.
such a perfect ending, ending. You know what I mean? Ending for
And
Jahan.
It was a dime.
It was a dime.
It was a dime.
I mean, come on, it's
They
big game, Jalen.
They should have gave him that touchdown. They should have gave him that touchdown.
I wasn't mad.
You're short.
Come on, like we knew what was coming after that.
Do you think they ban it?
They can't.
They
It
shouldn't.
doesn't work for everybody.
I think it's fair. They have an offensive line that's able to execute it.
You're
Is that
jealous.
ban it?
No, it's fair to call the play.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you have
can't ban
to be able to stop it. And there have been some teams that have been able to do it in moments. Like the Buccaneers are able to really square up and play it
Bills
really well.
too, for sure.
So, there's a way to do it. It's just when you have an offensive line that big, that their average height is like 6'5".
And,
Bills should-
that man right there squats over 600
The
pounds.
Bills should not even a tush push. It's like a get up and run to the left.
The
Josh,
Bills is simply just a quarterback sneak. That's
Yeah.
what it is. And, when you have an offensive line in front of you, then you have, Jalen Hurts, but then also players behind him that are pushing him as well. That's a lot of force that you have to combat. So I don't know.
The
I
one
don't
rule
know.
they got to change is the fucking onside kick, man. If they got to change anything, that shit sucks. It has to be the fourth quarter. You have to tell the opposing team about it. You got basically no chance to do it because there's no running start. They got to change that before they change
Why don't
anything.
they just do 4th and 10? Like one down, get 10 yards.
I think it's got to be like 4th and like 20. It's got to be hard. You get a whole new possession just to get one first down. You know what I mean?
Yes, okay, but getting 10 yards in one play is hard.
Cook. But it depends on the defense you're playing.
Dude, if I'm the Bills, I'm the Ravens, I'm doing it every fucking time. 4th and 10? You kidding me? Like,
But it's one play.
Oh, yeah,
And then where's the opposing team get the ball?
Especially if you're Cincinnati,
I
you're
say
doing
like
it
the
every
40.
time.
Like you're 40.
The opposing team's
Like where
40.
you kicked it for,
Yeah,
basically.
Okay.
Cincinnati's
35
taking
makes
that
sense.
every time. I have Chase, T. Higgins, 4th and 10.
But let's say like half the time you could get that success.
But
It's worth the risk.
If you get the ball where they are supposed to kick the ball, which is the
you're in like
30,
field goal range. Yeah,
bro,
yeah.
that's
true.
kind of that's a big gamble.
Yeah.
Now, the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Lombardi.
Jalen Hurts played a great game.
What'd you say?
Lombardi.
Oh.
He won Super Bowl MVP.
You want to call it the Vinny?
Vinny? I'll call it the Hurts.
Is Jalen Hurts now a top 5 quarterback? Riv, you've had your highs and lows on him. Where do you stand on him now after the season has ended?
I think I'll have him ranked. With
This is first high with Jalen Hurts. This might be his first
This is
high.
literally the first high.
The first flat line where it's like, this is where it's staying.
No, it was NFC. NFC Championship game.
my bad.
Commanders.
2 weeks ago was the first
Yeah.
high.
Now
I don't
this
know,
is-
bro. He threw that pick, and you were.
Let
pretty
this
stoked.
be
I was aggravated
Man,
as fuck.
Let this be 2019 Carson Wentz. He wouldn't know how to act.
That was one of my favorite guys, man. He taught me a lot. No, because remember the fumble in 2022. You know, you think one mistake, and now we're playing a game.
All right, that's fair. I understand.
All trolling aside, I do like to make fun of the fact that Justin Herbert has done nothing in the playoffs. But I think he's the 5th best quarterback in football. I think he's
not. He's not.
you should stop.
Jalen's 5.
I think Hurts for me. I think he's better than Dak. I
Easy.
think Dak was a guy that was in my top 10. I think he's better than Jordan Love.
Come on.
I think he's better than Jaden.
That's the closest one so far.
I think I will have him. I think I'll still give Staffy his respect. I think you got to give Staffy his respect. I think we were calling him the best quarterback in the NFC all year.
Gotta respect.
So to just, just to
He
follow up that.
almost did it.
Yeah, he almost did it. And he's Staffy at that age, demon.
It wasn't for the offensive line really in that situation.
Yeah, like if it wasn't for Jalen Carter, we'd be talking about a different team.
Stafford did outperform Hurts by.
Yeah, he did. He played better.
Yeah,
so
that was Hurts' worst game of
I'll
the year.
have Hurts at like 9. I think he's
How
staying
did we
himself
get
in
there?
the top 10.
I know, because you had the pre-recording shit. I thought he was dead ass. I thought he was
Wait,
dead
so
ass.
top 10. So who's number 1?
Mahomes.
Oh, sorry.
Or
We're not
whatever.
trolling.
But we got the top 4. You got the top 4.
Mahomes is 1.
2,
Josh,
3,
Lamar,
4,
Burrow,
5,
Herbert. No,
6,
5, Stafford. 6, Herbert,
7.
CJ.
So who's Jaden?
Jaden, 8. And I'll go Hurts 9.
Jesus Christ. CJ's better than Jalen?
I can
Be
never waver.
serious.
I can never waver.
I think quarterback rankings are funny because year to year
10 is
they
Jordan,
can be volatile depending on like how you grade and what's your criteria for it.
He beat Dak.
I think that quarterback evaluation is more than just this guy won, this guy's the best, because it's
That's
about
part of football.
it's about how you win and it's about who you're winning with, right? Because nobody realistically thought Herbert was going to win a Super Bowl this year with the roster he had with the offensive supporting cast. We didn't think he'd have a game as bad as he did in the playoffs, and
We thought
you
he'd
definitely
win.
have to knock down some points for him for the playoff performance. There's no doubt. But in the regular season, he was the 4th highest graded quarterback according to PFF, and he carried the team into the playoffs. Like he was the catalyst for their success, and you can say that for a lot of other quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud had a very down season after having a very great rookie season. I think to be fair to Jalen Hurts is that, since week 5, he had 34 touchdowns and 4 turnovers and a quarterback rating of 112. Even though there was a lot of performances within that I felt like he didn't play his best and he played below average, he did play the best games of his seasons in the NFC Championship game and in the Super Bowl. And when evaluating him, I know people hate hypotheticals, but when evaluating quarterbacks, you have to take into account the degree of difficulty. And for a lot of quarterbacks, they just don't have a supporting cast on offense to where their defense has to worry about a rushing attack. Their defense has to get past a brick wall of an offensive line. A lot of quarterbacks they're in so many different situations. But looking at Jaden Daniels and looking at C.J. Stroud, C.J. had an incredible rookie year, and then he had a sophomore slump. Jaden Daniels had an incredible rookie year, and I think it's unfair to put those quarterbacks, even if they might be better individual talents, over Jalen Hurts, when Jalen Hurts has also had an MVP level year before. He's had one of those seasons, and looking at Jalen Hurts' PFF grades throughout the past couple of seasons, really since he started at quarterback. In 2021, he was 14th. 2022, he was 4th. 2023, he was 8th. In 2024, he was 12th. And this year is accounting the postseason as well. And those last 2 games definitely elevated him. So he's always been a top 15 quarterback at his very best. He's been a top 5 quarterback. He's performed at that level statistically. And looking at where he is right now, my top 5 is Mahomes still, is Allen, is Lamar, is Burrow, and is Stafford. And I think after that, there's an argument for Hurts over anybody else. I think it stops with Stafford just because Stafford recently won a Super Bowl. I thought had a better run than Jalen Hurts. He also had a great team, so I can't, say that he carried a team. The Rams were great that year, but I still think Stafford is that same quarterback right now. I think Stafford can still perform at that level, and the Rams aren't that talented. They have certain pieces in place, but Stafford, even with his volatility, his up and down play, he was still amazing. And Joe Burrow, what he's able to do year in, year out with the offensive line that he has when healthy, he always plays like a top 3 quarterback when he's healthy, even with that offensive line. And then I look at Lamar, multiple time MVP, Josh Allen MVP, and Mahomes. Of course, he's the second best quarterback ever. So I think Hurts, after the 5th guy, he has an argument for anybody else if you want to use certain criteria. Because with Justin Herbert, while he is a great individual talent, we do now have 2 playoff games where he's lost it, where you argue he should have won or he should have performed better. And if you look at all quarterbacks since 2018 in their EPA per play, Herbert ranks towards the very bottom. He has not played well in the playoffs at all. I think out of 40 quarterbacks, he ranks 36. He's not been good in the playoffs. So you have to take that into account, So I think over anybody else after those 5, Hurts has a realistic argument against. But that's where it stops for me. I agree.
5. You got guys like Jared Goff, I take Hurts over. Trevor Lawrence,
my God,
I take Hurts over. It ain't really too many guys that. And of course, I'm gonna be biased towards CJ. Of course, Jaden's a rookie.
Why aren't you biased towards Hurts?
Because I'm a CJ fan first. But outside the top,
insane.
I'm a top 5 guy. I think the top 5 guys are solidified. After that, it's
Listen, if you want me to be dead serious, go ahead.
Sorry, before we move on, can we get a solidified where Hurts is for you?
Oh, he never answered?
It was just, he's in the conversation after 5. I just want to know where he is.
Yeah, where are you
I made my top 10 quarterback list yesterday. Number 1 is Mahomes, 2 is Allen, 3 is Lamar, 4 is Burrow, 5 is Stafford, 6 is Herbert, 7 is Hurts, 8 is Jaden, 9 is CJ, 10 is Jordan Love.
Where's Dak?
Dak is 11. Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, they're below Hurts because they've just had one incredible season. And Hurts has had multiple very good seasons. Even though this year wasn't his best season. Jaden Daniels.
I love you so much.
Jaden Daniels has to play well again next year. I do think he's a better individual talent than Jalen Hurts. But I can't just prop him up right now just because, Hurts has done virtually the same thing. With Herbert, it really is a lot of situation oriented. I don't think... we can't forget that Herbert in his second year, not only did he have the best rookie season for a quarterback ever, in his second year, he had 39 passing touchdowns and 5,000 passing yards.
Better than
and he has not had a good defense outside of this past year with the Chargers. The offensive line, for the most part, has been bad. The receivers have been slow, and he's really not had a receiving core that he's able to really maximize his talents with. And I thought this year, people didn't think the Chargers were going to be a playoff team, and they made the playoffs, and Herbert was incredibly safe with the ball outside of the playoff game, and he was amazing. They don't have a rushing attack. They had a bad offensive line. I know Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater are household names, but the interior of the offensive line for the Chargers is one of the worst in the NFL, and the only receiver they had was Ladd McConkey. So, Herbert did a lot with very little around him, and I, like I said, hypotheticals, people hate them, but if Hurts is in the Chargers situation, I think really any quarterback in the Chargers situation, we're kind of thinking, how are they going to succeed in it? We didn't even think Herbert was going to succeed in this situation before the season. So the fact that he did that and he graded out as the 4th highest graded quarterback according to PFF on the season, he had a tremendous year and led them to the playoffs. I feel like that counts for something.
It counts, but he was so dog shit in that playoff game. And we can use hindsight. The Texans defense was great. It was a great unit.
It was also one of those games where he got pressured a lot, and that's, he made some boneheaded mistakes. There's no doubt.
I just can't get over the cross-body, cross-field throw. That throw was so fucking stupid.
What was it to again?
Quinn Johnson.
Johnston.
Like,
The one and only.
Like, what are you doing?
It was bad, but nobody was open, and he always got
So
pressure.
it was out of bounds.
Throw it away.
Like you all season in that moment would throw it away.
You've been taking care of the ball.
You
all
are
year.
Mr. Take care of the
You
ball.
are Mr. Play it safe.
How did you have
And you
more
said,
INTs in
"Fuck
one
it,
game
I'm-
than you did all season?
Dales, I'm gonna get risky and then throw it to Quentin Johnson.
That's why,
do it.
with
If it was
Herbert,
Vlad, I would have been like, okay,
yeah.
some
It was
kind
to
of
himself.
understanding.
That's why, with Herbert, it's about how much are you weighing this one playoff game over?
Well, it's two playoff games,
Yeah,
really.
how much are you weighing the 2 playoff game sample size over what he's done throughout his entire career? Because the Texans are an elite defense, but Herbert also played really well against an elite defense in the Broncos in the regular
It
season.
screams DeMar DeRozan.
In the second half. Herbert was so exceptional in that game.
I think
and
his talent though is higher.
No,
than DeMar's.
I don't mean the talent part. I think Justin Herbert is a far better talent than DeMar DeRozan comparative to their sport.
You're just talking about the playoff
In
dropping.
terms of just DeMar is amazing in the regular season. He has his game winners. You can see him backpack
That
some
Bulls season
offenses.
was OT.
27 a game. He gonna get his buckets. But in the playoffs, you know what's gonna happen. You know what time it
It's
is.
just in the playoffs, you need, for the most part, so many things around you to be working in unison. And if certain things collapse, it's very hard to make up for it because these are the best teams in the NFL.
It's just crazy how you've been who you were all regular season to me, and then one playoff game you just turn to a new person.
But Joel, what did we talk about when it happened? Your expectations before the season are not the same expectations in the moment.
Respect.
So in the moment, we thought Chargers were going to win.
Everybody picked Chargers.
Before the season
Everybody in the
started,
world.
Joel, everything you're saying is facts. They weren't supposed to be here. A lot of doubts on their name. Offensive situation stinks. They thought the defense would stink. But that all goes out the window when it's 0-0, playoff situation, and now you're the favorite to win the game. That's kind of where, I understand where we were, but it's not where we're at.
It's not an excuse for Herbert's performance. I thought he was bad, and I thought in this playoffs we actually had a multitude of playoff quarterback stinkers. Not even
agree
Herbert.
wholeheartedly.
We had Mahomes, we had Herbert, we had Jordan Love,
Sam Darnold.
I mean, who didn't play bad in the playoffs? Really, it's more quarterbacks that
Goff
played bad
against
than played good.
CJ Stroud didn't play bad.
Lamar didn't play bad. Highest EPA per play in the playoffs, by the
I
way.
saw that. It was CJ was top 8.
Top 8.
Top 8. There's only 8 quarterbacks.
Now it's like 12.
But yeah, it's just Herbert. I just really believe in him as an individual talent.
14.
And
Yeah.
I think he's talented too,
I just
man.
can't ignore the
It's funny how
situation.
you falling off.
I think he's extremely talented. It's
falling
just
off.
you were horrendously bad.
Again.
Well, I didn't think he was horrendously bad in the first game. He
he's
just
bad.
blew an all-time
Like,
game.
Well, he had mad, 4 interceptions in the second half? How many was
No.
it in the first
That
game?
was Trevor.
No, in the
Trevor
first
had
game,
four.
it was Trev.
Yeah.
Trev had 4 in the first
No,
half.
I'm saying the second half, though.
He had 0.
He
Herbert
just
had no interceptions.
No
couldn't
touchdowns,
score. He
no
didn't have any
INTs.
touchdowns.
Herbert.
in the Jaguars
In the
game.
Jaguars
Yeah.
game. He didn't
No,
turn the
Trev
ball
was
I
over.
don't know
the
why
one
I
that
thought
had
you
four.
turned
They
over.
couldn't
Yeah, you're
move
right.
the
Bad
ball.
FX.
Well, the
First ever.
Jaguars defense doesn't get talked about enough in that game. Obviously, the
were a good
Chargers
defense
defense
that
got...
year. Yeah.
Bro, in the red zone, they locked the fuck up.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, and it's not a
The Chargers
discredit
defense
to
had 4
Jalen
interceptions.
Hurts
There's no reason they should have lost.
because Jalen Hurts is succeeding with his situation and he's executing how it needs to be executed. If the Chiefs are allocated more bodies to the line of scrimmage against Saquon Barkley, you have a one-on-one, you throw it. And I think this year Jalen Hurts has shown a lot of growth in his pre-snap adjustments and really controlling the line of scrimmage. And that's not been something that he's been able to do because Jason Kelce was a veteran there for so long that he kind of was the person that would change things up. And now Hurts, being the veteran, he's doing that more. So I think he deserves credit. But when you look at the discrepancy in the Super Bowl, specifically between the 2 4-man rushes, Mahomes is getting pressured 50% of the time and Hurts was pressured 11% of the time against a 4-man rush. When you don't get pressure and you're able to hold the ball for 3 seconds and go through all your reads and have these one-on-one matchups on the outside, it's not the same type of defensive coverages that other quarterbacks are seeing.
My thing with that, though, is people use that as a negative towards Hurts when he decides to do that, and then he takes a sack. It's a luxury, but then when you overextend yourself on this luxury, now people use it against you. I feel like in this situation,
Because you're not supposed to take
it's a
sacks
little
with
bit
a-
of a double-edged sword.
I just feel like it's just because you're not supposed to take sacks with an offensive line this elite.
But again, with what you're saying, and I am understanding, I would do the exact same thing. I watched Bo Nix do it this year, and I would have done the exact same thing.
Take
Although
what,
he
though?
didn't take sacks that much, but you take your time in the pocket. If you guys are right here blocking in front of me and I can sit and I can survey the field once, twice, I'm going to my third read, and you give that opportunity to me 60, 70% of the game, I promise you there's going to be moments where I overextend my hand and I'm going to take a bad sack.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. And, Bo Nix, he had one of the lowest sack rates in the NFL this year. So he was really good at avoiding sacks. With Jalen Hurts, it's not the fact that it's like you're trying to get to the right play. It's just that a large part of this season, that first read was there, and he did not throw it. And I think in the Super Bowl, what he did really good at was just he was very quick with getting the ball out. And when he did see these man coverage looks and he did escape the pocket and really use his legs, and his mobility was a big part of the Super Bowl. So,
For sure.
I felt like what Jalen Hurts did do in this game really well was that as soon as he saw the defensive picture, as soon as he saw the one-on-ones on the outside, as soon as the ball is snapped, he was letting it go.
Yep.
And I feel like that is, yes, it's a credit to him. So you have to give him credit for what he's doing with the Eagles, the lack of turnovers. Like, you have to give him praise. And that's where I'm at with it. He's a really good football player, and you can't knock him at all.
I'll tell you what, Joel, I did not think that this is where your head would be at, because it's pretty comparable to where I'm at. Jalen Hurts has shown you in the biggest moments he can step up and elevate his level of play, and he could be right there with the best of them. To outperform Mahomes not once but twice is not something many quarterbacks can say. Only one comes to mind.
I don't think he
that's the
outperformed in the first Super Bowl.
To each their own.
And this what I'll say to that.
I want to let me talk. Let me talk. I would love to talk.
Now he wants to talk all about Jalen.
It's all right.
I
I would
just-
love
it's
to
just-
talk.
no, it's sorry. It's
Because
just-
again, this is me agreeing with you, Joel. So let me finish,
Yes,
please.
keep going.
Thank you.
And even if, let's just combine the two games.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
fucking
It's
close.
not close.
It's not close.
It's
at
not
all.
close. Do I think Mahomes was pretty amazing in that first game? Absolutely.
Sorry. It's not again. It's not you,
ain't trying
Drew.
to hear you.
It's not you, Drew. It's just I hear that so often, like it's so unanimous. When in the first Super Bowl, Mahomes had a higher EPA per play, higher passer rating, higher QBR, and he had less third downs that he had to deal with.
I was actually looking, I don't know what I was looking at, but I saw a poll we did from like months ago, maybe a year ago, who played better in that Super Bowl. It was 52% Mahomes, 48% Hurts.
Yeah, because Hurts, he had more total yards in that game, and I'm not taking nothing away from him. He was exceptional, but one had a back-breaking fumble that led to points, and one didn't have a turnover. Like, that has to count for something.
The
But
turf was
there
also
were-
dog shit. There was no defense played at all other than that one Nick Bolton play. So, hey, credit to him for making the only defensive play of the Super Bowl. That being said, you look at what he's been able to do in the two Super Bowls that he's played. You look at what he was able to do in this NFC Championship game. You look at how easy football looked for them the last 2 weeks. And again, in the biggest game, they took away Saquon Barkley. And I said this on the live. I'm going to say it again now. If you are a Chiefs fan and you got told Saquon Barkley got held to under 4 yards of carry, 25 yards, didn't have a touchdown, 25 attempts, did not have a touchdown, you were left thinking, we three-peated. We made history. And the fact that Jalen Hurts was able to be the offense, of course the defense put on an amazing performance. You shut down arguably the best of our generation. That's not arguable. He's the best of our generation, unless you count Tom Brady. Is Tom Brady in our generation? I think our generation.
Definitely
So
our generation.
arguably the second best, third best in our generation. Gotta respect Peyton, especially after 2 blowout losses now in the Super Bowl. We're back. You have to acknowledge what he's been able to do on the biggest stage. I mean, what he's able to do in these situations, that's where you look at a guy like Herbert. I'm sorry, I have to take Jalen. And I put that in my thought process last year, and then they ended up losing 6 games in a row. I was early, maybe too early, you could argue. But in those first 11 games with a bad offensive coordinator, it really started to come to light for the defense in that second part of the season. But for them to go 11-0 and for Jalen to try and backpack what was a bad offensive game plan for those weeks, play as high level as he did, I feel like it kind of gets lost where people call last season a bad season for him because of how it ended. And fair, you went to the Super Bowl, you were top 2 in MVP voting, you had a letdown to a season, especially losing in the first round. You lost to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers.
Had a terrible meltdown.
It was terrible, but given situation, they forget about the first 11 games. They don't talk about the first 11 games. And then for this season to be the way that it was, for him to be as selfless as he was, to understand this offense needs to be centered around Saquon Barkley if we want to get to our ultimate goal. For him to do that, and then when his number was called to rise to the occasion, that's where I really give him his praise. So I think number 1's Mahomes. I go to Lamar Jackson. I think this was the best version of Lamar that we've ever seen. I think he was the best quarterback. I've been saying it. Firmly believe he should have been MVP this year. Josh is 3, but 2 and 3 can be interchangeable. I understand where you have him.
He won
That's
MVP,
fine.
so.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Joe Burrow is 4. 5, it's between Stafford and Hurts, and I understand going Stafford because obviously what he's been able to do with less, the offensive line's not great. He's still able to be perfect, accurate, be able to move the ball. He was easily the best performer, in my opinion, against this Eagles defense in the playoffs.
Jaden?
I don't think Jaden had a chance to do anything consistently for me to say Jaden.
Move the ball.
They were great against the Eagles. It's just the turnovers that were his fault.
I just look at it being a massacre, and it's not Jaden's fault. That's why it's kind of me like
He played well.
You get
He
to
kept
know.
them in that
like
one for as
I'm
long as he
voiding
could.
them. I'm voiding Jaden's performance because I think Jaden was excellent this playoffs. But that game, I'm not using it as something to boost him to bring him
He
down.
was really good in that
I
game.
thought he was really good in that
Yeah.
game.
I don't know if it could be voided for me. That's something I take into account.
He played really good.
Yeah,
He scared me the most out of all the quarterbacks in the
Really,
NFC.
it's only
He
the
was good
turnovers.
against them multiple times,
it's the,
too. It wasn't
it's the
just like he was
turnovers.
twice.
Yeah.
But that second game was up and down.
It was,
messed him
but
up.
he put up 36 points, right?
You know,
He
I
threw an
was-
interception. He was wild.
Last night,
I think the game was just over before he could really get going.
No,
It
it wasn't. It wasn't over. It was over
was a
when
game in, like, the
Eckler
third quarter.
fumbled because he was
That's
driving
what I'm
down the
saying.
field, and it could have been. It was a
It was
two-possession game.
28-13 after Eckler fumbled. Eckler fumbled. He didn't get the ball back. They scored again.
They were driving down the field though.
I just think the game.
5 touchdowns in that regular season game.
I mean,
No, in the regular season for sure.
he
The regular
threw an
season for
interception.
sure.
That's when we dropped the ball. Mm-hmm. And then he scored another.
I also think Stafford in the biggest moments was elite in
Yeah.
the fourth
But
quarter
throughout that
against
whole
the
game,
Eagles.
He wasn't
100%. But in the fourth quarter, when you needed him and you called his number, Jalen Carter entered, and of course he ended the game
it
for
was
them.
like the last 2 drives.
But dude, he was spot on in the biggest moment. What more can you ask of Stafford?
I was looking at Hurts' playoff numbers for his career.
Such a mixed bag.
He had 270 something yards in that first game, no touchdowns, no INT. And this one,
Let me just get this absolutely right because I don't want to throw out a fake stat out there. So for his playoff career, he's completing 66.8% of his passes, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
in the playoffs?
Yeah, these are the playoffs. 10 touchdowns,
Herbert?
Hurts.
Apologize.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Herbert.
10
I'm like, what?
touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a success rate of 41.7%. 95.4 passer rating, 201.4 passing yards per game. And, the rushing stats, I think he has 10 more rushing touchdowns, so that would be 20 touchdowns. 0 fourth quarter comebacks, 0 game winning drives. I think
that makes sense.
that
Blow
number
teams
just
out.
speaks to me because he's played great in moments, but we've never really seen the Eagles back against the wall, and he's had to
Well, 2024 hurts.
kind of carry them.
Because 2022 hurts, down 8, needed a touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
I got it.
He said, come on, y'all, let's go. I got
Yeah,
us.
that's
But
that's
for a
the one
game-winning
moment.
drive, I think you have to win the game.
No,
You
no,
have
no.
to win the game, absolutely.
I understand.
But you're
that.
saying like back against the wall, he performed.
Yes, for
Yes,
sure.
yes. But like that's one game out of however so many they've had to play.
It's a
They-
Super Bowl.
But I'm saying the Eagles team has just been so dominant
Yeah.
that they've been ahead in the playoffs
It's
all
been,
the
a, it's
time.
been a
Things to be
mixed
true.
bag, but his highs have been so high.
Yes.
Like,
Things can very much.
That's
be
where
true.
These past 2 games were crazy.
You give that scenario, and I hear you. Haven't been many, but
when it was.
When you did
biggest
need him.
game of the year.
We thought it'd be the Super Bowl, but it wasn't.
I did definitely.
yeah.
In the biggest game of his career at that point, you're down 8. We need you, Jalen. We need you to be the MVP that you've been for us all season long. Not only do you score the touchdown, but you also get the 2-point conversion.
That matters.
And this game, and this Super Bowl too, it wasn't like the defense was out there like pick six, like of course he got 1 pick six,
did.
but like the scoring was the offense
They
was
were
moving the
keeping
ball.
drives,
Yeah,
yeah.
like they
Hell
were
yeah.
constantly picking up first
No,
downs.
yeah, it's not really. It's just to show that the Eagles really have been a dominant team
For sure.
in this playoff tenure.
Incredible team.
I was trying to figure out like a comparison for Jalen Hurts in recent history with Super Bowl MVPs and champions, and their ranking at that time when they won it. Nick Foles, I kind of canceled him out because it was just
Back
kind of like
backup.
it was like a miracle run. The two that
They
stuck
don't
out
talk
to me.
about how he was really good against the Saints.
No, Nick
he
Foles
wasn't
was
good
amazing.
against Atlanta.
It was definitely
No, the Saints.
Miracle.
The year that Wentz got hurt again.
Oh, you talking about when we could have won? Yes, I know what you're talking about. The second round.
Y'all
yes.
beat the Bears and
Yes.
then moved on.
We could have won that game.
Alshon Jeffrey's a bum
Duh.
and dropped that ball that would have gotten him the first.
So
He was
I look
cooking.
At, I look
Yeah, he
at
played
the
really good. We could have won that. We could have.
You could have. You low-key could have.
Coulda went
You
back.
low-key could have.
Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl run in his second year.
It's a good comp.
His Super Bowl stats.
I think Russ is a great comp for him.
72% completion percentage, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, 123.1 passer rating. But for that entire Super Bowl run, he only averaged 174.7 yards per game, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 101.6 passer rating. So he really, we know he had a dominant
Their
team
play
that year.
styles are similar too. Like
Yes.
Hurts is more physical, obviously imposing, but they both hold on to the ball a lot. They both take deep shots down the field on the sidelines. So I think their play styles are a good comparison.
Hey, you want to hear a pretty stat line? 10 touchdowns, 1 INT in this playoff run.
It's elite.
That's a pretty stat line.
It was elite.
And then I look at Joe Flacco. His Super Bowl run, he won in his 5th season. I don't think people realize that in his second year, he made the AFC Championship with the Ravens, and they beat the Patriots in a wild card.
They lost to the Steelers.
Yeah,
in
like
the
Joe
AFC.
Flacco very early on. This was like a kind of a prove it year, but his Super Bowl stats: 67% completion percentage, 287 yards, 3 touchdowns, 124.2 rating, and he had in that Super Bowl run. That was a very close Super Bowl game, and he was exceptional. And for that run,
Yeah, they almost blew it.
yeah, he completed 58% of his passes, but that's because he averaged 10.8 yards per attempt in this run.
Yeah, that motherfucker was airing it out.
285 passing yards per game, 11 touchdowns, 0 picks, 1 game-winning drive, 1 fourth-quarter comeback. And I feel like this is the comparison I landed on because John Clayton released his top quarterbacks after that season. So I was kind of thinking to myself,
John
okay,
Clayton, damn.
yeah, for a shout out to him.
haven't heard that name in
I
a
was
while.
kind of thinking to myself, like,
Did
okay,
he pass away?
I don't even know, but if he did, rest in peace to him. But Jalen Hurts after this run is gonna get propped up because he is Super Bowl champion. And after that season, I was thinking about where did Joe Flacco get propped up after he did this? Was it something similar? So looking at the rankings, these are the quarterbacks he had ranked over Joe Flacco: Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Big Ben, Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, and then Joe Flacco.
Sounds like a good ass
Yeah.
list.
So Joe Flacco was a top 10 quarterback, and then these are the quarterbacks that he had over that were Joe Flacco was over:
Mm-hmm.
Tony Romo, Matt Schaub, Phillip Rivers, Matthew Stafford, Andrew Luck. So I'm looking
Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers.
I'm looking at this list, and then I told myself, okay, I think the difference between then and now is that back then you hear the list of quarterbacks that I mentioned, all of them are established, all of them. You look at Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl champ; Peyton Manning, Super Bowl champ; Tom Brady, Super Bowl champ; Drew Brees, Super Bowl champ; Big Ben, Super Bowl champ; Eli Manning, Super Bowl champ. In this era of quarterbacks, we have a young crop of quarterbacks where almost every top level quarterback is 28 years old or younger. So the quarterbacks over Jalen Hurts are guys that haven't accomplished the ultimate goal yet. And because of that, it's kind of harder to see where you land on him because he did win. So I think that's the difference between then and now, that back then there were a ton of established quarterbacks, and there are quarterbacks now that they've established themselves with their individual statistics and their play. But Hurts, he's one of 4 active quarterbacks to win a ring. It's Mahomes, it's Hurts, it's Russell Wilson, it's Aaron Rodgers, and 2 of those quarterbacks are on the way out already. So amongst the actual quarterbacks that are starting in that matter, it's really only Mahomes and Hurts that have won a championship.
Yeah, and it's really these last 2 regular seasons, this regular season, last regular season, that's keeping Hurts out of like that top 4 conversation. Like if Hurts was able to replicate the success he had in the regular season in 2022, these past 2 seasons, we could be talking about him with the Joe Burrows and I don't know if Lamar Jackson's and Josh Allen's, but just the individual success that those top 4 guys has been so high that it's hard to put Jalen Hurts over them, even though he won a Super Bowl. Right now, I have him at 7. I have the 4 we mentioned. I have Stafford and I have Jaden Daniels. I think
put CJ over him.
You kicked Herbert out?
Yeah, Herbert is tough because
you said you was trying to keep him in.
If Herbert's tough because I think like quarterback for quarterback individually, he's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I mean, Justin Herbert has an argument to be the best, most talented quarterback in the NFL. He's that damn good, physically, arm, legs. He could do it all. It's just in these biggest games, he has folded, right? This past game this past playoffs having multiple interceptions, just looking completely overmatched. That game against the Jaguars where you're up big at halftime and you blow it. At some point, you need to give credit to the guy that went out there and put his best game on film in the biggest moments. Because Jalen Hurts these past 2 weeks, this is the Jalen Hurts that I have seen in spurts. And then there's also the Jalen Hurts in the first 2 games, in that Rams game where it's like, I don't know why the consistency hasn't been there for him this season, but in the 2 biggest games, he stepped up. Just like in the playoffs in 2022, I think it was a bit different because he was coming off a concussion, I believe, right? And then those first 2 games were such blowouts, didn't really need him. But then when you need him in the Super Bowl, he stepped up and had one of the best games we have ever seen. So I have him right now at 7. And Herbert is just such a tough one to me. He's really the only one in that conversation I think can go above him. CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, that kind of next tier I think is pretty firm behind. But Jaden Daniels, I feel comfortable right now, even though it has been 1 year, just because historic rookie season, all of the numbers he has, rookie of the year, we know that. But also in these games against the Eagles, in my opinion, he has been the best match for them. He went out there in the regular season, had 5 touchdowns and put up 36 points. In this game in the playoffs, he wasn't the reason they lost. He was able to move the ball. They were having drives that maybe they stalled out once they got to the red zone. But, I mean, he looked way better than Patrick Mahomes did. I thought he looked better than Matthew Stafford did from quarter 1 through quarter 4. So the fact that he was able to, in the biggest moments, also step up, and that's not even taking account what he did against the Buccaneers, dominated them, did against the Detroit Lions, dominated them. I know not the best defenses in the world, but still, rookie quarterback to go in there on the road and have those type performances. And why I have him over CJ Stroud, even though we had Stroud last year probably in the same, stratosphere, is just what he could do with his legs is just different compared to CJ, right? You've compared him to Lamar Jackson just a couple of months ago. What he can do with his legs is something that CJ Stroud just does not have and will never have.
No.
Maybe as a pocket quarterback, if you want to take Stroud, that's okay. But Jaden Daniels is a damn good pocket quarterback himself. And this is not a Commanders team that is that great. The offensive line, the weapons, we had questions about Cliff Kingsbury. Their running back room got banged up. I mean, this has not been a offense that we were very high on at all, even throughout the season. So what Jaden Daniels was able to do, I feel pretty comfortable with him at 6, Stafford at 5, and Justin Herbert, I think it's 2 separate lists. If you want to say who are the most talented quarterbacks in the league, I think Justin Herbert be very, very high on my list. If you want to go just based off of the 2024 season, where do you have Justin Herbert ranked? The regular season, he had some ups and downs, right? The beginning of the year was really slow. Then towards the middle, when Ladd really started coming on, I feel like they gave him more responsibility and just more, opportunities, more passing attempts. There was time and time again, the Chargers were bottom 2 or 3 of the league in pass attempts. They were not even throwing the ball. They were just relying heavily on Dobbins and this defense. But Jalen Hurts, NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, played his fucking ass off. And I think that has to count for at least something. So I'm his 7th best quarterback right now.
Jaden Daniels led every quarterback in passing yards in the postseason.
He was so fucking good,
822 in 3 games.
Really
Now
good.
he was really good, but no, yeah, I think that's just the Jalen Hurts conversation is just there's no doubt that after the Super Bowl he's gonna be on a lot of these lists and he's gonna get the credit that he deserves for these games. Because it's one thing to, if he's like up and down in the regular season, but if he shows up in the biggest moments, then
Jimmy Butler.
It really doesn't matter.
So let me ask you a question, because I know Twitter can be a funny place and we say funny things all the time. Now, did you mean what you said when you said if Jalen Hurts wins Super Bowl MVP, there's no question you trust him more than Lamar Jackson in the playoffs?
We're trying to figure out if he said that.
Yeah, I think it was a reply to the video.
Like I said, Twitter's a funny place. You could say a lot of dumb shit on there.
I do.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true.
I'd be lying up
That
there.
being said, I know where you've stood in the past on Lamar Jackson, particularly come playoff
Hurts.
time. And Hurts. But again, he's
Warren.
being fair because Jalen played his best brand of football in the biggest moments.
Look at that man.
So I do ask, in a big situation, are you taking Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson?
The innate just feeling I get, like Hurts, Lamar, big game. I think what Hurts has shown is, if you just look at his all 22 from both Super Bowl performances, he looks like one of those top echelon quarterbacks.
He's
like
cool.
That's just
He's composed.
The highlight reel that he's put together with his Super Bowl performances is pretty unreal. So I think just to trust the innate feeling, it probably does lean Jalen Hurts. I think that he just doesn't turn over the ball, and with Lamar Jackson, there's just more bad playoff games than good ones at this point. If he was on the
Response.
3 of the last 4 has been really good.
yeah,
I'd say.
if Lamar, let's just say this, if Lamar was on the Philadelphia Eagles, do I think they still win? Yeah, I do. So I do think Lamar's still a better quarterback, but this is about trust. There's a lot of quarterbacks that, I won't say a lot, but there's quite a few quarterbacks that I trust over Lamar.
Well, you have been somebody that's criticized Jalen Hurts in the past. I think you can make the argument that there's been more bad than good for Jalen Hurts. The best games have been the biggest moments.
What you doing?
I'm just trying to keep it consistent.
No, what are the
Drew, hold on.
bad
Drew,
moments?
I got it. What you doing?
This is the guy you let back in, by the way.
The Rams
You didn't walk with me.
The Rams this year was bad.
I walked with him.
The Packers this year I did not think was good.
I did it for
last year. The
greater
Bucks
good.
I did not think was good. And then the 2022 run, the first 2 games you criticized. So I'm just saying
No, he didn't have to do anything for
I
them
know.
to win.
Against the Giants,
you criticized.
Against the Giants, they went out guns blazing.
It
They
was
started
Giants.
off incredible, and then they had to do nothing else.
I just want to be the consistency with Lamar. If he has had more bad
you
than
wanna keep
good,
this- okay.
I just want to
Well,
consistency.
listen,
the
over
consistent
their
guy.
careers, Lamar Jackson has put on better quarterback play on the film. That's without a doubt.
Regular season for sure.
But in the
Postseason, I think
in the
you can-
playoffs, I mean,
Post Greg
Lamar
Roman,
Jackson, I
difference.
just feel like, listen, against those wild card teams, Lamar Jackson is exceptional. Against the teams
Bills twice.
after
great
the
against
wild
Bills.
card and divisional
Great
round,
stretch.
he hasn't been. I mean, look at the Bills. They
played like
lost after they
shit the
beat the
first
Titans.
time.
He
First time he
lost
played like
as a
shit.
favorite against the Titans very early on.
Greg
Then,
Roman, I don't
Did you
give a
say the
fuck.
Chargers? Did you mention the Chargers lost his first game?
oh, that was a bad game.
It wasn't good.
we count
But
Lamar was
I just throw it away
if
just because it was
we're
rookie
counting
season.
Jalen Hurts versus the Bucks, which you
I
should.
thought we don't count that.
No, he just mentioned it.
Oh, we count that?
Oh, yeah,
I thought
he
we
was
let that
bad in
pass.
that
So if you mention that, you have to mention Lamar versus the
I
Chargers
wouldn't
rookie
count
season.
both. I feel like you could give both a pass.
I don't know, Joel. Do you want to give him a pass?
I
can
would
do that.
personally. I would personally.
Well,
I'm
how
fine with
many
that.
bad Lamar Jackson games are there?
Okay,
It's
so you
both
have the
Chiefs
game
games.
versus the Chargers.
Chiefs game, it's the
ga-
Chargers, it's the Bills in the divisional round after they beat the Titans in the wild card.
God,
It's
he
the
threw a pick
Titans
six.
game.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wouldn't count this Bills game he just had as a bad game. I
wasn't
wouldn't
bad.
count
I'm
that.
not
a bad
calling it a
game.
bad game either.
Wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
But those are 4 games that are
better than
bad
Josh.
out of his playoff career. He probably has
Josh ain't
8
played bad or
playoff
great?
games played?
He has 4 bad playoff games. The ones that we categorize as you cooked. Texans. That game versus the Titans where he rushed for over 100 yards. I would categorize this game versus the Bills as good. So 3.
Steelers.
Yeah, he's had 8
Wild
playoff
card.
games.
Steelers wild card. Facts. I'll give
Did you
him
say
that.
Texans?
I did mention the Texans.
So
did
in
play
half
good
in
against
half of Lamar's playoff games, he hasn't been good.
Yeah. I mean, agenda-wise, you could say majority of his games these last 2 years have been more good than bad.
Well, the ones that matter haven't been that great.
I think he was good against the Bills.
Every game has to matter in the playoffs.
Every game does matter. Because
You
he
know
would
what?
have.
They
lost.
top-end
He goes and
opponents.
throws 3 picks against the Steelers, Rip.
You
He's
lose
the
to
11th
Texans,
best
it's like,
quarterback.
yeah.
I mean, I get every game matters, but like if Jalen Hurts beats the Packers and then loses to the Rams, both those games matter, but one matters more.
Depends on of course. It depends on how you go out. Like if like against the Giants, I feel like that game you can say doesn't matter. Giants
And the
really
Niners,
wasn't
too.
supposed to be there. Niners game when they were all banged up.
Yeah.
But
I
like
count the Giants because the Giants were healthy. They weren't
just-
supposed to
they-
be
we
there.
were
to
just
be fair.
so much
They
better.
also
Bad, yeah.
upset a 13-win team.
They were
Who was
those
also-
they
were
were
those
they were also
defenses.
fraudulent. We were calling them frauds.
They
that
were,
year.
but my point being is the Eagles' offense went out there and put belt to ass. The Giants had no answer.
My point is, if I'm talking about Hurts and I'm talking about if I'm trying to uplift his plan, the Giants game is something I wouldn't use.
No, you immediately go to Super Bowls.
You have to.
But
And
also, I
don't even bring
will
up the
say
Giants
this:
game.
I will say to combat the Super Bowl MVP thing, I thought that a player on the defense is their Super Bowl MVP.
Who?
Josh Sweat. I'm not mad at.
He had 117
No.
passer
He had 2.5
rating.
sacks.
No, that's not what you said. No. You didn't say that on the stream. You said you could have gave it to the whole defense. You said you couldn't pick out one person.
You could have, and because it was a team effort.
But Milton was the highest graded player.
Yeah,
you
they both
changing
played really
what
well.
You need to get sacks. You need to
But-
get a big moment to get the
What
MVP.
I'm saying, yeah, because listen, the Eagles defense dominated so much that Milton and Josh Sweat were the 2 best graded defensive players. Cooper DeJean had the touchdown. Zach Bond had an interception. There were so many players on the Eagles defense that played
collective.
really well
Yeah.
that it was hard to just
Well,
pinpoint
Rip said
one of
defensive
them.
line should win MVP
And,
on the stream.
and that's not a diss at Jalen because I think Hurts did enough
would've
for
given it
that
to Hurts.
for that MVP.
He gets a 9.9 out of 10 because they picked, but it led to nothing.
Yeah, because I think he was number 1 in EPA per play, EPA per dropback amongst all Super Bowl quarterbacks since 2000, Super Bowl MVP. So, he definitely did his part. But if I'm rewriting or if I'm writing the story to tell this Super Bowl performance, I'm writing it with the headline saying historic defensive performance.
Yes.
That's where I think it started.
Did you see? I'm trying to find it.
I think we just say all-around domination.
That's also a fact.
It's an all-around domination. It's not historic defense because now you're underselling the offense, which was damn near perfect. I think An unbelievable, dominating performance over the Chiefs.
Well, okay, it was final score was 40-22. It was 10-0, and Cooper DeJean had the pick six.
Turns it 17.
That made it 17-0. The next time the Chiefs take the field, Mahomes throws a pick to Zach Bond, and the Eagles are already in red zone territory.
Did you see this? This tweet went out from let me see who the guy is. Greer NFL. It was basically like the best X play stretch in a Super Bowl based on EPA. Did you see this?
Oh, I did see it.
Yeah. So Jalen Hurts actually is on this list a few times. So best 4-play stretch, Jalen Hurts number 4. So it's basically who's had the best 4-play stretch, 8-play stretch, 10-play stretch, and 20-play stretch in a Super Bowl game based on EPA.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is on all of these. He's on 4-play, 8-play. He's on all of these across the board. Patrick Mahomes, they did the opposite. The worst 4-play, 8-play.
Is that fair?
Patrick Mahomes has the worst 4-play, 8-play, 10-play, and 20-play stretch this past game against the Eagles in Super Bowl history.
I'm looking at, like, you're right, Drew. It was all-around domination, but this is the best quarterback that I've seen in my lifetime outside of Tom Brady. He's in that Mount Rushmore, and they held the offense, I think, to 23 total yards in the first half.
It was 37-0.
23 total yards in the first half. Like,
it was nasty.
I never thought in my life I'd see a Chiefs offense led by Mahomes be this bad. And the Eagles had a negative 103% defensive DVOA through the third quarter, which would have tied the 2000 Ravens for the best defensive DVOA in the Super Bowl. They are narrowly ahead of the 1985 Bears at 102.9%. They finished at 73% because of the garbage time. So they're fourth now behind the 2000 Ravens, 1985 Bears, and the 2002 Bucks.
It was dominating both sides.
Like when I look at this, like I said on the stream, there wasn't one player that just totally wrecked the game. But that's kind of the same thing with the Seahawks, right? The Seahawks, when they beat the Broncos, it was a team performance. Malcolm Smith got the MVP because he had the defensive touchdown. But could they have realistically given it to Russ? They could have. Russ also played a very good game. They dominated them everywhere. But, when I look at this game, I'm looking at it and I'm saying this was like one of the most dominant defensive performances that I've seen in my lifetime.
Saquon doing nothing helped Jalen's MVP case too. Because if Saquon does what he's been doing, he probably wins MVP regardless. But the fact that 25 carries, less than 4 carry, no touchdowns, you're looking at it like, holy shit, Jalen Hurts was this offense. The defense was phenomenal, but shit, it's not like the fucking Eagles put up 21 points.
And
they went out there and put a belt to ass.
The most rushing yards by a quarterback in the Super Bowl, which he broke his own record that he set in 2022. Except this time it was in a winning effort.
Like I think, I think Hurts was exceptional. I do, and that's why it's very hard to kind of just say what group did what.
Yeah, not
did against Spags.
Owns Spags.
So he owns Spags.
5, 7, 9, 6, 7. Where'd you have him again? 6 Hurts.
No, I'm at 7.
7. He had Herbert over.
Right. I did.
So it was a great defense. It was a great all around performance. And Jalen Hurts played well. That's why I'm not mad that he won Super Bowl MVP. But I did think it was a historic defensive performance.
I'll say this, Joel. If you have Jaden over him, you should have CJ Stroud over him.
Why? CJ Stroud was bad last year.
Are you gonna add context?
The two games that he played in the playoffs were really good.
He was solid.
3.
CJ.
Oh, sorry.
We're not counting. Yeah, we're saying this year.
I thought you meant Jaden.
He definitely moved me in this playoffs to make me think.
Yeah, no, he was good in the playoffs.
Really wasn't
because
his fault.
I say this where Jaden had an unbelievable season. You have him over Hurts. CJ had an unbelievable season last year. This year was underwhelming. In the playoffs, outperformed Herbert.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd go as far as say he outperformed Mahomes, but he did play well.
Jaden had a better rookie season. I think he was better in the postseason. I think he's just a better quarterback overall.
But CJ last year was better than Hurts this year. And even though
Regular
CJ had
season?
a bad year, CJ had a bad year this year, Hurts didn't have like this groundbreaking year to where it gives the separate.
But to be fair, both those quarterbacks have, multiple years of work, and maybe that's, if you want to say
I don't mind
Jaden.
you having Hurts over because in the most important games, he, did his thing.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Jaden's just so explosive with his legs, man. That's really the difference maker to me.
That's your type. I don't.
It changes things, man.
That's why you love AR.
Dude.
And that's why you love Trey Lance.
Please.
Oh my God.
Give Trey a chance.
Now, this next topic, Patrick Mahomes, can you re-enter the GOAT conversation? I know that it's ended for a lot of people, and there's still a long way to go. Brady played 23 years in the NFL. Mahomes is in his 8th season. So he still has a long way to go. And I think even if Mahomes three-peated, it would have gave him a big boost. but I don't think he would have just been the unanimous GOAT because Brady just accomplished so much. But I think people have been waiting for Mahomes to fail for a long time because it really hasn't happened. And I think we forget about even how bad this game was. I think we forget that in 2022, he wasn't favored to win, and he won with an inferior roster. Last year, he wasn't favored to win, and he won against an inferior roster. This year, the Chiefs were favored just because I think Vegas was scared to bet against them again, but they did have an inferior roster to the Eagles.
1 point favorites every fucking game last year.
No, because they were just, they were scared of them.
No, I'm saying the Chiefs were I shouldn't say that. Chiefs were 1 point underdogs in all these goddamn games.
They were, but you look at
10-point spread.
Mahomes and Brady in the playoffs. I'm looking at their accolades. I'm going to go through Mahomes first. Through the first 8 years, and this kind of works out perfectly because through their first 8 seasons, they both had a redshirt year pretty much. So this is pretty much through their first 7 seasons as a starter. Mahomes is 17-4 in the playoffs. He already has the second most playoff wins all time. 3-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. Brady in his first 8 years, 14-3 in the playoffs, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 1-time MVP, 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro.
Pro Bowls kill me every
2-time
time.
All-Pro is crazy to think about. It's only twice.
Yeah, the worst season that Mahomes has had from a team perspective, losing the Super Bowl twice and losing twice in the AFC Championship game. Brady missed the playoffs entirely in 2002, lost in the divisional round, lost in the AFC Championship, and then lost in the Super Bowl as well. And then you look at their numbers. Mahomes has 46 touchdowns to 10 picks in the playoffs. Brady's at 26 touchdowns and 12 picks. Mahomes is at 276.9 yards per game. Brady's at 232.6, and Mahomes is at a 105.4 passer rating, and Brady's at an 88 passer rating. They were both incredibly clutch. Mahomes has 21 playoff games played. He's had a game-winning drive in 7 of them. So in 33% of his playoff games, he's had and manufactured a game-winning drive. So I still think that Mahomes, through the first 8 seasons of a quarterback's career, he's off to the best start that a quarterback has ever been off to. He's literally accomplished everything outside of Brady that there is to accomplish. He's accomplished more than everybody else pretty much. So really, I don't think that it's over for him. I think he can still become the GOAT. Is there a long road ahead? I absolutely do think so. Brady played 23 seasons, but I don't think I can write it off. And I think now this becomes very LeBron and Jordan-esque because, Jordan was 6-0 in the finals, and LeBron isn't going to reach 6 rings, but he is the unanimous GOAT to everybody because of the longevity numbers and just how many times he was able to get to the finals. And through 5 Super Bowls, Mahomes and Brady they're both 3-2. So the big thing being held against Mahomes is the performances in the Super Bowl. Brady hasn't had performances this bad. Mahomes already has more picks than him in the Super Bowl, but Brady has also had bad performances outside of the Super Bowl that do matter. Yeah. So it's like the LeBron Jordan thing where, LeBron Jordan didn't make the finals that many times, but he also lost in the first round all these times where LeBron really didn't. So I do think that there's still a long way to go, but Mahomes isn't out of the conversation.
I think that was the issue, though. Mahomes was on a Jordan-esque trajectory, and this now puts him into the conversation with LeBron, which a lot of boomers were very hard-headed to give LeBron the crown. It took being in the league for 22 years for people to give him
I still don't
king.
think Braun is like the unanimous.
I don't think so either.
I think it's more split.
There's plenty of old heads that
I don't think
Jordan.
I think Jordan is a lot of people's goats. Yes.
Like last summer with NBA,
I remember that. Yeah.
NBA players and like just people, and Jordan won the poll by like a good amount.
So that's where I understand the one way that Mahomes had to becoming the GOAT was doing what Jordan did, going to multiple Super Bowls in a row and winning them all. Now, you three-peat something that's never been done, even after a lackluster regular season for your standards, and you three-peat still, that holds weight. And I was on record saying I would have called him the GOAT. I would have, because this start was unprecedented. This was Jordan-esque. And Jordan is only one-of-one player to have the dominance that you have in the regular and postseason stat-wise, but also capping it off with championships. That's where he would have had the conversation for me. But now that you have not one, 2 blowout losses in the Super Bowl. One that was most definitely on you, talking about this one against the Philadelphia Eagles. On top of it, it isn't a quarterback versus quarterback situation, but Brady has beat him twice. Beat him first time in 18, and then, of course, beat him in the Super Bowl in 2020. Now, it's not head-to-head, And I think Mahomes played an amazing game in that AFC Championship game. He was incredible. You could argue he should have won that game if D Ford wasn't
Fucking
a dummy.
offsides, bro.
That doesn't matter. History is history. In that second go-round, the team was beat up. People like to give Mahomes a pass on that one. Doesn't matter. Tom Brady played excellent. He won the Super Bowl, was Super Bowl MVP. He has 7 rings.
10 appearances, man.
He's the NFL leader in every major category. Wins, touchdowns, yards, you name it, it's Tom Brady. Is this an amazing start by Mahomes? No doubt. Have these last 2 regular seasons by Mahomes, for his standards, been average? Yeah, they've been.
Nagy's fault.
For his standard, 100% Matt Nagy's fault. 100% Matt Nagy's fault.
I'm telling you, man.
Get him a receiver too, man.
She writes, man.
But when you go and you talk about a start to a career, you go Mahomes. But I think that it's impossible for him to catch. I think that it's done. I don't think that it's possible to reach GOAT status. One, his style of play. For him to have the longevity in this league, he needs to become more of a pocket passer. I think what he's done as a game manager, becoming a game manager, really trying to get the ball out quick, have those types of plays, I think that's definitely benefited him. But I've seen him take some tough hits that knock him out of a game. And for that reason, his style of play, like others as well, I don't see it leading to a 20-plus year career. I don't see that. I think that he's going to be amazing. He will go down as the second best quarterback that we've ever seen. But in terms of catching Brady, I think that demon's gone.
You think he needs to improve as a pocket passer?
No. I think he needs to stay in the pocket. I think he needs to, if you want to age like that, to play 20-plus years, you need to stay in the pocket.
Rodgers is 40. Listen, what Brady did, played until he's 45. That's not going to happen again. I don't think so. But if Rodgers can play until he's 40, I think Mahomes can play until he's 40.
I never seen Rodgers take a hit like Mahomes, man.
Oh, I'm sure he's taking plenty.
He's taking hits. He's taking hits, no doubt. He tore his ACL. The thing is, I've seen Mahomes get hit and he's wobbling.
Yeah, Mahomes hasn't had any major injury though.
No, well, he not major. He got hurt in that week 3 game that he ended up missing like 2-3 weeks, which wasn't anything crazy. But again, I've seen him get knocked out of games with concussions. That's what scares me.
Before you go, Riv, I just think real quickly, I think now what he needs to have is the individual accolade stuff. Like Peyton Manning was in the conversation with Brady because of his accolades, but the reason why people just brushed it off is because he's just a playoff choker. Like just that's what Peyton Manning was. Brady has 3 MVPs. Mahomes has 2 MVPs. Let's say if Mahomes finishes with 5 or 6 MVPs and then like 5 Super Bowl championships, I think it is possible for him to split that debate.
They brush Peyton off because he doesn't have more rings than Brady.
I feel like
it's also the playoff performances.
When Peyton threw 55 touchdowns, 10 INTs, most yards, most touchdowns in a season, if he wins that Super Bowl, it's the greatest quarterback season ever. Yeah. And at that time, Brady would have Peyton would have 2, Brady would have 3.
Yeah,
that's when Brady started.
You could argue Peyton Manning. I mean, he's the best regular season quarterback ever.
But that's what I'm saying. At that time, that was before Brady went on his second peak.
Yeah.
At that time, it was a real conversation. Who's better, Peyton or Brady? It's just the second peak.
Yeah.
It made it a no conversation.
The same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Rodgers has so many MVPs, but he only has 1 Super Bowl championship. I think what's helping Mahomes is that he has 3 already. And it doesn't mean he's going to get 3 more because it's hard to win that and it's a total team effort. But if he can just start getting back to those elite level regular seasons again and like just rack up MVPs, I think that's how he has the better chance because I think it's going to be very impossible to catch 7
rings. And I think
rings.
The playoff choker shit died after he beat Brady in 2006. I think he had subpar performances like that game versus the Jets where you guys beat us in round 1. You guys got your lick back after we beat you in the AFC Championship.
That felt sweet, man.
Which it was definitely understand that. But
shout out to Cromartie.
We lose to the Ravens. That's Peyton's first year as a Bronco. That's not on him. We were up 2 touchdowns. The defense just fucking gave up 2 bombs. We lost to Andrew Luck. That was like the year where Peyton started to fall off. Even though he had a good regular season, he wasn't his normal self. I look at 2009. We made it to the Super Bowl. He was MVP. He was pretty incredible. He has the pick 6, but like everybody should know, Reggie Wayne ran the wrong route and led to a pick 6. So he had really great moments. He's 3-1 against Brady in the AFC Championship game. I think it's everything before when he was trying to build up to be that. where, yeah, he wasn't great. We lost to the Chargers multiple times in the first round, too.
It's just relative to the regular season, really.
Of course.
Is that the drop
I think it's just tough for Mahomes because he started off both them 3-2, but Brady went 4-1 after that. You know what I mean?
Bro,
Like, so if Mahomes,
2 peaks, no player has that.
like Mahomes could get
3,
to
literally.
5 more Super Bowls, but all of a sudden he goes 2-3 instead of 4-1 or 1-3. Of course, there's a world where he goes fucking 4-0, but it's again the LeBron Jordan thing where if he gets there but he doesn't win, it's gonna be a negative towards him. So I think a lot of this too is, you know, in like Rodgers and Brady's peak, it's a talent versus accolades thing. Because I feel like during that time, a lot of people were like, Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. Tom Brady's the GOAT because of all the rings he got, all the accolades. But individual player, a lot of people thought Rodgers was the best they've ever seen. I feel like that's where Mahomes is right now.
That's a fact.
Where individually as a talent, Patrick Mahomes is probably the best quarterback I've ever seen. But to get to Tom Brady's status where you have the 7 rings, where you have 2 different eras of football in the 2000s where it's a lot of defense and you're getting all these hard hits over the middle of the field and he dominates then. And then you have the 2010s where it's a more pass-happy quarterback league and he dominates then too. That's where it's going to be tough for Mahomes because I agree with you guys. I do not think this man is going to be playing 23 seasons. I do not think he needs to be playing 23 seasons for that matter. Just got a $500 million contract. So if he's not going to play till he's 45, if he plays till he's 37, 38, we're talking about him having like 9 to 10 more years. At some point, he's going to fall short of the AFC Championship game. At some point, he's going to fall short again in the Super Bowl. So in those biggest moments, all of these things matter. All of these regular season games matter. All of these Super Bowls matter. He cannot have another performance like this because even though Tom Brady got knocked out in the first round or he missed the playoffs entirely, people just don't talk about it or people don't care to talk about it. He even said this on, it might have been Colin Cowherd's podcast. He's like, they don't talk about the games we lose pre-Super Bowl. They talk to us about fucking David Tyree catching the ball in his head. They talk to us about losing the Giants again. That's the games that people are going to remember for better or for worse. So Mahomes already having this stain, get to the Super Bowl, you fucking Mahomes, but to have this stain where you have, by the numbers, the worst performance ever in the Super Bowl, it's going to take more than for him just to reach a couple. He's got to go another stretch where he goes 3-1 in the Super Bowl, or he goes back-to-back again, or he somehow finds a way to three-peat. And besides that, this is also probably going to be, or not maybe right now, but the next few years, I mean, Andy Reid's getting up there in age. Travis Kelce has maybe 1 more year left. There's going to be another era too, post Andy Reid, post Travis Kelce that we only got like 1 year of that with, or I guess 2 years post Belichick with Tom Brady when he went to Tampa. We could see that sooner rather than later. And that could be a whole nother debate too, because you had the Belichick Brady, who really is it? Brady won that battle. Not as many people have the Reid Mahomes thing because they're both on the same side of the ball. I think that we kind of see them more as a tandem, but that could be another either positive or negative for Mahomes. If he does it with another head coach, because everyone looks at Andy Reid like at one of the best of all time, that could be another, positive factor that goes towards him.
To be honest, you cooked. It's a great point.
I think people get GOAT conversations really confused up. I think they're getting confused up because they don't actually know what the GOAT stands for. The greatest of all time takes into account everything. I think what people get confused with the LeBron and MJ thing is they switch up longevity with peak. They switch up accolades with longevity. When you are the greatest of all time, everything has to be taken into account. Your longevity, your peak, how did you age, what did you win, accolades, your stats. Everything has to be included because when you talk about the greatest, everything is involved. And I think Mahomes being on that MJ trajectory, it made sense. MJ, he has a ton of accolades, he has the championships, and he has the lesser years. LeBron has that Tom Brady-like longevity, but he doesn't have as many accolades as MJ. So it's the longevity. But it's like you shouldn't break it up. It should be everything. And with Tom Brady, he has everything. He has the rings. He has the longevity. He has the statistics. He has the accolades. He has everything that you need to be the number one guy. Mahomes, he doesn't have everything. And I think it's okay. He's 8 years in. He's sitting at 27, 28, 29 years old.
He's insane.
Yeah, it's okay to not be in the conversation right now, but at the same time, he's only catching one guy, in my opinion. He's only chasing one guy. Love Peyton to death, but I think he's already established himself as a number 2 quarterback. I feel like when people say talented versus greatest, it's a cop-out. There's so many talented quarterbacks that we've seen. There's so much talent in the league. That, to me, just feels like a cop-out to just say one guy didn't accomplish as much as the other guy, so I'm just going to use his talent to say he's better than the other guy. And that's going for Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. They don't touch each other in GOAT status. Like, It's not a conversation when you compare their resumes to each other. It's just not. If you want to talk about who's more talented, because you see Aaron Rodgers run a little bit better, you see him make a little bit more swing on his throw. I mean, okay, that sounds cool, but you can't measure IQ. That's not a talent thing. You can't understand what that is. And Tom Brady has probably the smartest brain in football history, and that's something you just can't put on the scale and measure. You just can't send him to the combine and figure that out with a stupid test. So I think in terms of Tom Brady and Mahomes, it's kind of like how with LeBron and MJ, LeBron had to do things that MJ didn't do so he can get himself in. And what was that? Go to 10 straight NBA finals, continue to win in multiple different areas, because MJ stayed in one place for the most part of his career, and that's what LeBron did. He won in he won in Miami. Yes, he won in 3 different locations. He went to 10 straight. You have to do the things the GOAT didn't do to put yourself in that conversation. LeBron has the 40K, 7K, whatever the shit is, with
40,
the points.
10, 10.
Yeah, 40, 10, 10. You have to continue to do things somebody else didn't do. MJ has the DPOY, so you kind of that's how it is. And for Tom Brady and Mahomes, it would have been a three-peat. I get three-peat Super Bowls. It's a team thing, but with quarterbacks, they get that Super Bowl. They get that upper echelon higher vibe, and the three-peat's never been done. And so do that. That's why the Super Bowl meant it was important. It meant more than anything, because you do something that Tom Brady has never done. You do something that Peyton Manning has never done. Hell, Joe Montana in the 90s has never done it. John Elway, those boys. You do something different. That gets you closer to where you don't have to win 7 rings, where you can sit at 4 or 5 and you be okay because you're gonna win multiple MVPs and you have the three-peat. You have something over him. So now you're sitting there, you don't have the three-peat, and winning you still have to win, but to win 7 Super Bowls,
2 different teams,
10. To get to 10,
so crazy,
to win
bro.
in 3 different eras.
7 and 3 is crazy too.
Tom Brady is LeBron and MJ
Combined.
combined.
Brady went to 10 in, I would say, 21 seasons, because one season he tore his ACL, one season he didn't. He redshirted. He went to 10 in 21 seasons. Mahomes has been to 5 in 7 years.
So he has an opportunity and Mahomes, you can say, in terms of quarterback play, he's probably doing it in the best era, because we have the talented guys in Herbert, the guys that can run and throw 70-yard TDs, Herbert, Allen, Lamar. But damn it, Tom Brady played some teams. We talking about some rough, nasty Baltimore teams. We talk about them Colts team with Peyton Manning and stuff. We talk about them Pittsburgh Steelers teams. He played some nasty, rugged
Jets.
The Jets. I can't even forget them because they were some nasty, rugged.
Man.
He played some dudes. And even when he went to Tampa, the Saints, the Rams, the Niners. I mean, this dude, and he's conquered it all. So it's 23 years is hard to beat. I mean, shit, it took, this is legitimately Kareem longevity, MJ accomplishment, LeBron statistics. When you have that in one person.
Yeah, I was able to enjoy Tom Brady a lot when he went to Tampa Bay.
For sure.
I love Tom Brady when he went to Tampa Bay. He's everything you're saying he is in describing him. That's why it's going to be interesting to see how, Mahomes' career shapes out in the long run, and see, how many he goes back to, if he does go back to one. Those things are all up in the air. But what I want to really see is I want to just start enjoying Mahomes again like I enjoyed him early in his career. Because when you look at his first 4 seasons as a starter,
shit was nuts.
He averaged 5,155 yards a season, 41 touchdowns, and 10 picks with a pass rating of 106.
I don't miss that.
His last 2 years, Mahomes is averaging 4,056 yards a season, 27 touchdowns, and 13 picks with a pass rating of 93.
To be fair, we have seen just total passing yards numbers go down across the league. It's not just Mahomes thing.
You look at the Chiefs' offense this year. Let me see. I have this right here in front of me.
Burrow did just pass for almost 5 bands.
Chiefs yards per play rank. In 2018, they were first. 2019, they were second. 2020, they were second. 2021, they were first. 2022, they were first. 2023, they were ninth. This year, the Chiefs yards per play was 22nd. They were a bottom 10 offense.
They were just so elite on third down.
Yes.
One real game.
Yeah, for sure. You think Brady was happy watching him lose?
Bro, he got to commentate watching him solidify himself as the best.
Yeah, you can't ever like know what he's thinking for real, because the competitor in him, like he's so competitive that he probably does like that he's just the cemented guy. But when he interviewed Patrick Mahomes, he said, "If you win, there's nobody gonna be happier than me." So I do think that Brady's a genuine person like that, to where he gives a lot of credit to the young up and coming players in this era, and if things get broken, it does. I mean, there's a long way to go. Like Mahomes is I think he's just shy. He has less than 250 passing touchdowns. Brady's cleared over 500. Mahomes, the next GOAT that he can catch is Joe Montana. Joe Montana had like 260 something passing touchdowns. If Mahomes has an incredible MVP level season this next year, he could pass that. So really, the only person that he is staring down is Brady, and I do want to see Mahomes do it. But it's like a double-edged sword for me, because I want to see Mahomes have a lot of success, but if he has success, that's going to come at the detriment of other great players in this era that I also want to see win, honestly.
Cool.
I want to see Joe, Allen, and Lamar win. I kind of want to see all the quarterbacks that are at the top establish themselves.
But part of that greatness is keeping it away from others.
Exactly. Exactly.
I was going to say, Dan Marino is a top 5 quarterback ever. He has 0 rings. Sometimes you just don't need to hoist a Lombardi for people to understand your greatness. It helps.
Is he top 5?
You could definitely make that argument.
It's just cemented when you win one, but
for sure,
you got to go out and do it. And
dude, we got people like me throw Jalen in top 5, even though his regular season was
Yeah, you got to go out there and do it. That's why if the Chiefs just got to get it right. They just got to draft the left tackle. They just got to draft some receiver help.
Lamar never wins a chip. Are we looking at him like he's a loser? Or if he's anything less than a top 10 quarterback
If he doesn't win a chip, it's a disappointment.
I don't disagree. It's a disappointment that Marino didn't win one.
Yeah. It's definitely a disappointment.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that I would look at Lamar Jackson and say, you're an all-time great. You're a top 10 quarterback I've ever seen.
I don't think he can ever make a top 10 quarterback list without having a Super Bowl.
And that's racist.
I don't think so.
Yo, isn't Dan up there?
Dan Marino is a top 5 quarterback all time.
No, he's not.
He's top 10, though.
Guaranteed.
He's top 10, I would
Brother,
say, for sure.
I could say top 10.
Go look at Dan Marino. What
you
he
can
was
make,
top 5,
the
though.
argument.
Do you know who Dan Marino
Aaron
is?
Rodgers is over Dan Marino.
Do you know
bro.
who Dan Marino is?
Yes.
Joe
top
Burrow.
5.
He's Joe Burrow before Joe Burrow. Go look it up. He was doing this with the most dog shit defenses, and his receivers were Mark Clayton and...
But you said top 5.
You can make the argument he's top
Brady,
5.
Mahomes, Montana,
Peyton Manning.
Rodgers.
Is Rodgers stamped over Montana?
Yes.
I think he's stamped over Marino.
Rodgers has more MVPs than him.
I think
he
Marino
does.
top 10 is probably
Oh, that's
fair.
easy.
Yeah.
That's easy.
But that's why, because Marino doesn't
Steve
have a
Young?
Super Bowl.
No, Marino.
Because, and I didn't mention, did I
Stevens
mention
amazing.
Montana? I don't think I mentioned Montana.
You did.
He did, yeah.
Okay, but
John
because
Elway?
Dan Marino doesn't have a Super Bowl, he's one of the first guys that you might kick out the top 10 because he doesn't have one.
Marino's better than Elway.
Yeah, the ring is going to be a
got
tiebreaker
3,
for a
right?
lot of shit.
Elway has 2. He's been to 5.
Damn.
Yeah, he got his ass kicked early on in his career.
Like if you're right, like if Lamar does stack up multiple MVPs to the point where let's say he's at 5 and he doesn't win a Super Bowl, then yeah,
the thing was Marino was the blueprint of what a modern quarterback ended up being, like a Peyton Manning, like a Tom Brady.
No,
like
in terms
a
of
Drew
influence,
Brees.
he's up there. He influenced Rodgers. So in terms of influence, I'd say Marino's more influential than Peyton and Rodgers and all those guys. Who's better all time, Breeze or Lamar?
Right now, you have to say Breeze.
And Breeze has no MVPs.
But he does have
has
Offensive
a-
Player of the
yeah,
Year.
he
He
has
has
a ring.
4 seasons of
I feel
over
like he should have
5,000
won about 2
yards.
of them things.
He should have.
He won Offensive Player of the Year and lost MVP.
Be like that.
Yeah.
But you think about it,
His career trajectory, too,
Breeze
is
is
just a little
elevated because of the championship.
Yeah.
Like if he didn't have that, I mean, he
Breeze
wouldn't
was
be in top
pumping out
10.
about 4K seasons, though.
Yeah, no, he had a stretch where he was unbelievable.
4, 5.
He also just didn't really break out into Drew Brees until year 4, 5, 6 his
He
career.
was one of those quarterbacks that I wanted to win a ring before they retired with the Saints. The
think
Saints
everybody-
always had the roster
I think
to do
everybody
it.
was collectively rooting for Drew Brees.
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
love Drew Brees. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like Lamar, let's say he caps off at 2 MVPs and doesn't win a championship. It's going to be very hard to crack that top 10. But if he wins a championship, I mean, you elevate him into 7th or 8th.
He wins a chip. I think he's over Breeze. Breeze just has a decade run of being one of the best
Dominant,
dudes in
yeah.
the world. So I mean, Lamar is going on 4 or 5 years in a row now. Shit, 6. 2019 on. know what I mean? So, like, he's halfway there.
So Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be on the Jets next year. Jay Glazer reported this interaction. Aaron Rodgers flew back to New Jersey last week to meet with the Jets about his future with the team, only to be told that the team was moving on from him. If that means that he will be a June 1 designation that allows him to sign with any team in the league on March 12th if he decides to continue. Given that Aaron made the effort to fly back to discuss his future, all signs point to him continuing to play. It just won't be for the Jets. We also got a report from Diana Rossini that she said that the Jets had some type of stipulation that he wouldn't be able to go on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesdays anymore if he was to come back for the team. So maybe that was a deal breaker. Who knows? You know, ultimately, he's moving on from the Jets, Jets moving on from him. Do you think this was a correct decision for the Jets? And where do you think Aaron plays for next year?
Can I ask why did they want him to not be on the Pat McAfee show?
I think they want the kind of, for backler term, circus around everything.
Let me say this. So what? We should stop Micah Parsons from doing his podcast. We should stop Trae Young from doing a podcast.
Yes.
I think Aaron Rodgers got to the point where his play on the field is not worth the shit that happens off the field.
That's bullshit. With all due respect,
I do think the Jets are just.
I think it's the right move.
The Jets are just building a new culture, and you know, Micah is kind of bigger than the Cowboys at this point. To where not the brand, but
is he? Oh, okay.
You know,
there we go.
Mike McCarthy got fired. They didn't have a problem with it, but Aaron Glenn's trying to establish a new culture here, and he probably just doesn't want no nonsense from the outside. But you know, I think that's debatable. But do you think it was right for them to move on from him?
I mean, it's funny more than anything. I think it's fine to start fresh, new regime, trying to build a different type of mindset in the building. And a guy like Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be hard to do that. So I can understand moving on from Rodgers. Now, on the most basic level, are you going to get a quarterback better than Aaron Rodgers this offseason? The answer is no. It's not happening. Unless, because there has been some rumor about Matthew Stafford potentially being moved, maybe, but then do you want to go the route of another old quarterback?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say no with Matthew Stafford,
of course,
because your offensive line is trending in the right direction. Matthew Stafford's already dealt with bad offensive line play.
Garrett would get 2K.
If you get Matthew Stafford, I'm pretty sure Devontae Adams would be more inclined to want to stay, and Garrett Wilson would be more inclined to stay as well. That would be pretty fun to watch. I think that would be the avenue. The only way I could see you guys getting better than Aaron Rodgers. Other than that, to me, it seems as if you're trying to start over. You're trying to find another quarterback. Maybe this year's a bridge. Maybe it is Tyrod Taylor. And that's going to be the guy that you allow to play quarterback this season, and then you try and find your franchise quarterback in the years following draft. I think in that sense, it's going to be a tough season for Jets fans. But you've been through a lot of tough seasons. And if you're going to come out the other side on this one, then it'll be worth it. I think Aaron Glenn's going to be a great coach for you guys. I like where his mind's at. I like how, although I may not love the decision to say, Aaron Rodgers, you're not allowed to be on the Pat McAfee, it shows me that he's sticking to his convictions, and that it does not matter who you are. You're not bigger than the Jets. And on that level, I can respect that. So it'll be interesting. It's funny. It's really, really funny that even the Jets find a way to have a gold mine turn to dust. It's tragic, but again, you didn't get the same Rodgers. He got injured. This year, the whole team was unmotivated. It seemed that way, at least. Defense definitely wasn't the same. You made some bad front office decisions. You had to let go of Salah, which then led to the letting go of Douglas. I think you guys are now coming out on the other side. But I think I would have kept Rodgers to see where we were at. That's me.
I'm excited for next year's quarterback class. You got Arch Manning potentially coming out. You got the kid from Tennessee, Nico, coming out. Avery Johnson from Kansas State coming out.
Is Raiola next year as well?
No, he's in 2 years. He's a freshman. He's coming out with Lagway. You got some guys. I say that to say getting off Aaron Rodgers makes sense. I mean, the whole circus show that was this year, just the whole... It felt like everything but football. It felt like everything that he brought was just bad vibes, bad energy, not football. Seemed like the team wasn't vibing. You need a new direction. And for the Jets, they don't have time to be sitting there and hoping that Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old is going to change his ways. When you hit a certain age, you are who you are for the rest of your life. That just is what it is. And I think the bridge quarterback thing makes sense because maybe you're asked again and you go get a legit quarterback that's really good.
You were asked with him.
That's a fact. You are asked with him. But I just think you don't want to with a new coach, you don't want to breed new like bad energy into the building. You don't want to have them two. You don't. That's not Glenn's quarterback. That's not Glenn's quarterback. You want him to start fresh with somebody he wants. You want a new clean slate with everybody between Sauce, between Wilson, just everybody. You want just a clean slate to clean all the bad energy from the building. And it makes sense to let go of Aaron Rodgers. His play on the field wasn't giving we should keep you. I know his statistics look good, but at the same time, you were supposed to make the playoffs, like legitimately. At least maybe it's like AFC Championship was nut ass dream, but playoffs at least, get into the wild card. Like Jadell's always mentioned, be on the screen,
graphic, man.
be on the graphic in the hunt. You guys wasn't there. You fell off a cliff. Pretty emotional, damn near all phases. So Aaron Rodgers going somewhere else. I said Pittsburgh. I felt like that felt like more his style, more his vibe. I feel like him and Mike Tomlin kind of get along pretty well, honestly. Maybe a team like the Raiders, like Drew mentioned, a team with. But I don't want him around younger players that are trying to build a new culture. I don't want Aaron Rodgers around that. Why not go to a culture that's already built in Pittsburgh? Honestly, I don't know though. I'm thinking about it. I don't know how him and George Pickens work. George Pickens gives me that vibe where if he doesn't pass in the ball, he's on the sideline like, yo, what the fuck are you doing, Aaron? Like real shit. Like he's having a tantrum. He's crashing out. We know how George Pickens is. He's a one-on-one crash out. And he has that type of personality. But the Jets, I don't know who quarterback you're going to get. Maybe it is Tyrod Taylor, T-Mobile, somebody a bridge. Maybe you go get Sam Darnold. That'd be a pipe dream.
No way.
But maybe you go back and get Zach Wilson. Maybe you think about that. You guys are just in a dark place where I don't know where you go at quarterback. But one thing I can do agree with, getting Aaron Rodgers was the easy answer.
I was told that Garrett Wilson, if Aaron Rodgers did come back, he was most definitely requesting a trade. That's what I was told.
There was reports
I can't reveal nothing, but just inside source. I was definitely told that Garrett Wilson
was at the barbershop when they told you this?
Garrett Wilson Garrett Wilson was going to request a trade. So I think from that standpoint that there are some players in the locker room that liked Aaron Rodgers, like Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams, obviously, and then there are some players that kind of they didn't get the best vibe from him. But neither here or there. I think the free agent quarterback class is pretty terrible. I think the realistic options are probably Kirk Cousins. You don't want to commit to Sam Darnold long term, and I think Aaron Glenn neutralized him already and kind of already knows his weaknesses. So
I don't think Darnold wants to come back.
Yeah, it's very hard to game plan around some of Darnold's weaknesses. Right now, I'm kind of just hoping that Shedeur Sanders falls to us. I really do want Shedeur Sanders, and if he was there, I would take him, and I would run, and I feel like...
What pick you guys have?
I think 6 or 7. Yeah, we're 7? Okay.
7? I don't know if he falls that far.
If Shedeur Sanders falls that far, I would draft him. I think we have a good infrastructure for him to come in and succeed, and I don't think Sanders is this blue chip prospect, but I do think that if he's within a good infrastructure, he could be a good NFL quarterback. And even if he's not like a bona fide franchise star, I think just having some sort of stability at quarterback and having a quarterback and a player with his mindset and his leadership ability could go a long way. I feel like he'd be a perfect culture fit for what the Jets are trying to build. But that's what I'm hoping for. Like, I'm hoping that Shedeur falls to us in the draft. I think Cam Ward probably won't fall to us. And I like Cam Ward a lot as an individual talent. I think his film is better. But just in terms of like just, I guess, the personalities and the way they speak, I guess Shedeur just strikes more confidence in me. So I would like Shedeur Sanders. That's honestly what I'm hoping for. Even if there's a blue chip defensive player like Mason Graham who's gonna be awesome, but I would like Shedeur.
Yeah, there's been some smoke the last week or so that I've seen that the Jets and Aaron Glenn and Muji are really looking at this 2025 draft class at quarterback. Cam Ward, I think, is a long shot. Shedeur still seems like a long shot. So unless it's like a day 2, day 3 guy, I know Jackson Dart has been getting a lot of love, but he's not going to take that 7, at least I hope not. But Daniel Jones won the top 6, so you don't really know. But I think it was the right move for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career, like you mentioned, Riv, the numbers are nice, but it's not actually what happened. Like down the stretch, he played well against the Dolphins in Week 18 and the Jaguars, but we talked about it all season. Those one possession games against Minnesota, like there were so many opportunities for the Jets with the ball, last possession to go down the field and potentially win the game. And Rodgers came up short time and time again. So I feel like at this point in his career, his entering his age 40 season, he just played 17 games. What are the odds he plays 17 games again? I feel like there's just a lot of things that point to him not being as good as he was last year. I don't think he was that great last season. So even though on just the base level, you might not get a quarterback as good as Rodgers was, I feel like he was maybe like the 23rd best quarterback last year. Like, I feel like Tyrod Taylor can be somewhat around the same in terms of just productivity. And so far with the Jets done this offseason, I like it. Of course, I love the Aaron Glenn hire. He's like the number one in the building. He's the guy that's calling all the shots. I know Muji's the GM, and he'll, of course, have a big role in the NFL draft and free agency, but Aaron Glenn's going to be the guy, you know, to a much lesser extent, like the Bill Belichick, who is the number one voice in the room, the one making all of the decisions. But I love Steve Wilkes, a defensive coordinator. They also hired Rick Spielman, who was on the 33rd team, to be kind of a senior football advisor. I think the Jets desperately need, right? This is a team that has not made the playoffs in 15 years. There is more wrong with the Jets than just, oh, you've gotten quarterback wrong. Oh, you've gotten head coach wrong. No, this is firing the assistant general manager. This is looking at the coach, at the scouting staff. This is a much bigger picture issue the Jets have had than just like a couple of guys in a couple of positions. Phil Savage, who's been the assistant GM, has taken a step down. He's brought over Patton's like cousin or nephew that was working in Denver. So I like a lot of the moves that Jets have made so far in this offseason from like a coaching perspective and a front office perspective. But I think getting off Rodgers was the right move. Aaron Glenn is trying to show that this is my ship. This is how I'm going to lead it. And he could have done it with Aaron Rodgers, but it would have been a bit more difficult to do it with him there. And then all of the other stuff that goes on, he goes to Egypt, he goes to Pat McAfee, that just probably stuff you don't want as a first-time head coach for his level of play. If he was playing at a top 10 level, he could do whatever the fuck he wants. But he's not that quarterback right now, so I think it was the right move for the Jets.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Pick a Side Podcast, episode 456. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.